man. That PRP, platelet-rich plasma with stem cells, is the shit.
Did you do it in Vegas?
Yeah, 1 week later, my elbow's feeling great. It's the Bryan Callen Show, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. The Bryan Callen MMA
Bryan Callen.
Spectacular.
That's right. Fresh off of Christmas, everybody. Had a bit of the flu. Touch of the flu put me on my back for a couple hours every day.
Did you get
then
the
I would
flu?
rally. Sure did.
Did you get the flu shots?
Nope, did not. I should.
Who gets those?
I don't get those.
I should, and I
Flu's
don't.
up 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently it's a very complicated thing to try to nail which flu virus is going to hit people, and they don't get it. They don't get it right a lot.
Yeah, the CDC will sometimes be like, listen, we just checked. This flu's coming in. It's a bitch. But here's the problem. A lot of times they'll even admit when you get the flu shot, it doesn't it helps a little bit. It'll make the flu
You also
get
get the
less.
flu.
You can get the flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they're injecting the flu in you. Like,
you
I've
get
gotten
it.
the flu shot.
It's
It's
like-
like sick as fuck.
It's the dead
Really?
virus. I
Yeah.
think. It's the dead
But,
virus.
I got
but
sick,
it
bro.
has. There's a reaction that some people have
Yes.
to it, right?
Yeah, you can have you can have a when you're sick, if you're about to get sick or you're feeling sick, don't get the flu shot. They say.
Who gets
Doesn't make any
flu
sense.
shots?
Yeah, they say don't get it when your immune system's compromised.
Yeah.
Correct.
But sometimes they can give you the flu shot and everybody will get the flu and you won't. So
Yeah.
it does work.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But I
I'll
don't
do
think
it.
it's.
I need to. I just don't. You know, it's like, do I want to go in there and get a shot? I'm a pussy. I'm like, I'll just get sick for 10 days.
I just don't want to do it. I'll tell you what, if I'm Francis, or if I'm Stipe, I'm trying to give fucking Francis the flu.
yeah.
Little segue.
No,
there.
blow some fucking poisonous.
There you go.
Some North Korean just.
Oh yeah,
Anything.
They found that North Korean soldier that defected. He
Yeah.
had been vaccinated against anthrax.
What?
Yeah, and they're like, wait, what? Yeah, he's the second guy that defected in a month.
Oh yeah, that guy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because the first guy they found like crazy
Parasites.
parasites and
Yeah, he
whole
was all
kernels
fucked
of
up,
corn
yeah.
in his thing. He was eating raw
Like
corn.
tapeworms and everything,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
poor guy. They're starving to death over there.
North
they literally
Korea.
have no food.
Well, communism works, especially. It doesn't turn into it's a monarchy. It's
Yeah,
an old
communism
school
is the
flourishing.
best. All you fucking freaks out there, all you young millennials wearing
Yeah.
beads.
Yeah.
Jesus
You
Christ.
gotta
Look at North
do-
Korea.
Look, I'm
Read
not
your
exactly
history.
a history major, but I know enough about history to know about Marxism now.
Oh.
Especially after talking to Jordan Peterson about it, I dove deep into it. Just because
yeah.
like, what is the history of this stuff? It's
Yeah.
all terrible.
Of course it is.
It doesn't work.
No.
It's like it's not human
Because
nature.
you need a central power. You need someone to keep the ones that are getting. I talked to an academic the other day. I said, "So what are you saying?" He kept talking about he was talking about the Scandinavian system of government and how great it was. I go, "When was the last time you bought something made in Scandinavia? I like Scandinavia, but
Isn't like IKEA?
Saabs and IKEA." We're
IKEA's a
talking
good
on
car.
a fucking,
IKEA's kinda- hold
yeah,
on,
we're talking on
killing
an
it.
I mean, Saab's a good car.
Sure, there are certain things, but we're talking on an iPad right now. Everything was, everything was made in the marketplace. So
Right.
go fuck yourself.
Well, it's definitely a smaller place too, right? You're not dealing with
Yeah,
the
it's called
vast
7
numbers of
million people, or 8 million
Yeah.
people in Sweden. I mean,
What's the last good thing Russia made?
It's a good point.
not the Kalashnikov?
Vodka?
They're the Kalashnikov.
Yeah,
in
they
the
made
50s.
some good rifles. In
And
the 50s.
I think it was 57.
AK-47s?
They had some good strides they made in rocketry. They were the first guy to put a guy into orbit. Although they absolutely did fake the video footage that they released of Yuri Gagarin. Is that his name? Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin in space. They've proven that there's no way you could get the kind of camera that you would need to record that, which film in that small capsule that he was floating around in space in. And then there's light coming from so they have like lights on him. These dumb fucks. They have lights on him. He's in a cabin and he's faking. And he's he really did do it, but they didn't really get footage of him doing it.
So they faked the footage, but he actually
faked
did
the
it?
footage,
I'm
yeah.
cool with
The
that.
Russians bum me
like
out
a
because
movie.
Russia.
Well, it's just propaganda. They
Yeah.
all did it
Hell
back
yeah.
then.
The Russians are amazing at anything they put their mind to. Like the culture itself, they work so hard. Like if you look at them, they're like, we want to be great power lifters, great wrestlers. Anything that
They're
kind
all
of like
doing steroids.
Even that, they're really good with steroids.
Did you watch that movie, the
Icarus?
Brian Fogel movie?
Icarus? Yeah.
How fucking crazy is
Fantastic.
that?
Everybody doing them.
Everybody.
But aren't they banned from the Olympics? Did they just get banned?
They banned them, but here's what's really squirrely.
a weird band.
One of the things they did, they took medals away from a couple of people, but the people they take medals away, like they say, you can't compete in this sport. And now they've pulled them out of a couple sports that nobody gives a fuck about. And here's the other problem. The IOC and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, they're completely interconnected. People work for both of them.
Yeah,
they
it's
go
shady.
back and forth in between each other.
Yeah.
They have an incestuous relationship. Championship. And that was all exposed by Brian Fogel in that movie. It's a fucking great movie.
Yeah,
Icarus, if you haven't seen it, you want to know like the depths of doping.
I love that guy. I love that
it's
Russian guy.
Netflix.
Yeah,
that
amazing.
Russian guy was fascinating to me, and he had been an athlete, and then he's in a witness protection program, right? I mean, he's basically afraid for his life.
Yes. Look at
he's
this.
in hiding.
Russia is banned from the 2018 Olympics, and the athletes are told to compete under the Olympic flag, not representing a country rather. So now the Olympics are a country? Olympics are going to get their own country. That's going to be the new America. Olympics.
It's going to be all Russians.
They're the country that did. They had state. Most of these states, it's a lot of it's state sponsored.
Yeah.
And the anabolics were coming out of China, I think.
They're coming out all over
You're
the
crazy
place.
if you think Russia's the only one doing
Crazy.
that.
You're
Obviously.
crazy. China did the same thing.
crazy.
Brian Fogel pointed out that China did the exact same thing in Beijing. They won all these fucking gold medals. Like crazy, they were winning gold medals. And when there's a disproportionate amount of gold medals that are being won in your home country, I gotta, okay, skeptical hippo face. Why am I a little concerned here that the financial gains of making that many Olympic gold medals are so fucking irresistible?
Dude, look what it did for Jamaica.
Oh yeah.
You know, Jamaica doesn't have the fast sprinters in the world.
Brandon.
They're not known for that.
Brandon.
They kind
For
of
that.
no,
Brandon,
they
it's
kind of
the
burst
national
onto the
sport.
scene.
Track is a national sport. So.
Now,
Right, but there's no denying that there's an extreme and rampant abuse of performance
Nobody's
enhancing
been
drugs.
No, they have been
Performance
caught.
enhancing drugs.
Okay, one guy's been
They have
caught.
been
The guy, I
They
think
took the relay gold medal
the
away
guy they
from
called the
Usain Bolt.
Beast. He might have been.
I think they're all called the Beast.
Well, when I was talking to Victor Conte, who is, by the way, as balls deep into that world as possible.
The ultimate snitch of snitches.
The
Carry
snitch
on. He
of
fucked
snitchy
Barry Bonds over.
snitches of snitches.
Yeah.
First team all snitch.
The guy who was the head of Balco, who made that clear shit that was undetectable for a little while until they figured out how to detect it, which is what they always do. He said all of track and field's dirty.
Of course.
All of it.
Yeah.
So if you get some dudes coming out of Jamaica or France or Spain or whatever, and they just burst onto the scene, they start fucking running faster than anybody else, they're doing some shit that no one knows about yet.
I know a woman who's going to compete for a country.
How big's her dick?
And she had a dick on her, and she had a dick. And,
She had a dick.
But the steroids didn't help. But she was trained to be a triathlete, and she was American, but she was going to represent the country of her origin. And started training, and she was a phenomenal athlete and everything else. And her coach said, "So now, of course, we got to talk about getting to the next level."
Whoa.
And she goes, "I'm a triathlete. What are you talking about?" I said, "We got to start talking about messing with your endocrine system because you're not gonna get these times until we
You can't
we get you
compete.
there." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when she saw that everybody, he's like, "Well, no. He's a famous coach." He's like, "No. This is just a reality."
Yeah.
She was like, "God, that's
So
so
what'd she do?
disappointing." She didn't do it. I
That's
would
the
have.
Lance Armstrong story. Like Lance Armstrong realized when he was young that everybody is doing drugs.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
And so he, who competed clean when he was young,
Yep.
until he got to a certain level, and he's like, fuck. Like, this is just how this goddamn thing works. It's just this weird
was
sort
better
of
at it.
3-card Monte game of hiding your dirty piss.
And he was better than everybody else.
Yeah, he's
Well, it
not
was
a bad guy. I think,
State-sponsored.
yeah, it's just part of the game.
What do you think? Like, so my feeling is, so if weightlifters are going to move world record weights, it's really exciting to see them do that. And obviously,
Is it?
powerlifters and stuff like that are not going to be lifting as much with testosterone. My question is, are we ever going to beat like the inexorable advance of technology? Are we ever going to really be able to stop as we are able to gene dope and all that stuff? Like, where are we going with this? And is
It's always
this-
going to be a cat and mouse game.
Are we gonna- yeah, are we gonna police
Always.
this?
No, everyone's always going to look for an edge, always. But in powerlifting, I don't give a fuck what they do because it's powerlifting,
Yeah.
you know?
So
So when it
where-
comes to fighting
Fighting
or
is the
football,
number
different
one.
animal.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are the two.
Football,
number
too?
one.
Fuck yeah, football.
Yeah, for sure. Football and fighting
Because
are the
you're
number
hitting
one
guys.
and number two. Yeah.
Yeah, brain trauma.
Football's a combat sport. It's
Yeah.
just got rigid rules. When you're running full clip at each other and literally like knocking each other unconscious because you're headbutting each other.
Yeah.
I mean, which is
Baseball,
what
you don't
a
care.
big part of football was until they stopped people doing that.
Yeah.
It's a combat sport.
100%.
It just doesn't have kicks or punches.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But the juice is
takedowns,
worth the squeeze in football.
It's worth the squeeze financially.
Same
for a lot of the
Financially,
guys.
educationally, there's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fame, there's
How
a lot.
about
Right.
baseball, where your bat speed stays the same?
No
through
one's
your
getting
30s?
hurt. No,
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Hit all the home runs you want.
Base-
Baseball,
You can throw farther, run
Baseball
faster.
it's a good argument for steroids because it's a boring fucking game too. And the only time it's fun was when someone hits that ball. When was it fun? When Jose Canseco and Barry Bonds and fucking Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, they're cracking them out of the park. That's when it's fun.
Correct.
Not only that, you get you're playing 160 games and you break down through the season. It keeps you
too many games. Simply too many games.
Yeah.
Simply too many games.
Yeah. If you're sprinting full out all the time like that, trying to get to third base, there's so many times where you're doing damage to your body and you're not going to have a chance to recover.
Yeah.
But if you're on the juice, you can run faster. You can keep going.
So what do you think?
But it's weird with the MLB how they crack down on it, right? Although they're killing it now. But same with UFC. Like, they crack down on it. So now you have USADA, but then you're not getting as good as a product, I don't think
there's anything wrong with the product right now in the UFC. I think it's as good as it's ever been. But I think,
how dare you?
There's a few fighters have dropped off the map. But I think that's probably a good thing because I think those guys are probably egregious.
I think it's a combination. I think the skill level's going up just naturally, through evolution, the skill level's going up. But when you have such strict testing, then we're missing out on certain guys like John Jones and these other guys.
Well, the John Jones ones is very unfortunate because John is just one of the most talented guys of all time, if not the most talented.
He's number one.
And also the biggest disaster in terms of the big mistakes that he's made. Like, dude, we've never had a fighter that did a hit and run on a pregnant woman and broke her arm and then took off and then test positive for drugs because he's on dick pills and then test positive again after his comeback, after a spectacular win over Daniel Cormier. He's so disappointing in that regard. So exceptional in his physical abilities, but the choices he makes and the decisions that come out of those choices are just fucking terrible.
But a lot of it's because of the strict testing that the UFC hired through USADA.
That has nothing to do with the car accident. That has nothing to do
with...
Nothing
in car accident, but... So, car accident, yes. But now, yes, he'd be cleared. He'd be all good.
Yes, but there's a symptom of something else going on, and people don't like to discuss this, but one of the things that easily could be is that John has impulse control because he's been sparring and fighting and at the highest level of the sport for many, many years now, and he's gotten hit in the head a gang of times. There's no way around it. There was just an article I posted on Twitter that came up a couple of days ago that these neuroscientists were examining brain injury and violent behavior and like how they're connected and how damage to certain areas of the brain has irreparable consequences on the decision-making ability of the person who gets hit.
I think that's part of it, but also, he's been wild since high school, since college. Like, he's just a wild dude. That's why he's a fucking...
One of the reasons why he's so good
fighter.
is because he's a wild motherfucker, and I love that part of him.
Connor's a little wild, too.
He's wild as fuck.
He's wild. Like, you look at the masterminds of this game, they're all a little wild, man.
You have to be.
In any sport, though. Look at Cam Newton. He's
look at
a
Aaron
wild
Pryor. Look at some of the great fighters.
Wait. If Francis Ngannou wins the world championship and spreads those superpower genes throughout this great nation of ours, okay, we won't need steroids.
Sir?
We don't need the Russians.
Wait till someone goes, you're heavyweight champion of the world. Take a little bump here of this.
Guys,
and Francis gets part of that
maybe
fucking
he doesn't want that.
devil's dandruff. We all fuck.
Stipe Miocic. He's got to stop Stipe from double or single legging him, taking him to the ground, and riding him. So you guys be careful, because I'm saying Stipe is going to wrestle him to the ground.
Boy, I love when insincere Bryan Callen comes out.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was.
He's going to tire him out, and then he's going to stand him up in the third, fourth round, and all that strength's going to go away.
Well, it's entirely possible that Stipe wins this. Stipe is the world heavyweight champion. Stipe's beaten Junior Dos Santos by knockout. He beat Orlovsky by knockout. He beat Overeem by knockout. He's a bad motherfucker. He won the title with a one punch, falling away right hand on the button. He's a bad motherfucker, no doubt about it. But there's physical, undeniable characteristics that Ngannou possesses that make him the most terrifying guy in the sport.
Yeah. But we haven't. The only shot that I'm seeing with Stipe win this fight, though, is stylistically he could be the Achilles heel to Francis, meaning he doesn't entertain the stand-up. He just puts that fucking forehead in the middle of his chest and is like, dude, we're riding this out till the third, fourth round. Let's see what you can do here.
It's totally possible, but Alistair, when he clinched up with him, Alistair is fucking huge. Alistair clinched up with Ngannou, and it was like trying to bear hug a wall.
Did you see his face? He like ran straight at him, and then when he gets flipped around, he's like, oh, shit. That's not Snowflake. That's not Snowflake. And then just gets worked.
Have we seen Ngannou go 5-4 rounds, even 3 rounds?
No, he's never fought.
Never.
No, I think the most he's ever been is 2, right?
Yeah.
He got taken out in his first fight against Curtis Blades. But you shouldn't hang your head on that because Curtis Blades was the JUCO national champion. JUCO national champs are fucking good wrestlers.
Curtis Blades is an excellent athlete too, and he keeps getting better and better. Curtis Blades is a real dark horse in the sport.
I think
really
he's
think
ranked
that
10 now.
if he keeps improving and keeps working at the rate he is, he's a big guy. He hits hard.
He can wrestle.
He's fucking aggressive and smart.
Stand-ups, his hopefully he's working with Christian Allen out there in Colorado. His stand-up's kind of his...
He's getting better at it.
getting better.
He's getting better at it. But the thing is, he's got a lot to work with.
Correct. He's a good
athletically,
foundation.
yeah. He's got a lot to work with, and he's a young guy.
Look at the JUCO national champs who
How
fight in
old's
the UFC.
Curtis?
Well, so is
He
it.
looks 74, but how old is he?
John Jones is JUCO national champion.
Correct.
Yes.
Anthony Rumble Johnson, JUCO
Yeah.
national champ. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of
Stipe
guys.
was D1. He was a D1 wrestler. He wrestled all
Cleveland
4
State.
years.
I think so. I played baseball.
There's a lot of guys who are
Cleveland State.
phenomenal athletes that never wind up going to big colleges
Yeah.
because they don't have the athletic or here we go financial.
26?
26. See, Curtis Blades has a lot of potential, dude. He has a lot of potential.
Damn, he's only 26.
I think Ngannou is what 33, 32, 33. How old's Francis?
He's not a young chicken. But he had some rough years fighting on the
yeah.
streets in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
31.
Homeless.
So Ngannou's 31. So think about Curtis Blades in 5 years. Think about it. He keeps getting better. 5 years ago, we didn't even know who Ngannou was. 2 years ago, he makes his UFC debut. 2 years later, everybody's lying on their back, and he's fighting for the title.
And I called him a Czech Congo with braids, and I want to apologize.
Yeah, he doesn't have braids anymore. Now he's got
I
fire in
want
his
to
hair.
apologize for that.
Now
And
he's got
please
like
don't hurt me.
highlighted tips. Nobody
know-
says a word about it.
Not a word. Dude, I saw
Not
him
a
in
word.
the first UFC I've been to since I retired. I went to that UFC that we were at in Vegas, and I was around the fighters and all that, and there was one hot dog left. I went to grab the hot dog, and he reached for the hot dog. He fucking deboed me on the hot dog. He went, "You can have it, bro. You can have it, man."
Yeah.
He's fucking huge.
He's
He can have
so
that hot
scary.
dog. He's scary. Nicest guy though, right?
He's a very, very nice guy. Very nice guy. So I think that, Stipe is you have to say that Stipe is the most experienced. Stipe has real wins over world-class competition other than Alistair and Arlovsky, who are the two guys that Ngannou fought. So he's got more experience, having beaten Verdum, having beaten, top flight guys, Junior Dos Santos by KO
And he has
in
the
rematch.
style to do it though.
He's got a chance.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
but
he doesn't
the odds
do it,
makers
though-
have him as a disadvantage, and
Stipe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an underdog.
Yeah.
I watched that uppercut that he hit with Verdun.
Overeem.
Overeem with. Dude,
Please don't
I watched it
critique
in
us.
full. Like I watched it in full, full speed. It's so fast. It like in real time. It's so fast. It's so much faster than you realize. Depending on the angle you look at it. I went,
What was Overeem
Oh my
thinking
god!
there?
I
No,
think
but dude, it
Overeem
came
was
so fast.
He
Watch it.
Knew
watch
he couldn't
how
get
fast
hit
it
by
is.
him, so he was trying to be wild. And
Overeem
move
just
around a lot.
went, oh yeah, I'm one of the greatest strikers in the heavyweight division of all time. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But watch how fast it goes. We have it. There's a
It was
there's
a,
a
it was a
clip of it.
weird.
Yeah, let's go find the video.
It's so
'cause it is
crazy fast.
terrifying.
It
Like,
was
it's-
a weird shootout with Overeem. Just be like
Yeah.
all that experience. Be like, how's the one way Francis can win the first round? Fuck it. Let's just throw from our hips. See what happens.
Yeah.
Kick you.
Yeah.
I know, like, why didn't he kick his legs? Why
Because he
didn't
probably
fight
didn't
on the
expect him to be that
outside?
fast. Watch how fast this is. Watch this.
See, look what Alistair's doing. He's just trying to be real awkward.
Even Alistair said this
move
wasn't the
around a
game
lot.
plan.
Watch this.
He said that?
Yeah.
What was the game plan?
Not this.
Boom.
Oh, that's such a
Come
good
on.
left hook, too. God damn,
Knockout
it's
of the year.
You know what that's like? That's like a Bone Crusher Smith shovel hook. Remember when Bone Crusher Smith used to have that ridiculous left hand? And it was like a half hook, half uppercut. That was just
Like a shovel, man.
Oh, terrifying.
And then when you find out his dad was a legendary street fighter in Cameroon, you're like, okay,
Oh,
that makes
Ngannou's
sense.
dad was?
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Legendary. Yeah.
Oh, and then he was homeless 5 years ago?
Yeah, 5 years
And
ago.
they just did that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the movie Lionheart? Yeah, that's fucking him.
And all he does is train, man. All he does is train. He practically lives at the UFC Performance Institute.
Really?
He's there every day.
He's the UFC's Bane.
The UFC's Performance Institute is the most state-of-the-art motherfucking place you've ever seen in your life in terms of recovery, in terms of strength and conditioning equipment. I mean, it is a fucking spectacular
And
facility.
he just lives there. Trains.
He's there
on.
every day.
They moved him there.
Yeah. They moved him from France
Who
to
are
Vegas.
his trainers there?
Well, Vinny Magalhaes, I know, is working with him in terms of his jiu-jitsu, but his original trainer that found him in Paris is with him here. I forget the gentleman's name. But this is the UFC Performance Institute. It's fucking phenomenal.
Here's my thing with this, Joe.
It's a crazy
So let's
place.
say, Francis, they're doing his camp. Well, if Stipe's like, hey, man, I want those. I'm going to do my camp there, too.
That's a good point. And Stipe's the champ. But
So what do
Stipe
they- what do they
doesn't
do?
want to, luckily. It's not an issue because Stipe is in Cleveland and he has his same coaches that he's always had. and a real tight knit team that's worked
No,
great
I
for
get
him.
that. I'm just saying at some point, let's say
Why does this girl
Holly
have
and
makeup on?
Cyborg.
Why does that girl have full makeup on when she's throwing
She'd
punches?
be the hottest girl to ever enter the octagon. She fought.
You think so?
Dude, that girl is
I got
easy
nothing,
on the
I
eyes.
got nothing for her.
I don't know about that, man. You think she's hotter than that Rachel? How do you say her name? Ostovic girl.
I'd have to see her.
that just fought for the ultimate.
Let me see her.
The Ultimate Fighter, the TV show.
Oh, with that, you talking about the Tiggle Bitties?
I'm talking about the girl from Hawaii.
Oh, dark
She
dark
is-
hair,
She's
wide face.
See, this is why we get
stunning.
along.
She's
stunning.
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 She's
And
a
she won
and
too,
she
right?
won. Badass
I was
armbar.
rooting for her.
Just see if you can find her.
We were one of the 30
She's-
viewers during that,
she's
but I was fucking
stunning.
rooting for her.
She's way more. Well, I don't say that the girl's ugly. Girl's definitely not ugly. She's
Yeah.
very pretty. But first of all, why is she wearing makeup while she's fighting?
Yeah, well,
Why is
that was
that girl
that
wearing
was a
full
commercial. I think they were
mascara?
both models, and that was a commercial.
Neither one
Did
were
Reebok
fighters.
engineer that commercial?
They sure
I
did.
don't wanna
Engineered some
say
sort
that
of
they
Santa Monica
engineered it.
lab
Santa
by a bunch of
Monica lab.
millennials that have a hard time putting their backpack in the overhead compartment.
I thought that was surveillance, gym surveillance.
Yeah, see, shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That kind of body.
Is that
that's
Megan Fox
legit.
with an ass?
Jesus,
Oh,
dude. Just
okay.
I can't watch this. I'm gonna pass out.
Hey, keep this going, Jamie. For me.
But
Yeah,
and
keep
she
this
can
going.
fight too. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful.
And she can fight.
No, me
about her
neither.
body.
Yeah, not at all.
She's a legit fighter.
She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well done.
by all accounts, a very nice person. So there's
I
a
like
lot
how-
of pretty
I like how you had
girls.
to back that.
There's a lot of pretty girls that are finding their way into the UFC, and they find that like that's an asset. You know what's really interesting to me?
For
one of the
marketing, it's an
best
asset.
looking ones of all puts zero emphasis on that, and that's Rose Namajunas.
I know.
Rose is
Gorgeous.
fucking
She's pretty.
gorgeous.
She's
Gorgeous.
super pretty. Yeah, she's
Gorgeous.
pretty.
And she puts no emphasis on that. Shaves her fucking head.
I know.
And there's nothing fake about
She
that
went
girl.
full 11, and
Yeah.
then she's just, then
I
that
met
knockout.
her-
There's nothing fake about that
No.
girl.
Yeah, we met her. I think, or at least I did. You'd known her before.
known her
but
for a while, yeah.
I met her at that thing. That thing we did, was it a Spike thing? I can't remember. UFC thing. It was and she was in a
Pat
dress.
Barry?
She was with Pat Barry. Yeah, but she had long hair back then. I mean, she was stunning, like astonishing looking, and I didn't know who she was at the time. And I mean, so she's if she walked into a bar back then like that, even now, but I mean back then, you would have been like, I mean, she turns.
She just
every
has
head.
a supermodel
And a
face.
killer.
She
And
really does.
doesn't-
She's a model.
And she
Yeah.
doesn't put any emphasis on that at all. All of her emphasis is on her fighting and zero trash talking.
Well,
How
remember
about the
when she
thing- how
shaved
about
her
after
head?
the fight?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Remember when she shaved her head when she was fighting Paige Van Zandt? She went, "Oh, your thing's beauty."
Yeah. Well, she's like, my hair was just getting in the way. Fuck it.
Then beat
Yeah.
the brakes off of
Yeah,
her.
that's what she used to look like. She used to have that's like workout hair.
Yeah,
She looks better with her head shaved.
I agree.
love
It's
her. I
kind of
love
like
her
a
with-
GI
Like with that
Jane.
upper
love
right
her
hand
with
corner
it.
with the red shirt on there, Jamie. Upper right hand corner, right there. I mean, shut the fuck up. That's a beautiful girl.
She's
I
very-
mean,
that's
that
a
is-
model, son.
That is about as hot as a woman's face gets. They don't
WME,
get
get
any
her a
prettier.
Calvin Klein contract, for God's sake.
But meanwhile, how the fuck did no one see her coming? I mean, it's kind of crazy how
I think she
little,
looks so feminine. I think she doesn't, like, her body
No, 'cause
doesn't look like
Misha
it's supposed to
Tate,
do that
no.
stuff.
Right,
No,
but
I
think about how
disagree.
much emphasis they put on promoting Paige Van Zandt, how much
Yeah.
emphasis they put
Oh, I
on
see
a
what
lot
you're
of other girls that are really pretty too. But that's a marketing thing. Look, you got to look at like what this company is now, right? This company started off a passion project by two fucking crazy billionaire dudes. Well, first of all, Horry and Gracie, right? Art Davies, the original guys,
was their
Bob
idea.
Meyerowitz. Those guys who started it off, they get it going, then they sell it as a passion project to two super billionaires who love the sport, who train. They were fucking like happy as pie. They're like, we own the UFC.
Dana
Fuck
talked
yeah.
them into it, yeah.
Yeah, Dana talked them into
talking
it.
about the
They're
Fertitta
having a good old,
brothers.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're having a good old time. They literally were what me and Eddie Bravo used to pray for. When we were watching the fights back when nobody gave a shit about the UFC, the thing we always said was, wouldn't it be amazing if some billionaires just threw a shitload of money at it and made it famous? Like, we know it's an incredible sport to watch. We know how exciting it is. Wouldn't it be great if someone had just publicized this thing? And then the Fertittas come along. Literally, like, they figured it out themselves. They're like, this thing is like, we just need to spend money. They were $40 million in the hole when the first Ultimate Fighter was airing.
Oh, so they put that much money
They
into it
put
initially.
all the money.
Wow.
They produced the Ultimate Fighter.
Lorenzo's a genius.
And then the show takes off. The show, and this is, by the way, after they had called Dana White and told him to bail. They're like, sell this thing. We're losing too much money. We're X amount of millions of dollars in the hole. I'm not going to lose my family's business all because of this one project that we have. Fuck this. And then he calls him up the next day and he goes, I changed my mind.
He slept on it.
Why did he change
Slept
his
on-
mind? He just
because
said,
he's a fucking genius.
He's a genius. I think Lorenzo's the most. you know, there's one A, one B, but he's right up there as most important people in
He's so
mixed martial
calm
arts
too.
history.
He was an important like balancing act to Dana.
Yes.
Like Dana's so volatile
Yeah.
and crazy and
Emotional,
fuck this
yeah.
guy and he's a faggot and this and all the craziness that Dana, especially in the early days, used to be. And then he goes from that to super calm, really reasonable, incredibly articulate, like laid back Lorenzo.
Yeah.
I think he's missed now. Now that
Yes!
things are going on, like you would never seen the Floyd Mayweather Conor fight if Lorenzo was there.
Why do you
Because
say that?
He would have
wouldn't
never let that happen.
You're
He
crazy.
really wasn't into that stuff. He really wasn't, man.
Oh,
It was-
you're crazy.
I don't think
He didn't like spectacle.
no.
But
no.
why would you pass on that thing? I wanted to see that. Didn't you want to see that?
Hell yeah, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it, but Lorenzo, I think, looked at the bigger picture because I think now that we look back on Floyd and Conor and then where the UFC's at now, I don't know if it's the best decision.
It's a great decision. I think it was an amazing decision. First of all, it's an amazing decision for the overall evolution of combat sports. It's
don't think it's
incredibly
step back?
important. No chance. It's incredibly important to realize that a real specialist like Floyd Mayweather will run circles around someone who does not have the same amount of time and knowledge. Like Conor has great punching power, he's got great speed. But as far as his like boxing acumen to compare the two of them, the greatest of all time, arguably.
No way, yeah.
It's not even close.
And please caveat that with the fact that Floyd Mayweather didn't even fight him the way he fights other guys. If he had wanted not to be touched, he could have done that
Yeah,
too.
he
No, I
walked-
disagree with
walked
that.
towards him, made him work hard.
But I don't think it was-
wore him
I
out,
don't
and
disagree
started
with
beating
that.
him up.
And that's great, and those are great points. But I think if you look at the lay of the land now, Lorenzo wouldn't have done it because now you have two divisions held up. You have Conor with all this power. We have no idea whether he's going to fight. He didn't ever have to fight again, so you miss out on Conor. If you want to sell the TV deals, you can't guarantee Conor's going to fight. That's why Lorenzo.
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
have
agree
done it.
with- I
There's
agree
a
with Brendan
thing
on
there.
that.
But
And
I think
also-
there's a thing there. Go ahead. Also,
Also, now we're in the era of the money fight, where everyone wants the money fight.
Right.
Rankings don't matter. Divisions don't matter. Titles don't matter. So we've lost all that kind of the fundamental that we've laid out.
No.
Of title shots and all
I
that.
disagree. I think
Now
I don't
everyone
think,
wants the famous fight. Woodley wants the famous
they
fight.
all do want the famous
Isn't-
fight because
isn't
there's
the
the
money
money in
fight-
that. But
isn't
hold
that
on a
bec-
second. There's
yeah.
not. We haven't lost all the rankings. We just lost the rankings sometimes. Sometimes they don't matter.
When do they
Because,
matter?
Listen, this is a lot of it is because the $4 billion price tag of that company. That's a big part of it.
Well, a lot of it's because the fighters
But
aren't making
also
money.
because the people that own the company now
Yeah.
are an entertainment business. They're like,
Correct.
where's the money? The money's in these big spectacle things. That's where
Correct.
the money is. We're here to make some money.
Yeah.
We're here to put on great fights. Like you can't tell me that fucking Detroit card wasn't one of the wildest fight cards you've ever seen in your life. They're putting
best
on,
fight of the card
they're
of the
putting
year.
on great fucking fights. They're putting on great cards, and on top of that, they're also having chaos. They're having Conor McGregor box Floyd Mayweather. But I think for the evolution of combat sports, that fight is important.
See, I don't think it lended itself to the evolution of combat sports in that there were such different sports. So that I think everybody knew that ultimately.
Yeah, but you need to see it. You need to see it.
Like James
Well,
Tony,
we've
Randy
seen it
Couture?
before. Yeah,
well,
we've
the
seen it
James
before.
Tony Randy Couture fight is not fair because James Tony half-assed that. He barely trained. He didn't train any grappling. We saw him doing his
Yeah.
training with some karate guy.
But
and he's like,
Ali did this stuff too, didn't he?
but
I
he
mean,
did
it
with
was always-
Inoki. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the thing. What James Tony did was try to just go in there and get paid. He got taken down with a low ankle pick. He got just completely smushed by
It was
Randy
a half-ass
Couture.
attempt. I agree.
It was-
He's out of shape.
He was
He's
way
over
past his prime. Floyd Mayweather's in his fucking prime. Even though he's
No.
40, he's still so good.
Not his
But you
prime.
can't say he's lost a step. You can't say he's lost a step. You look at him against
You're
Manny
telling me a
Pacquiao.
26-year-old Floyd Mayweather eats that upcut Conor landed on him?
If he fought that way, it's dependent on if he tried to just walk towards him like he
Yeah.
had nothing.
Which he did. He
when
stood in his grill.
Connor cracked him with that one shot, and I think Floyd was like, "Oh, okay, you can hit me."
He's like, we got to get going
Yeah,
here.
well, let me just start ramping this bitch up to 9. Yeah,
Listen,
cooking
listen,
you a little bit. and
I love the
eating you
Floyd
in the 10th
Mayweather,
round.
Conor McGregor stuff more than anyone. I love it because Conor got paid. I'm saying Lorenzo, from a business aspect, is going, if we give all this guy the fucking power now, the ball's in his court, man. That's not what we're about.
that's
But
what
here's
happened.
my thoughts.
And now
Like,
everyone else is
the
following
only way
suit.
you get a superstar, the only way you get a Sugar Ray Leonard, a Muhammad Ali, that the cult of personality that comes around those people, they do have all the power. There's no getting around
they
that.
do.
You can't stop that as a promotional organization. You have to somehow or another ride with the wave and make some sort of cohesive agreement.
They also have to be
You got to
challenged.
make some sort of agreement with that person.
Yeah,
That's the only way you get a Mike
They
Tyson.
made it with Brock Lesnar. They made it with Ronda Rousey. The only other two superstars.
Right.
But they
They
didn't
did it
last.
with them.
They didn't last because what keeps a champion relevant and in the lore is the guy who keeps answering the call. And Conor did that in 2 different weight classes. I mean, he beat the impossible to beat Jose Aldo, and then
people are going to argue
Eddie
that because he
Alvarez.
hasn't defended a belt.
Right, and what
so
I'm
he's not
saying is
answering the
that
belt.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I agree with your point about the evolution of the combat sport. What it's done now is put so much power in his hands. He's got $100 million, whatever he has,
Which I love.
and me too, because I like the guy. But at the same time, like you're
Strip
not
him.
going to see him. You're not going to
Strip
see him
him.
fight these monsters like Tony.
No,
Tony
bullshit,
Yeah, you
bullshit,
are.
bullshit.
You're
You
going
don't
to
know
see him
what
fight
you're
Tony.
talking
You're going to see him
100%.
fight Tony this year.
Tony- Yeah.
Wait. Why would you say that? First of all, I don't like anybody saying this guy's not going to do this or he's not going to do that because we really don't know. But why wouldn't he fight Tony Ferguson if he wants to fight again?
I haven't seen him even training. I don't know.
He's
if
training.
No, he's training
Is he?
nonstop. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Oh, Brian.
No.
You can't say that.
You
I don't
can't
know.
say that.
But is he gonna
I
fight
haven't seen
Tony
him training.
Ferguson?
Well,
He's gonna
he
ta-
hasn't come to my house. He hasn't been training in Santa Monica.
Well, that's the
Where
problem.
are you going to see him train?
What I'm saying
How
is
can
that,
you say
what I'm
he's not
saying is,
going to
has
fight?
he even mentioned fighting Tony
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes. If you
What
pay
is that?
attention,
They
he
talk
goes,
shit
my
to
next
each other
fight.
back and forth. on
TMZ
Instagram.
goes, hey, are you going to box Pacquiao? He goes, no, my next fight is mixed martial arts. I'm going to fight inside that octagon.
Yeah, he said my next fight's going to be a real fight.
Yeah.
No boxing.
He's going to fight Tony Ferguson. That Tony Ferguson fight, when I look at it more and more, I watch footage, I think it's not that bad of a matchup for Conor. I used to be like, God, it's a tough fight. But I think especially early rounds 1 through 3, with Conor's accuracy and the way Tony gets hit, it's a good fight for Conor.
2
Except
parts of
when
the
it goes
problem.
past the 3rd round, it could get nasty.
Yeah.
2 parts of the problem. One,
Yeah.
Tony finishes motherfuckers off his back. He is
Yeah.
nasty off his back.
If
His
he gets
guard
taken
is-
down?
Yeah, if he gets taken down.
he doesn't
but
get
I'm saying
tired.
if he
He
gets
just-
hit. If he gets hit like Nate Diaz does and goes down, like Conor is not, it's not like 100% that he's going to beat him up and ground and pound him. Tony, if he gets dropped, will wrap you up like a fucking mummy and submit you.
So
he
will
can
Nate,
do
though,
that.
and Conor doesn't entertain that.
Maybe Nate. Yeah,
You know what I'm
Nate
saying?
can.
Like, he doesn't
Nate,
have to
Nate
play that
certainly
game.
Can.
The
Nate certainly
difference
can.
is if Tony goes, you know what? I know you're fast and powerful in these first 3 rounds. I'm a collegiate wrestler. Fuck this noise. I'm just gonna ankle
Yeah.
pick you all fucking day,
true.
and then 3rd, 4th, 5th, I'm gonna start striking with you.
But Conor could catch him long before
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
Conor
It's a
has
good fight.
ridiculous speed.
Tony doesn't get
Speed
tired.
and
I haven't
accuracy.
seen him get tired.
It's a big difference.
He's tired. He doesn't show it because he's a fucking serial killer.
Oh, yeah,
I think
he
he
is,
gets
but-
less tired than the other guy.
I
every
promise
time.
you, he gets tired, Brian.
But,
Yeah, but
no,
less
like
tired.
everybody gets tired.
no,
Yeah.
it's just here for him.
But it is. But he also is ridiculous conditioning. You know, Eddie
Amazing.
Bravo is his fucking jiu-jitsu trainer, and Eddie said he's never seen anything like this guy.
Yeah.
He said the guy trains for 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
He said he's in Big Bear. He's running hills, literally lapping his training partners.
Yeah.
I
He'll
train
turn
with him at
around and go
Rain.
back and run
I
up
train
again.
with him
They're
at
not even
Rain.
up to the
He's
top
a
of the hill
freak.
yet.
That is
He's
such an
running up behind
advantage in
him.
a 5-round fight. I mean, such an advantage in a 3-round fight. I mean, his ability to just not like when you're less tired than the other guy. Oh my god!
All his camps are at Big Bear. He goes, he rents a house. He builds his own fucking training facility. He sets up his own heavy bags. He mats up floors. He takes a fucking room. He's got like a living room of a house. He sets down the borders, brings in the mats, and they start training. He finds hills, runs those fucking hills at 6,000 feet altitude. He's an animal.
Conor at
Some
55 is no punk, man.
He's not. He's
No
good.
punk. Ask Eddie Alvarez. Who look at Eddie.
no.
Eddie's a fucking
Nobody's saying
monster.
he's a punk,
No,
man.
I'm
No.
just saying. Like
I mean,
at first, I was like, God, this is kind of a scary fight
Conor's-
for Conor. Then when I look at him, like, you know, he does get hit. Ferguson gets hit, man.
Yes.
The problem child is Khabib. Khabib, it's almost a round table because Khabib versus Tony, hell of a fight. Khabib versus Conor, God, that's a tough fight for Conor. But they can eliminate each other. It's whoever shows up that night. It's a fucking good fight, man.
Yeah,
Dude, if
Khabib
Khabib-
break takes your legs down.
What'd you say?
We're gonna know all about Khabib this weekend when he fights Edson Barboza. We're gonna see him with arguably the fastest striker in the 155-pound
Who
division.
doesn't give a fuck about going to the ground. He's like, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to the ground. I'm not even
Yeah.
entertaining that.
Yeah.
Where other guys will play that game,
Right.
anti-wrestling will kick you in the fucking face.
Right, but how do you keep him from taking you to the ground
You
when he
kick
clinches?
him in the face.
When he gets in the
You
clinch,
avoid the clinch.
how do you avoid that with Khabib, though?
It's
tough.
hard. It's fucking hard. It's
right?
not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination.
It's
but
a tough
you gotta
fight
realize
for Khabib.
Michael Johnson cracked Khabib when they fought and had him wobbly. It's the first time we've seen any adversity that Khabib had to face inside the octagon.
Yeah.
But he handled it with fucking 4 aces. Took him to the ground and
He's got
smashed him.
I had no idea Khabib went up to 205 when he trains.
Well, he gets heavy. He gets heavy in between fights, but he didn't do it this time.
No.
Daniel Cormier said he has a new nutrition, and he said he has been lighter getting ready for this camp than any fight before. He was 179 pounds just a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Josh Thompson was like, dude, you've never seen anything like it. Because I was talking about Conor and Khabib. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, man. I've seen him go with DC. I've seen him go all these guys. And think about what he did to Dos Anjos. Think about what he did.
Ragdolled him.
Ragdolled him. He's like,
Ragdolls
oh, you're fighting at 70? And I go, why doesn't Khabib just go to 70 after he sees what Dos Anjos? He's going to.
He is?
That's his plan.
All he wants to do is get the belt at 55. As soon as he gets that, he's going, peace. And then at 70, enjoy that.
Yeah,
enjoy that motherfucker at 70.
It's like he gets you and he breaks your legs down. It's like, oh, you're a table. I'm going to take your legs down. Now you're on the ground, and that's it.
Well,
I've never seen anybody get him off.
All elite wrestlers, right? Whether you're talking about Dave Schultz or whether you're talking about Karelin, all the best of the best wrestlers, they have an ability to enforce their will.
Yeah.
To just power into guys and do shit to them that they don't want done and break them.
They wear you. They wear you like
with technique, with will, with physical conditioning, with everything.
Yeah.
DC's the same way.
DC's the same way. All the best guys have everything. They have all the components. And that's one of the things Nurmagomedov does. Then you add the fact that he's from Dagestan. You add the fact that he grew up in one of the hardest places in the fucking world.
That's right.
And everyone around him is hard as nails.
Where I think the national sport might be wrestling.
Might be murder.
Yeah.
You get a varsity in murder in high school.
Varsity murder.
It's a crazy place,
What's
man.
ridiculous is him versus Barboza. If it's like a video game, you look at their attributes. Barboza's striking's like this, but his wrestling's like this.
Yep.
Then you look at Khabib, his wrestling's like this, but his striking's
So
like this.
you're intrigued by this?
Fuck yeah.
yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This
Fuck
to me
yes.
is the most intriguing fight that Khabib has ever fought.
By far.
By far.
He's never.
Two
he's never,
reasons.
Yeah.
One, the 2 fights where he had so much difficulty making weight that his body was shutting down. It happened in the Michael Johnson fight. Then it happened again in the Tony Ferguson fight, the point that he pulled him off the card. So they were saying his liver was shutting down. Like, this is serious shit.
Yeah.
He has not made 155 since, right? He hasn't fought since. So there's so much pressure on him to do this correctly. But who knows if he can? When your body does not want to do that anymore, you run into serious problems. It's one of the things that happens to older athletes when they've been cutting extreme amounts of weight over and over again. They get to a point where their bodies every time you cut 30 pounds of water from your body goes into like a state of shock.
Sure.
You do some damage. The question is, how much damage are you doing?
Well, think how long he's been doing it, too. Josh Thompson brought up that point. He goes, dude, he's been cutting weight since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in these wrestling terms, the Sambo terms, since he was a kid. So he's older now. He's been cutting weight for fucking ever.
And here's a real question. He
hasn't fought
if he
forever
wins
either.
the title, how the fuck is he going to defend it in California?
He's not going to.
Why?
Yeah,
What do
because
you mean?
California has new strict laws.
Oh, no IVs and all that shit? Or?
Andy Foster, the guy who runs the California State Athletic Commission, is one of the best guys in the sport. He's so proactive. He's so ahead of it. He's adding weight classes. He's doing so much to make this safe. And he was a martial artist, lifelong martial artist himself. And he competed. So here's a guy who sees what the problems are, and he says, okay, we're going to make sure you don't weigh 15 pounds more when you get into the octagon.
The night of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to stand
I think
there
it's a percentage, right? Is it a percentage of weight that you can't gain?
No, it's literally pounds. So
Pounds.
I think at 55, you can't come in heavier than it's like 15.5 or something like that.
Yeah, so like 70.
Which Khabib
is
comes in
crazy.
bigger. Well, that's
like-
why Khabib's just going to get the title and dip out to
How about
70.
Gleison Tebow? Gleison Tebow would fight at 55, and he literally looked like he was 200 pounds.
He's going to fight.
I heard that Darren Till, and I'm sure you'll hear this, but I heard when he stepped into the octagon against Cowboy Cerrone, he was 201 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Enjoy beating Darren Till right now.
Yeah, enjoy it.
No,
enjoy it.
no one wants to fight him
He's
except for
only
Mike Perry.
24.
Yeah. Yeah.
He even said he'd fight Mike Perry. He goes,
Yeah.
listen, I don't give a fuck about rankings,
Yeah.
belts. I'll fight you right now.
Well, he wants to put on a show. He wants to light people on fire. And no one wants to get in there with him. They saw that Cowboy fight, and they're like,
Yeah.
And he's huge. Then you learn his story, like, oh my God, he's a nightmare.
He's
Wonder
a
Boy,
high-level
Wonder Boy was
striker.
like, let's do this. And Wonder
Yeah.
Boy's daddy was like,
No,
No.
but Wonder Boy did not say let's do that. Let me be honest with you. Wonder Boy had hurt thumbs that he told me about in the ring after the fight.
His thumbs?
Yeah,
He had
in
to
the
have
cage
surgery.
after the fight, he said his thumbs are pretty fucked up because he was talking about it in between rounds with his corner. And I said, "What were you saying about your hands?" He goes, "Yeah, man, I did something to my thumbs. Like I hit he's throwing these crazy fucking punches on a guy like Jorge Masvidal, who's no joke, right?
No.
Hell no.
He's catching
He's a monster.
elbows, he's catching foreheads, and he fucked his thumbs up. And he might need surgery. Like, he doesn't know.
Did he
So
have
he's
surgery or no?
I don't know. But
sure figured out.
he was in a position where he had some serious injuries that they were saying, like, we got to, and Dana White even tweeted it, or somebody tweeted it.
Dana tweeted
said
out
it.
the fight, right?
Yeah. I even said, thank the
I
baby
blasted
Jesus.
out too. I screenshotted to you and went, holy shit, it's going down.
Yeah.
I had
That's a great fight.
That's a great fight, if it happens.
Our boy who fought Errol Spence, I was just with, fights at Wildcard West. Why am I forgetting? I'm getting old.
Oh, Chris Van
Heerden was showing me, like, he's a boxer, quality boxer, been around forever and fought Errol Spence but got beat. But a high level boxer. And he was just showing me, like, I said, why is Errol Spence so good? Because he I know he's great, but he looks like basic. Like, he does, like, jab, 1-2. And so for my eye, as not a very sophisticated guy, I can't see what's making him so good, right?
Right.
And he was showing me, it was really yesterday, he was just showing me how, like, he was able to measure his jab. So Chris would throw a jab, and he goes, now watch, and I throw a jab, and he goes, and he would move back just, like, his ability to move back just enough. So some guys will move back just a little bit too much, and they'll move back a little bit, and then they throw. So their measurement of distance is just a little off, and you have time to compensate.
Yeah.
His ability to move back the precise amount so that you don't have time to react because he comes back, boom, and hits you again. So every time you throw, he would make it so his ability to sort of be just out of reach was better than anybody he had fought before.
Well, no one's better at that shit than Lomachenko.
Correct.
Yeah.
No one.
But also,
Yeah.
to that point, Billy Joe Saunders was like, Eubanks Jr. what? And then beat the brakes off of him.
Did you see Billy Joe Saunders?
I didn't see that.
Against Lemieux?
Yeah, against
Who's
Lemieux.
going to beat him?
He's amazing.
He might be able to beat Triple G.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, he's ridiculous.
His fucking jab
He's
is
one of
a
my
thing
faves,
of
man.
beauty.
The best, right?
He would just plop that sucker
know.
in there, pop, and then it'd be left, right.
Dude,
here we go.
This
gotta see
world
that.
Yeah.
title fight. Homeboy misses with a huge swinging like right hand. He goes like this into the stands, like he misses it. Yeah, just puts on the brakes.
Billy Joe looks like as if, who are you trying to hit?
Is he
Trying to hit
from?
somebody
Is
out there?
Saunders from Wales?
He's
Where
a
is he from?
gypsy.
Yeah.
He's a gypsy, but he's
Yeah.
from he's from the
Are you
UK.
allowed to say gypsy?
Yeah.
Traveler
For now,
Traveler.
You got to be careful.
I called Fury a gypsy, and a legit like traveler came up to the show and was like, "Traveler, quit calling us gypsies." I was
Yeah,
like,
they
"All
don't
right,
like
gypsy."
it. But people say it all the time.
Sorry, I can't
But
keep
they were
up.
saying it on HBO.
I don't mean anything bad.
Yeah, you do.
I
You do. You're a
I'm
cisgendered,
You're
white,
racist,
privileged piece of
bro.
shit.
I'm against.
You're a
gypsies.
fucking monster.
I hope Fury comes back. He's one of my favorite. Billy
a
Joe
fun
Saunders,
guy.
though, if you don't know, look him up, man. He's
That
boxing
fight,
needs that guy.
The David Lemieux
Yeah.
fight on HBO was a goddamn work of art. It was a goddamn work
and
of
now
art.
he's campaigning for Triple G. And they Billy Joe Saunders Lemieux. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. He's so much bigger than Canelo. No one wants to fight Billy Joe Saunders right now, man.
Elusive.
But
Him,
he's got to
Triple
get a
G's
bigger
great
name.
fucking fight.
He's got to
Saunders'
get a bigger
highlight reel
name
is
to get that
crazy.
Canelo money, that fucking Corona cash.
Dude, he's gonna get it. If Triple G and Canelo don't figure it out, Billy Joe Saunders getting one of them.
I hope so.
They have to.
I
Jamie,
hope
bring
so.
up Billy Joe Saunders'
I
highlight
don't think
reel. He's got a crazy
enough
highlight
people
reel.
know who he is, though. You know who he is. I know who he is, and I think the world was introduced to him at that last
Yeah.
HBO card.
Do you know who Lemieux is though?
But this, yeah, I
Does
do.
the world-
I do because I saw him fight
Triple G fought him,
Yeah,
though.
but in Montreal, he's huge, and they were fighting
That's
in
true.
Montreal.
That's true.
But see, Billy Joe, this was his first fight in America. All of his fights have been in Europe.
Yeah.
So this is like.
But he's been a
He's
guy
a
people have
character.
watched a lot because
Not
he's
really.
so.
Not
no, I'm
really.
saying
Not over
he's
here.
flashy. Like, isn't
Yeah.
he kind of like
Yeah.
really?
Well, he's
he does crazy.
fucking smart,
he has
man.
he's a mouth on him.
Yeah.
And
You know what I
he's
love?
a guy you can root for.
Jim
traveler.
Lampley,
Handsome too.
Jim Lampley and Roy Jones Jr. had a little disagreement in the commentary.
Oh,
And
yeah?
Jim Lampley was like, "Well, if he's this far ahead, why does he not try to knock him out?" Roy Jones was like, "Why would he? What, do you see what he's doing? He's boxing his face off. He's like, well, you have the added humiliation that you do to your opponent when you knock him out. Like, stay in your lane, Jim Lampley.
Jim.
Stay in your fucking lane. Stay in your fucking
putting
lane.
on a clinic.
Bro.
It was embarrassing. It was
Like,
embarrassing to listen to him. Like, ooh, you just said that to Roy Jones Jr. You're talking about one of the greatest knockout artists in the history of the fucking sport, and you're telling him why someone should. You don't just knock someone out. You have to put yourself in danger to knock someone out, and you could wind up losing against a fucking power puncher like Lemieux. It's not a
Biggest fight
smart
of your
thing.
life in boxing. You lose that fight,
Yeah.
everything's shot.
He's-
The Canelo Triple G fight's gone if you lose that fight.
He's fighting a beautiful pattern. For him to alter that pattern to get a specific result, that's not smart, and it's not boxing. That's not what you're supposed to
do.
do.
It's also silly.
Yeah, here's his highlight reel.
Yeah,
and you
I like watching
see him move around. And he's so interesting with his right jab, too. He throws punches, and then he's like, whoops, not here anymore, dude.
Look at that.
Dude, the Lemieux fight, if you can get that, was one of the best fights because Lemieux is a legit world contender.
Yeah, but the thing with Billy Joe Saunders, if his highlights, they do him justice somewhat, but he always steps up to the level of competition. So you might watch him against a guy, you're like, hey, he looks all right. But then when Chris Eubanks Jr., you look at him against Lemieux, like, holy fuck, this guy's world class.
Yeah, here's Saunders against Eubanks Jr.
He will fight to whoever his level's at.
Yeah,
that's why I think he's big too for the weight class. So a Triple G or Canelo, you got to fight on your hands.
He's big and he's so fucking smart, man. That the big thing is how smart he is. I mean, his ring IQ and his ability to not get hit is so exceptional.
He steps just back,
and look how he changes it up. He goes to the head, he goes to the body. He's an artist, man, a real artist. It's really fun watching him. Beautiful left hand.
And he has a personality that boxing needs.
Talks
he's fun as fuck.
Talks mad shit.
He told Lemieux he has some extra pants from his son that he can wear because Lemieux's short. Just kept talking shit to him nonstop. And he's also best friends with Fury. So they're like
perfect.
Batman and Robin. They're fucking hilarious, man. God.
Yeah, I was surprised that they referred to him as a gypsy on the HBO broadcast.
You're not supposed to.
I think that was Jim Lampley
gypsy
too, though.
Sounds
Jim
romantic.
Lampley's an older fella.
I thought gypsy's a cool word, but
I think so too.
If you go over to London, they told me not to say that.
I heard Roma.
Yeah,
Roma is considered derogatory, right? So they were always discriminated against. No, Roma means they're originally from.
Donald Cerrone versus Yancy Medeiros, UFC Austin. That's a good 170 for Cerrone because Yancy is not a giant 170. You know, it's not like a Darren Till.
He's coming over that fight of the year, some people think.
That was a crazy fight against Cowboy Oliveira. Holy shit,
hey,
what a
when
fight
is that fight, Austin?
Yancy Medeiros.
That's a fight night?
Crazy.
What a fucking performance by Yancy.
February 18th.
Yeah, so
that's close.
That's weird they announced it. Really?
That's really close.
That's weird they announced it already.
That's real close for Yancy from that last fight.
Yeah.
That fight was a barn burner, and that was only a month ago.
That's weird, and not much time to promote either for Austin.
Yeah, well, I don't think you need it for Cowboy in Austin. That motherfucker will sell out quick.
And it's a fight night, so it's not pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So they're just like,
it's a good headliner for sure.
Great headliner for a fight night.
For Yancy, I mean, he took a lot of hard shots in that fight.
Dude.
I don't know if that's given him enough time to recover.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you're Yancy, you're jumping at the opportunity. Oh, you hear fucking Jimmy Rivera's off with John Lineker.
Yeah, Lineker got hurt.
And then, do you see Jimmy Rivera, who to me is my dark horse in that division? Man.
Yeah,
I think
me
he's
too,
gonna be
man.
champ. He's a fucking monster.
He's a tank.
And then he's trying to get Marias, right?
Yeah.
Marlon Marias. And then he goes, you said you do it at 5 pounds. I'll give you 5 pounds. The team said no.
Marias said no.
And then he goes, I'll give you 10 pounds. I just want to fight.
Might not be in shape.
They still went no.
Marlon might not be in shape. And
But
Marlon
he came
just
at
fought.
him. He came at him. And Jimmy's like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
Well, Marlon
No one
just
wants part of
fought
Jimmy.
really recently. Spectacular knockout
Didn't get touched.
against Aljamain Sterling. And he's in that position where he's climbing the ladder too. And to take a short notice fight, Mark Henry's very wise in that regard. They're like, look, you
Top
can,
3 coaches in the world.
I agree. You can beat this guy. But do you beat this guy this way? Maybe. But do you beat this guy when you have a long training camp? Much better odds, and that's the way to do it to really show who you really are.
I agree 100%. I wouldn't have done it. If I'm Mark Henry, I'm telling my fighter not to do it.
It's a pro sport, man. It's a pro sport. You have to weigh these short-term opportunities like Michael Bisping got when he stepped up to fight Luke Rockhold. You got to weigh those.
Yeah.
Because, look, Bisping, it fucking paid off, and it paid off in spades, right?
Yep.
He KOs Rockhold. He becomes the middleweight champion of the world, fulfills a lifetime dream, all on 11 days' notice.
story.
The fucking man has cast iron bowling balls hanging from his dick.
Yeah.
You can't.
He's the best.
Can't deny that about
Mount
Michael
Rushmore.
Bisping. Then the same thing, the same mentality
Gastelum.
bites him in the ass, and he goes and fights Kelvin Gastelum just a few days after fighting a fucking crazy fight with George St. Pierre, and he doesn't look good.
He looked horrible. Then look at Machida. He just got starched. Now he's headlining in where the fuck they are. Did Gagistan or where the fuck
Well, he not
it is.
only got starched, and then he tested positive.
Machida's last fight?
Machida tested positive for
No.
something.
His last
Yes.
his last fight.
Machida was suspended for something. Was
Previous.
it before Derek Brunson?
Yeah, before Brunson. Then he had 2 years
right.
off, and then he fought
Was
Derek
2
Brunson.
years off?
I think
Yeah.
pretty sure 2 years.
That's
then
crazy.
Then he fought Derek Brunson, got starched.
Right.
And they're like, hey, we need a main event for where the fuck it is, Poland or whatever. And then he originally said no, and then I heard he was talked into it. And then
Who's he fighting?
Machida. God, who's he fighting?
Jamie cannot be fast enough here. There's no way he could do both things. We need to hire another dude.
Come on, man.
for
Give him
these
a chance.
podcasts. Just
What,
to,
while he's doing that,
he might be
wow,
the fastest one-handed typer in the world.
He's pretty
Look
good.
at him.
He's
Just
a
one
beast,
hand
man.
He brings it
working
up,
the
man.
fucking TriCaster, one hand working the.
Jamie was a high school basketball player. Probably would have gone D2, T3.
It's Anders.
What?
Anders, does that sound right?
You want to see something disturbing? There's evidence of Jamie's basketball playing online. Anders. Who's Anders? Which Anders?
Sounds
It's in Brazil.
sounds
What's
Swedish.
the gentleman's name?
Eric Anders.
Eric Anders.
It's in
Okay.
Brazil, but he just got starched, and he's taking
Yeah.
this one.
Well, he could sell a lot of tickets in Brazil.
No, I get that. I get all
Jamie's
that.
got legitimate 3-point skills. I watched your that video of you just hitting threes.
Jamie's an
you need
athlete.
to, need to watch this. After this, I was like, Jamie might be on the spectrum.
There
I
you
was
go.
watching this. I'm like, he might be like a little Rain Man-ish with his
Might be on the
ability.
spectrum.
It was so
Well, he played
impressive.
basketball his
It was
whole
so
life.
impressive.
We were
I was like,
talking
he might
about
be
it.
like in a hypnotic state.
He's been playing his whole life.
He was in the zone.
It's called the zone, yeah.
Dude, it's called the zone, bro.
in there all day.
in the zone.
We were
I think he's
talking
in-
about
I
it.
think you could get Jamie to do that all day.
Bro, you have so much room. Let's put up a basketball court, half court.
That's not really for me. But watch this. But watch
Jamie
this.
plays
Look
a
at
lot of
Jamie.
ball.
Watch
He's been
this.
playing his whole
But-
life.
But watch these shots. Seriously. Swish.
Look at that.
Watch. Here comes another ball. Watch this.
Look at this.
Look like a young
Swish.
JJ Redick,
Do
sir.
you understand how hard this is to do for a guy who is essentially
One miss.
just a slight miss. Look at that swish. I mean, get the fuck out of here, Jamie. Are you a Rain Man type character? What's going on? How are you able to do
He's
this?
been playing his whole
Look at
life.
this. But seriously,
How
swish-
dare you?
Oh, fucked up.
Hashtag raindrops.
Raindrops.
Hashtag
dropping
white
them in.
chocolate.
Good
And
technique.
the,
too.
love hanger.
Hashtag raindrops. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Jamie's got real skill.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Well, those guys that are like super calm and like measured and level were always the scariest guys to play pool with. Because guys like Jamie were always the guys that like they didn't get too high and they didn't get low.
Yeah.
They just like boo, and then they figured out how to get into that zone and they'd be terrified.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet he's that. I mean, I saw that 3 points, those the shots you're making. I was like, okay, Jamie's got that weird gear.
I
He got
did a
that weird
movie.
mental gear. He got a click.
Taps into the zone. Who's
did a
the
movie
pool,
with a guy like
hey,
that.
who's the pool player we met? The girl, the Texas
yeah,
Tornado.
I talked to her about you.
Oh,
yeah.
Vivian
Tornado.
Villarreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's badass, man.
She's
Yeah.
a badass.
She's a
Yeah.
badass pool
She's
player.
badass.
She'll make you feel very uncomfortable with
Yep.
your manhood.
Yep.
There's something about losing to a chick in pool.
Yeah.
Really in
Yeah,
pool?
something about it, man. Pool's a man's game. It's
I
a manly
wouldn't give
game.
a fuck. In pool,
You
really?
say that, but if you
You
play pool,
say
you would.
that.
Yeah. She'll
Yeah.
give you
Because it's
the
about
what for.
this is what it's about. It's about keeping your nerves together under pressure.
Yeah.
So when a woman is better at keeping her nerves together under pressure, and guys bobble shots and miss 9 balls, and you're like, you panic.
There's some people that are just built for games. Like I did a movie with a guy who was just like I played chess with him, and I used to play with my dad and stuff. He's beating me so quickly, and I was like, why are you so good? And he goes, no, I've just been playing. I go, all right. I go, have you read books on chess? He goes, he just looks at me and goes, of course. I went, oh.
Well, it's his thing,
Of course.
though. That's
No,
his
it's not.
language.
Plays chess.
No, it's
That's his
not. Then I played
language.
pool. He beat everybody at pool. Then we played ping pong. He beat everybody. There's
Oh,
some
he's a
things.
game
He's one of those
guy.
guys just good at everything. He's got game theory. Like he noticed with my ping pong, I pride myself in my ping pong. I'm not good, but I think I am, and I'll talk a big game. He noticed that my backhand over here is a little suspect. So of course he just saw a hole in my game. Those people who can see a hole, they're strategic. They go,
Sounds like he plays a
Brian's
lot of
got
games.
a fucking hole in his game. But get that. I was like, this
He's
motherfucker.
playing a lot of games.
Does he get laid?
If I saw a hole in your game, I'm not going to do that because I want to play the game.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
he got laid, and he
Wait
makes a lot
minute,
of money
hold
as a
on.
voiceover artist.
Hold on, wait a minute. You wouldn't try to win?
I don't know. Depending, I don't give a
Lies.
fuck about
Lies.
winning. I don't give a fuck about beating you.
If you
at,
find out
know.
a guy's got a shitty half guard, you tell him you don't go towards his half guard all the time?
And when I street fight, yes. Honestly, when I street fight, I'm not going into his half
we
guard.
got
I
silly
gotta pee.
here.
Yeah,
We got silly
I
here.
gotta pee
I'm gonna
too.
piss.
You gotta pee.
Well,
You
we
can't
all
pee
can't go
together.
at
Let
the
me
same
secure your
time.
hips at least.
Brendan
Get
will
out there
go.
and
Let me
Pete,
go.
You and I
You
can
talk about
talk.
street fighting when I come back.
Pee
Stop
out of
it.
your medium-sized
You
dick.
talk about street fighting when I come back.
Don't fucking
shut the fuck
Don't
up.
talk about street fighting with me, dude. I take it very
Talk
seriously.
about boxing with Wayne and your friends, and then when I come back,
Don't
shut the fuck
fucking.
up.
I'm a boxer, and I wrestle.
Do you think you get hit too much in the head as an
No.
older guy?
No.
Who does powerlifting?
No.
Did you see that new thing where they said that they train AI to play chess? There's a new AI program, and not only did it beat some world chess master, I just tweeted it. See if you can pull that shit up. But by the way, it is from the Daily Mail, which you got to go. They might be exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah.
But it said that this chess computer had invented a series of moves that no one had ever seen before.
God.
So it's
scares
it's
me.
being creative.
Yeah.
It did a move. It did like a pattern that no one had seen before. So it's figuring out how to play on the job.
There's this whole movement now. People are writing books on how to deal with the second smart machine age.
In 4 hours, a robot taught itself chess, then beat a grandmaster with moves never devised in the game's 1,500-year history, and the implications are terrifying.
I believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what the more terrifying thing besides is the fact that massive sections of our job markets are going away.
Yeah, look at what it says
what do we
here.
do?
Oxford academic, AI could go rogue and become too complex for engineers. Oh my God.
That is it.
Hey, what are your thoughts on net neutrality? Because I was talking to people online today about net neutrality.
Yeah.
I posted something about it that it seems to me to be one of those ideological camp issues where if you are leaning right, you think that net neutrality is a bad thing that the market should decide. If you're leaning left, you think that there's some regulation that the government should step in and be important because you want to keep people from information. You don't want a big corporation to be able to step in and say someone can or can't have their program on AT&T or Verizon or.
So I think that from what I've read, there are 6 major service providers, maybe a couple more. That already smells a little bit like a monopoly. But what I think is this: first of all, nobody really knows yet, but I think that the bigger issue becomes if these companies provide you service in your area. They could decide to break it into, say, 2 bandwidths. They could decide you want regular service or do you want premium? If you want premium, we'll pay a little more.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. They could break it up. If that's the case, we'll let the market decide. Maybe that creates an opening for another service provider to come in and say, we don't do that. One price covers everything.
So one of the guys on my Instagram, or my Twitter rather, had a really good point. He said the real issue that people aren't talking about is the monopolies that these companies have in small areas.
Yes.
Like if you're in a certain town, like you can only get this kind of company, or Verizon or AT&T.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that when you have a company that owns a certain town, and then in certain areas is the only way you can get coverage is you have to do it with this one company. Then it becomes a real issue.
And not only does it become an issue, but the other issue is that the real question is if you are a service provider and you provide people in this area that service, if the other service if you use platforms that the other service provides and they compete directly with this, would this service block that? Would this service have an incentive to block your access to it or whatever?
Yes.
And that would be an issue.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that we'll find out very quickly. And as long as consumers have the ability to go over to another provider, as long as consumers have the ability to go, I don't like the way you do business. I want
But they don't
these guys.
in a lot of areas.
That becomes the issue.
They don't have access
Time
to
will
the
tell.
other
Areas have a
options.
license. They have a license
Yeah.
in a certain district.
Consumer backlash is how you fight that. If there's enough consumer backlash and people go,
Or
this
you
is
just
bullshit.
keep net neutrality in place and prevent it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm going to have some experts on to talk about it soon in the future.
Yeah.
I'm going over all the data and information, but I just wanted to get people's temperature. And it's so funny how people get so aggressive and shitty with you when you just talk about this issue. Because a few people that I had to mute, I was like, good luck, dude.
Yep.
Your opinion means shit to me because you just have to be insulting when someone's just asking a question.
Right.
This whole thing is interesting because there's smart people on both sides of it, and they have compelling arguments on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I don't have an opinion 100%. I lean
Either do
more
a lot
towards
of people. A lot of people don't yet know how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
Because
What were you going to say though? You lean towards what?
I lean towards the idea that you have to have some oversight, that you have to have someone who's looking out, who makes sure that these companies can't fuck you over and can't prevent you from having access to certain information, certain sites. I lean towards that most. But
the answer, though, the other
question
oversight
is, though, that does the market decide that?
I was going to say,
right.
The other oversight could be, I always lean toward the idea that the marketplace would be your oversight. Let people make their choice, but they have to have a choice. And as you were talking about, there are very few service providers. My question is there incentive for other people to come into the service providing space? Can they make money? What are the barriers to entry as far as
compete with
that's
the big
concerned?
dogs?
Right.
No.
And secondly, is it in these service providers' interest ultimately to make extra cash for such bad press? You may see nothing happened as a result. But I like the idea that the marketplace, that consumers have a choice. And when consumers have a choice, they're going to go with what works the best for them.
Agree, B.
I do too, but I do believe that it's entirely possible that large corporations could have
Monopoly.
real
sure.
influence over the way our culture has access to information. I think
agree.
that should be stopped, but I also think that these fucking government organizations almost all suck. They're all filled with unmotivated people who suck at their job, and the bureaucracy and the fucking red tape gets deeper and thicker. I think almost every government organization that does any task is flawed. So the idea that we should have government take care of these issues, I have a problem with that too. I see both sides of it.
I see this side too. There's another dark side of the marketplace, though. I think the news nowadays, makes a lot of money on clickbait.
Yep.
And so you now have companies, whether it's the Huffington Post or CNN or whatever, who are less interested, it seems, in objective reporting of the news and way more interested in generating clicks.
Did you see the fucking Newsweek title that they put out about Trump and the Nazis, like stealing Christmas? Did you see that?
There you go. That's a classic
See
example.
if you can find it. What is that?
I'm already intrigued.
The news.
That's the world we live in.
It's such
That's
a
entertainment,
clickbaity
right?
thing.
News is entertainment now.
Infotainment.
Yeah.
Right,
And
but
that's
the
a
fact that
tragedy.
Newsweek, which you would always say,
They have to compete?
They have to compete. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
They have to compete.
But you'd always think they're measured, they're intelligent. This is Newsweek. They're
When
one of the
they
most
got-
respected.
When Chris
They have
Rock
to adapt.
When Chris
Look at
Rock
this.
was working on a bit.
How Trump and the Nazis stole Christmas to promote white nationalism.
There you go.
Jesus
hey,
Christ.
Fucking slow down.
Yeah. There you
Wow.
go.
This is just
That's fair.
You're going to get Caitlyn Jenner elected president if you keep this shit up.
Exactly.
Like, you have to understand what's happening here. People are going to go nuts.
The media's
doesn't make any
approval
sense.
rating,
The opposite.
according to some polls, the media's approval rating is in the single digits, and I think they deserve it. I really do. I am not nearly as cynical as a lot of people, but as I get older and I see how irresponsible a lot of the news is, how much money there is to be made by just hinting or sort of associating somebody's name with something kind of volatile.
Sure, and
you
with
get
no
but is it-
regard
and you
whatsoever
get to
for the
sell that
repercussions.
story. You
But
sell
isn't that
saying
the
here.
product of their environment? Like, they're dealing with what gets a response and what gets clicks.
a
So
good- it's a good question.
our societies are the ones who are telling them to do this. They're not just making this shit up.
That's right.
Right? They're like, well, if we say Trump and the Nazis stole Christmas, how many clicks are we going to get?
See, but this is what they're doing is they're being
And these morons
disingenuous.
click on
Hold
it.
on, they're being disingenuous here in this article. Scroll up a little bit. Because here's one of the things it says. It says, Donald Trump wants America to think he reinvented Christmas. We can say Merry Christmas again. He has said on numerous occasions, both during the campaign and presidency, Christmas is back better than ever before. He told supporters a month before the Christmas
He's just
season.
talking.
He is doing what a guy who's very persuasive does to try to get people on his camp. He's a fucking politician.
He's also got a sense of humor,
But
by
it's
the
not
way.
even true. But what he's doing here is not even true, because he in the past did a lot of tweets about happy holidays, like people pulled them up, that he used to say happy holidays all the time, like
Yeah.
really recently was tweeting happy holidays. And then the idea that Obama never said Merry Christmas is 100% horseshit. There's a whole video of Obama saying Merry Christmas over and over
What's
and
wrong with
over
Merry
again.
Christmas?
Nothing wrong with it. This idea is he's trying to sell people on the idea that your Christian values have been suppressed by this mediocre left-wing government, and he's stepping in here to make America great again. It's all a hustle.
Yeah.
But it's not white nationalists and Nazis. Like, you can't say Nazis. The problem is when you say that, you leave the word Nazi loses its fucking meaning.
Yeah, they're irresponsible journalists. They're not journalists. They're irresponsible.
Yeah, what he's doing is he's being a fucking politician. He's being a weasel. He's trying to pretend that Christmas was we never had Christmas before. We're gonna have Christmas now.
Yeah.
And all the dopes, all the yokels, like, yeah, bring him back Christmas, Donald.
Yeah.
There's guys out there with "Make America Great Again" tattoos. You just understand this. This is real. Like, there's people with like red hat tattoos that say "Make America Great Again" on. There's dummies in every fucking quadrant of this earth.
But I have to say that the mainstream media, and I know I've never been a fan of Trump, but the way they treat him with this kind of stuff that I constantly hear, this petty shit, the way he drinks water and stuff, it's made made me more sympathetic.
But he's
Come on,
brought
listen,
it on
bro.
himself.
When you drink water
He's
like
brought it on
this,
himself.
you drink water like this.
It's
I gotta talk
strange.
to you. I gotta.
He's a strange guy.
When
That's
you
not
drink
nice.
12
guys. It's fucking
When
weird.
you drink 12 Diet Cokes, I mean, we're gonna fucking.
It might be true, or I don't believe it. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
That's the other problem.
There's another bunch of
Because he tells a lot
series
of lies
quotes,
too, though.
Series of quotes from him from back in the day saying, "Why would you drink Diet Coke? You drink Diet Coke. People who drink Diet Coke are almost all fat. Diet Coke makes you fat. It's been proven." There's a whole series of tweets.
Yeah.
Like he might have just forgot he made those tweets.
Well, he's shredded.
He just doesn't give a fuck.
Shredded.
Yeah,
Jacked.
he's in great shape.
Yeah. But I think that, first of all, he, as a president, here's a weird one. There was a terror attack that was thwarted by the FBI in San Francisco.
Yep.
You didn't hear a goddamn peep about it because he's against the FBI because of all this investigation shit. So the president of the United States didn't like congratulate the FBI, didn't tell the American people that the FBI has done a great job.
Have you
and
heard
the
about
FBI
this?
I know about that.
FBI
I know about the terrorist attack. I read that.
thwarted a legitimate terrorist attack, and this is all this whole "Make America Great Again" stuff, right? You want to stop the terrorists. He, as a political point, he avoided this.
Yeah.
How
FBI
crazy is that?
It's terrible.
He
FBI
holds a grudge.
Arrests man suspected of plotting ISIS-inspired Christmas terror attack in San Francisco.
It was an
in
American,
39.
it was
You
an
and I have been
American
there many
Marine.
times.
It was a Marine who went, started going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just
That's
very.
where we hang.
It's very crazy.
Dark in this.
Yeah, and how about he started? They caught him. He started to like ISIS posts on Facebook, and then he reached out to ISIS and went, "Hey, looking to complete this mission. How do I get a hold of the guns and bullets?" And ISIS is like, "Homeboy, if you have to ask for the gear, it might not be for you.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you
like
talking
they're
about?"
dumb.
Yeah,
they're
like,
go meet us on the dock.
like
where the
ISIS
secret
is like,
code.
"Hey, asshole, get out of here,
Yeah.
man!" And then
Have
he got
our
caught.
flag on your truck as you pull up. Make it super obvious.
Every time I've been Pier 39, and I've been there. Every time I go to San Francisco, I always think that. I'm always like,
I don't think like that.
"Damn, this
Well, a
place
lot
looks."
of people though have been making this comment on why did the president not discuss this?
Yeah.
Like, well, this is something that, like, when you address the nation, you have to talk about it. And even if he's in some sort of a squabble with one aspect of the FBI, you have to recognize that they did their job here.
Yeah.
This is why they're
Hell yeah.
important.
Great job.
Yeah, and this is why they're important. Like they literally protected American lives, and he's not mentioning it.
Yeah, he has
so
to
this
put
petty
his-
bullshit
yeah.
that they do when they're saying things like how Trump stole Christmas with white nationalists and Nazis. That kind of petty shit enforces his petty shit.
Yep. Gets in the way of real news.
And they go at it. They go at each other back and forth, and nothing gets done.
Someone needs to grow the fuck up and should be the president. Probably.
but he won't.
Newsweek needs to grow the fuck up too. You can't say things like that. That's silly.
We've
That's
always
the culture
relied
we
on.
live
We should be able to rely on the mainstream news. And I know I'm going to get a lot of emails about the mainstream.
Eddie
news.
Bravo was calling you right
I know,
now.
but we should be able. We should rely on them to at least report the facts. Man. At least objective facts. That was the whole point of journalism. They were the fourth estate. They keep power in line.
Yes.
They speak truth to power. That's the whole idea in a democracy. You need a free press. But now with money, ratings, it has corrupted.
Well, there's also
Money
the thing-
corrupts.
Gotta make money, son.
the fucking internet, man. The internet came along, and pretty much anybody can be a news source now. Anybody can be a hashtag journalist. There's a lot of fucking
Change
fake.
the game up.
Yeah, there's a
Change
lot.
the game up. Credentials are different.
Well,
Spread
I was-
rumors.
I was-
Wikipedia pages.
I was saying this the other day. I'm writing something about this, but like the idea that you in social media, we all have moments where we do some crazy shit, where we say stuff out loud that's like politically incorrect, or we just behave in a way that like could make you crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like my dog ran into my knee the other day. I was like, fuck, it hurt, and I instinctively kicked at him. I was just like fucking, and I kicked, and I missed her. But, dude, it looked like I tried to kick my fucking dog in the ribs. Because, by the way, in that split second, I was trying to kick my dog, who I love very much, in the ribs. She hit my knee. I was like, Like my
I don't think
reaction.
there's anything wrong with giving your dog a little knee tap.
Correct. If somebody
think you
caught
should
that on
kick 'em,
camera, if somebody
little
caught
shove.
if somebody caught that on camera,
Yeah.
I mean,
Now
kick
I'm-
your dog in the ribs.
listen, I'm just saying, somebody caught that on camera, it would have been Bryan Callen. If I was famous, they'd be like, say I was a politician or whatever. I'm done. I'm the dog kicker,
true.
right?
Yeah, and you should be.
That's a comedic
And
example.
you
but it's
should
true.
be.
Yeah. But I'm saying that nowadays, and I was thinking about this, nowadays, anything that you do, if you're having a moment, or you make a mistake.
Describe a moment, though, B. I think you got to be careful with
Hold
this.
on, I'll tell you. You're making a mistake. I don't know. It could be.
Give me an example.
It could be you got caught at a strip club. You were making out with a girl behind a dumpster, but you're married. Whatever it might be. There are a lot of examples where everybody's fucking
Dumpster.
up. Like my buddy.
You saying like a Kevin Hart situation? He's fine.
Hold on. My buddy who owns buildings, he gets sued all the time. And what he does is he'll just hire a private investigator, and he just follows the dude. He'll just follow the person.
Whoever's suing him.
Yeah. And I go, why do you do that? He goes, Well, because everybody he's ever followed, he goes, everybody is always fucking up in one aspect of their life.
Well, especially someone who's sleazy who tries these like illegitimate lawsuits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he always finds evidence that they're doing something. I got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend, whatever. It's always something.
But
right?
you're fine, B.
So-
So let's say in a hypothetical situation, you were cheating on your wife, you came out.
Here's the larger
You're
point.
fine.
The larger point is this. I was thinking about like how I was taking Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Hemingway,
Oh, boy.
Picasso, and Einstein. All
Dirtbags.
known philanderers, known to cheat on their wives, just known they're poor. I mean, and just real ladies, men, and beyond.
Well, how about Kennedy?
Forget
Everybody
that.
wants to keep talking
Forget
about
that.
how Bill Clinton got caught with
Yeah.
Monica Lewinsky.
Dude.
There was a woman who came out who was like one of the aides in the White House. I believe she was 19. Kennedy made her suck his dick and
Yeah.
suck her friend's
JFK
dick.
fucked everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And so what I'm saying is that in the days of social media now, we would have dilated on that. And we
Sure.
would have looked at that.
He couldn't
and
have
I
acted
wonder,
like
is
that.
that what we want to focus on? Because with those men, let's just take those men. They could have been discredited and cut out at the knees, depending on when that activity was exposed.
Okay, but
and
you're talking about technology.
It could have undermined
But hold
everything
on.
they were working for.
But hold on, isn't it possible that we need to have a more realistic understanding of what a human being
Yes.
is, and then seeing all these flaws in a person, and then getting past that is maybe the way to go?
Yes,
And
the way the Europeans do.
But our problem is that we're dealing with this old model where everybody was like some fucking Cary Grant dude in a
Yep.
movie. And the good guys wore white hats, the bad guys wore black hats.
And that's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
That's
it's not
American.
Real humans.
Yes.
Our
But
problems.
But isn't it American because it hasn't been exposed and we don't have a new realization of what human beings are? And so isn't all of this excruciating, detailed information that comes out about anybody that's seeking power, isn't it ultimately like a good thing? To see like, oh, he's like me. I know I fuck up. He's like me. Oh, that guy's like me too. So instead of thinking there's some person, some Dalai Lama guy who's going to come save us, the one guy on the planet that doesn't have any vices.
Yeah.
Instead of that, maybe we should have a more honest interpretation of what it means to be a human
and
being.
compassionate understanding that sometimes we're Jordan Peterson said something fucking amazing to me. He goes, we're ruled by different gods depending on the moment, the time of day. We're ruled by the god of sex, the god of jealousy, the god of anger, the god of resentment.
Yeah.
It just depends on the moment, which is his argument for an overreaching god.
But I want my president to be better than me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him to have same vices as me.
held to the higher standard.
Yeah,
We've
I'm
always
gonna
said
have-
But
gonna
they're
hold
going
my-
to be better than you anyway. There's just because they have the same flaws that you have doesn't mean they're not better at you than running the government. Like at running the
but
government.
if he has a drug addiction and he's fucking hookers nonstop
Sure.
on the side, I don't want him running my country.
and you'll be held
but he could be the
accountable
mayor
for
of
that.
Toronto, like Rob Ford did a great job while he was mayor of Toronto, smoking
Bill
crack.
Clinton
and-
wasn't bad either.
Exactly. I just think we
You're
need
crazy to think
we
Obama
need a
got
more
a dick suck.
nuanced point of view of what human beings are, and I think we've lost it. I think we're very Americans.
But I
have
think
to
don't you think people are being held accountable more though, B? Like there's actual like bad dudes who are like, it's out now.
Yes,
like,
yes.
shit,
Like
like
Harvey
Weinstein.
Weinstein.
Yeah,
You're
there's
fucked.
good and bad. There's good and bad to this, but I just hope that we come back around to the fact that human beings are complicated, that we're all fucking up, that it just because I fuck up in this aspect doesn't mean I'm a bad person all the way through. And Trevor Noah said something that was interesting. He said, what I don't understand about Americans is how you can't be both things. Why do you have to be one thing or another? You got to have a black hat or
Yeah.
a white hat. Can you be? Is it possible to
mix.
to sympathize with the Black Lives Matter and also be pro cop? Can you have both? Is that possible?
No, we pick teams. We pick
Got to pick teams. Teams are the way.
Well,
You
it's
can't
very
be
common
tribal.
to pick teams for sure. So it's an instinct that we have. I think we are getting better at understanding what a human being is. And I think to equate Harvey Weinstein with finding flaws in politicians is very different.
I agree.
Because what he was doing was essentially
a
he was
rapist.
not just that, he was like that was part of how he engineered his business.
Yeah.
He engineered his business to like feed his sexual harassing and sexual assault appetite.
He's a piece of shit all the way
that's
around.
that's
In
going
his
on in
fucking
other
contract.
But that's going on, I think, in other corporations, just not in entertainment.
Like
so
that?
I
Like
think
the
so.
way he did it,
I
where
think so.
the girls had to fuck him to get parts?
Yeah,
I think he's
so.
an outlier. I think he's a
I don't
bad
think so.
man.
I think he's an outlier.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think when there
you mean you
comes
don't think
power
so?
and there's pretty girls, I think men are going to abuse that power.
Right,
Not
but there's
always.
levels of
I'm not
abuse.
saying always.
Yeah.
I'm not saying always.
Some
But
guys-
if you think Harvey Weinstein in that position of power is the only guy to do that to that level, you're crazy.
No, but
No,
B,
no, no
aren't
one's saying
women
that.
are also drawn to power, right? So a
I
lot
like
of
how you
women
guys
are
call each other
attracted.
B, like you're fucking 15-year-old
I know.
kids in Brooklyn, you dorks.
We're cuties. Because we're a couple of cuties.
See, and I agree, it's scary, but I think it's a witch hunt only for witches, man. It doesn't bother me.
No, you
like I'm
can't say
glad
that.
these guys get turned out.
No,
like
you
that.
can't say that because a witch hunt is the witch hunt is also like based on hearsay and accusation and not proof. So you have to have due process.
For some.
Yes.
For some.
You have to have due process. That's all. We all know that we live now at a time when just accusations can ruin your entire career.
Well,
I mean,
I think
you know,
part of the
Give me an
problem
example,
is
B. Whose career has it ruined that wasn't true?
I don't
Garrison
know.
Keillor.
Garrison Keillor is a good example.
Garrison Keillor's the best example. He's a guy like his entire career. He's been known as this like super nice guy. He consoles
nice
some
guy.
woman, hugs her. His hand goes down her shirt on her back. She pulls back. He apologizes. He sends her a letter apologizing. She accepts it. They stay friends, and then she goes public with it when all this Me Too stuff comes out. She
And he
feels
got
compelled.
fired?
She didn't just get fired.
I
They
think Al
changed the name
Franken.
of his thing.
Al Franken,
but
too.
Al Franken admitted he did some shit that he shouldn't have done and grabbed some butts and
God, see, Al's almost a
disagree.
better point. I think Al. I
He
don't
should've
think
stood
he's
up
a
for
bad
himself.
guy.
I don't think he's a
No.
bad guy either. I don't
Should've
think he's a
stood
bad
up for
guy either.
himself.
Yeah.
He didn't stand
Yeah,
up for
Al
himself.
Franken's a good example.
Well, he did for a
He got
while,
fucked.
and then he couldn't.
And all the Democrats now are in Minnesota are having second thoughts. He shouldn't retire. Hey, you fucking guys, you mobbed up on Twitter like a little proportion. We need to have.
But who's we though? You're talking about such a large number of
There
humans.
needs to be a
Some
national
people mobbed
narrative.
up because it's naturally in their
Yeah.
fucking behavior pattern.
There needs to be a
Correct.
national narrative on where the line is too. A lot of people don't know where like I know where the line is. You know where the line is to me? Like if you don't want something and I'm humiliating you or embarrassing you, and if I did that because I'm an idiot, then I got to make amends and figure out what I did wrong.
You're 100% right, but we have to understand what you're saying when you're saying the line. The line includes free speech, and free speech for 320 million people is going to leave an exorbitant amount of human beings that feel like they should gang up on everybody anytime
Yep.
something goes sideways.
Yep.
And that's what you see, and that's what you feel. And
Mob
then
mentality.
media companies react to that
Yep.
because they don't want blowback, they don't want boycotts, they step in and fire people that
Hysteria.
maybe shouldn't get fired.
But I
Mass
also think
hysteria.
in the workplace it's scary. Even for me, there was a female comic the other night. We're on the lineup, and I'm into fashion. I'm almost too gay with it. But she had this dope coat on. I thought about. I said something about her coat, and I thought, fuck, was that too like? Was I too forward with her about her coat? Like I'm scared of it now.
Right, you gotta be
know,
careful how it's
there's
interpreted.
There's a male in the room, and I was like, dude, where'd you get that coat from? We're talking about coats.
Right.
And I saw hers, and then she was about to go on stage, and I was like, I love your coat. That coat is dope. And I grabbed her like arm. I was like, oh,
you gotta
is
be
she
careful.
gonna like blast out?
Isn't
like,
that fucked up though that you
I,
can't do
and
that?
I thought,
Well,
fuck,
it depends.
man.
See, the
But
reason why
think
it's
about the
fucked up is
workplace.
because your intentions. Your intentions are only like you really do love fashion, and you see a really nice coat, and you're like, ooh, that is nice. Like you really like the way I would look at a nice car.
Yes.
Wait, what about if a woman's beautiful and I go, you are fucking, you're
Yeah, no.
astonishingly
Can't do that.
beautiful.
You can't do that.
No.
In
Why
the
not?
workplace,
Because the way you do it, you start
That was
humping
aggressive.
your
Well,
back.
I'm not wearing- I'm
and
not
you-
wearing
pants.
Your crotch
you
comes
also
forward.
touch them.
Yeah,
You
I'm
take
not-
the
I'm
shape
not
of a
wearing
C.
pants.
Yeah.
You take the shape of a letter C, and you start moving
Like a
towards
giant
them.
cashew. That's weird. Why do you
Yeah.
think that's weird? I'm
Because if I
being
was
complimentary.
my sister, I'd want to punch you in the face.
Ah.
Fuck
I
away from my
agree.
sister. You
Yeah, but I
freak.
box.
Think about it in the workplace too. Like you can't if a girl was a pretty dress.
The letter C.
I saw a comic tweet out, can't a girl wear a dress without being fucking complimented on it? I'm like, fuck, man.
Without being complimented on
yeah.
it? What do you mean?
Like, can't we just dress up and you can't say a word? Like, you don't see guys saying, "Hey, nice tie." Like, can't women come in the office and not get remarks? Like, fuck, that's the world we're living in, man. You can't say, "Man, you look great today."
Oh, so
you
what
look
you're,
gorgeous
you're,
today.
you're confusing this. What you're saying is, can't a woman come into the office and get positive remarks, and have it be a good thing?
Get no positive. Like, can't the man not say anything about a woman the way she looks in the office place? Can't she just be another employee?
A woman was asking for
Yeah,
that.
a woman goes, can you guys just not comment
The
on the
woman
way
is saying that?
Yes.
Oh, a woman was saying
She
that.
doesn't know what
that's
it's like to be a
weird.
man.
Well, you
Sometimes
know.
you want to compliment somebody. There's nothing
But
wrong with
there's
compliments.
also the reality, and this is something I've been talking about in my act a lot. There's a reality of the way women are allowed to dress, both on television and in real life, in office situations where they expose enormous swaths of skin. which men are not. If men in the office were wearing skirts and you could see their toes and they had sleeveless shirts, and this is common.
Yeah.
This is commonplace, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing inappropriate about it, and I'm not commenting on it, like criticizing it, but the reality of the way women are allowed to dress. Like if you watch Megyn Kelly on television, she's, especially during the Fox News days when she's the Ice Princess, she wore these very small dresses that looked like she was going out for a hot night on the town.
Not mad at it.
Jamie, bring that up for a second.
It's not a bad thing, man.
No, it's not a bad thing.
There's videos
Sure.
that just show women on Fox News crisscrossing and uncrossing their legs and then dangling their shoes
How
off
about
their
the weather
feet.
girls?
Woo!
Check out the weather girls
Yeah,
in Latin
there's-
America.
No,
There's-
weather
and-
girls in L.A., son.
everywhere. So girls that dress like that should be allowed to dress any fucking way they want.
Yeah.
But there is a reality of the way they're dressing that is way more sexually suggestive than anything that a man is allowed to wear.
Yeah.
There's not a sexual equality when it comes to wardrobe. When it comes to wardrobe in an office, if every woman dressed like Barbara Walters in the 1980s and wore a fucking pantsuit and, you know, had like one of those big collars on and shit, like dressed like Ellen. Like
Yep.
every woman was like Ellen
Be a
when she
bummer.
hosts her show.
Would be a
This is why all
But
women
that's-
should be in burqas.
But that is, that outfit, that Ellen outfit, is basically like a female version of what men wear.
Yeah.
When men are on television, they wear a suit, jacket, they wear a nice shirt, they wear pants with a belt.
Isn't there also a truth to how men naturally are drawn to women in certain outfits? I mean, like men are more visual
Talking about yoga.
overall
You talking
than
about
women.
yoga pants, sir?
Talking about just how men can
Yeah,
see
look at
through
that
a
Megyn
cardboard.
Kelly.
What?
Get in the fuck out of here.
Yes.
How is that the face of a woman who's giving you the
She's a
news?
serious journalist.
Yeah, she's so, and that was back when she was like way hotter. She
I
was
got
younger.
no problem with that.
I don't have a problem with it
taking
either,
on,
but
her
what
new
is
gig.
that? Go in the upper right-hand corner of that series out there. Look at that. Get the fuck
I'm
out
not
of
mad
here.
at her at all.
She's stupid hot, right?
Ridiculous.
So
Short hair now,
but
which I disagree
imagine
with.
now,
I disagree with.
Don Lemon wearing that same outfit.
Well, I wouldn't look good in that. Actually, I have good legs.
They're okay.
You don't know, dude. You've seen me in high heels?
You're okay.
Don Lemons is better.
You don't
to be.
have good legs.
Who?
You.
Yes, I
They're
do.
okay.
Well, you have shit.
Let's
You have
be
shit
honest,
all
what
over.
bothers
You
me,
have
dude.
psoriasis.
Yeah, my psoriasis flared up again. I mean, fuck off. It flared up again.
Hey,
gotta
Megyn
stop
Kelly's
eating
not wearing
bread.
that short
I
dress
did.
with psoriasis.
I did. I know. But I think my flu caused my psoriasis.
I'm
I don't
sure.
wanna
No,
talk
you have
about
it all the time.
I just got it again.
at your
then
fucking
we
legs.
have to make sure that we let everybody know what we're saying here. I'm not saying that women should be sexually harassed because they dress sexy.
No, I'm saying if you wear something that looks nice in the office, I think guys should be like, "Damn, you look really good today." and not
But it's a
get fired.
problem because that if the girl responds to that, then the guy's like, "Ooh, she wants the dick." And
I
then
know, guys
she has
are
to be
meatheads. I know.
careful about how she walks to the water cooler by herself, and you're gonna come up to her and she's on her way to the bathroom and ask her weird questions.
I
and-
know. It's a
Men are
bummer.
fucking
But don't a
weird.
lot of people get married in the workplace? Don't they have romances in the workplace? Don't they
Not
meet
anymore,
their
buddy. That
lovers
shit's
there?
illegal.
Yeah,
Shit's
not
illegal.
anymore, brother.
Maybe it should be, but I don't know. That's where a lot of that's where you meet people. Oh, we'll have a bunch of people who are really unhappy. That's going to make men and women unhappy.
I know a
This
lot-
is puritanical.
I know a lot of people that, especially in like the TV business,
Yeah.
that like the writer would like hook up with one of the girls who was in production,
Yeah.
and then they want to being married
Yeah.
and having kids.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And I also know a lot where the writer would hook up with one of the girls in production, and then they would break up, and it would be a fucking
Sure.
disaster on the set, and one of them would wind up leaving.
Let
and-
individuals take that responsibility. Okay, you know what we're all asking for?
Let them figure it out.
We want a higher authority, a corporate, nameless, faceless bureaucracy
Control our personal life.
to lay down these laws on high in stone. And there are certain things you can't do. No relationships whatsoever. I don't care if
agree,
you're two
that's
human
ridiculous.
beings.
I know.
Awesome. The workplace is going to be fucking great.
Okay,
Americans
let me
going to
throw-
be fucking happy.
let me throw a scenario
Fuck
at
that.
you.
We're tailoring
Instead of
to the
giving
bad guy.
individuals
I know.
the responsibility for managing their own relationships, their own romance.
I know.
And now
Those
in
guys like you
colleges,
that fucked
and
it up
now in
first.
fucking colleges, my nephew's got to sit there and every step of the way sexually, he's got to go, is this okay? Is this okay?
Kind
He's
of.
got to get consent every time.
Every
Fuck
10
You gotta
seconds.
relax, Brian.
Fuck that
You gotta
too.
relax.
Fuck that.
You
I
gotta
won't.
relax. 'Cause I went to
It's-
Arizona State
it's
and everybody
Big
fucking
Brother,
everyone
It's
still.
Big Brother. It's tyrannical, and it's not going to make anybody happier or safer. It's all bullshit. You know what people? You know why you walk a girl to her car at night? Not because men, not because of rape culture, not because men are dangerous, because there are psychos out there, because there are psychotics, because
I think
1%.
both.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
both.
both. I think both.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of guys. You got to watch out for. If you
Of
walk on a
course
girl in
there
the
are.
parking lot, there's going to
Or
be guys
one
and girls
guy.
by herself.
All it takes is one guy in a van.
Right,
What
but
I'm
it's not
saying
just
is that,
psychos. It's sometimes just a guy with a couple of drinks in him who's
Yeah,
an
drunk
asshole.
dudes. It's whatever.
listen, man, all my friends who are drunk, we've talked about this. You know, all
don't
my
drag me into this.
Seems anecdotal.
rapists in jail. Rapists in jail have to be protected from the other inmates. Men who are regular guys like us don't like those
hold
fucking
on,
guys.
No, child rapists have to be protected. There's a lot of guys that are in jail. Like Patrice O'Neal got arrested once, falsely accused of rape. And one of the things that he said was that when he went into jail, he was worried. And guys would be like, no, that's a skin beef. They would call it a skin beef. It's like, that's not, like, no one thinks you're a rapist. It's one thing if you get accused of being like some serial rapist or breaks
Then
into
you're
women's,
fucked.
then you're
Yeah,
fucked.
yeah.
But a guy who a girl, they have a dispute and the girl claims the guy raped
Oh,
her,
yeah, I know.
Oh,
which
word.
no one wants to admit happens, and it happens way less. I think way more women don't report rape, way more than women report false rapes.
Oh, I agree,
I agree.
100%.
I agree.
100% of that.
Way more
They're
women
scared
are
to come out.
embarrassed,
Yeah.
disturbed, sickened.
Yep.
They feel
Look,
dehumanized. They don't even want to discuss it. They would rather not be outed as someone who got raped and let this person get away with it. That's a common thing with women.
That's why I
Agreed.
think some of this hashtag
but
Me
hold
Too
on.
is good.
But also, some women lie. That happens too.
That's a bummer. But you can't.
But they're humans.
They're humans, but you can't tailor everything towards those few negative apples.
No, you
Look,
don't.
man.
But you don't tailor anything towards the idea that those apples are non-existent and impossible.
No.
Correct.
But I'm going back to the office space. You're going to always deal with false accusations. You're going to deal with people who don't report things. You're going to deal with all these things in the wide spectrum of humanity.
Right.
I just don't think that this zero tolerance, nobody's allowed to date anybody because we don't want to, and that's where we're at. That's what happens now. I don't agree with
We
it.
talked about it on our show, and I never even thought about it till we were at the Comedy Store. And when I told that girl nice coat, I thought, oh, fuck, do I seem
Yeah,
creepy?
great.
Because she's young, she's
Right.
21.
We're back to Puritan
amazing
days.
comic.
I got to piss.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
piss.
get the fuck out of here.
You guys are very
If
aggressive
you bring
with
up
each
your
other.
nephew one more fucking
Who's his
time,
nephew?
Elbow you.
I don't know. He's going to some school I guess can't talk.
You don't.
Go pee. We'll be right back. Jesus Christ.
Man, he gets on.
You
one
two are
time.
like an old married couple. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I want to kill him some days.
But I think we're talking too much about sexual harassment.
I agree.
But I think
people will shut it down. You know what the problem is with sexual harassment too? Is it's everywhere. So when
also
they
the
tune into
problem
shows like
is-
this, they don't want to fucking hear it here either.
Well,
Neither
people,
do I really.
People are trying to work it out. I think that's one of the important things about talking about it. But the problem is men are talking about it. Like, we don't know jack shit about it.
Like
We
I said, I don't really deal
if
with
we
it
don't
till that
deal
night.
with it, and we don't. But here's the thing: like, no one's coming at us with it. Like, I've only had gay guys hit on me aggressively a couple times ever in my life. And it
Andy
was,
Dick tried sucking my dick. I felt uncomfortable.
That's Andy Dick.
I'm just kidding, by the way.
kinda
He
fake.
tried, but he's awesome.
Yeah, but I had a comic once at the Montreal Comedy Festival, like late at night when we were all hanging around the bar, get super aggressive with me.
Really?
Yeah. Super, way back in the day. This was like, I want to say like late 90s. Real uncomfortable moment where I had to tell him, get the fuck away from me.
Bigger dude too. Like could have been some problems. He tried to suck
No,
your dick.
it wasn't like a physically threatening thing. I literally told him I would stomp a fucking hole in his chest if he touched me again.
Did it work or did it turn him on?
No, it worked. Yeah. No, I was serious. I was
Yeah.
like, you got to stop
He knew
touching
what
me.
was up, yeah.
Well, he was drunk and
Yeah.
I wasn't. It was one of those weird moments where someone is like being sexually aggressive. They think it's funny, and then they try to take it to the next level to show you how crazy they are.
Yeah,
or
like,
something
hey,
like that.
bro.
I was like, dude, do not touch me like this. And then I realized, like, oh, this is what it's like when you're a woman, except the woman can't kill the guy.
I know.
Like, I'm dealing with a doughy, drunk comedian that I could kill.
Yeah, if he tried anything, you just whoop his ass. Where women don't have that
Whereas
option.
they don't have that
I know,
option
it's scary.
at all.
Oh, no.
And it's not funny. They weren't, with a woman, it's not a funny situation. With me, it's like, it was funny. It was never like I was nervous. But it was like, God, this is gross.
Well, I think you look at it different too because you have 2 daughters.
I do now. I
Yes.
didn't then.
I'm saying now
Yeah.
you do, where it's like, fuck, man, it's
Well,
scary.
you do that. Just having children, you look at people so differently because children are so vulnerable. And when you have a little kid and you see that little kid trying to make their way through the world, you think about them being victimized by some sort of an evil predator, and it's fucking awful. It's a terrible feeling. It's a weird thing that we have to reconcile. The fact that some people do prey on other people's vulnerabilities and weaknesses and
Dude, boy or
naivete.
girl?
Yeah,
boy or girl. Like
girl.
I'm looking for a new nanny, and you hear all these horrible stories about nannies and the molest kids. So it's
Molest
freaking-
kids, beat
I do not
kids.
play that shit.
There's some horrible videos of nannies like lifting kids up and throwing them against their crib, and you can't watch them.
Makes me sick.
They're so infuriating. You know,
Makes
these
me
people.
sick.
one kid was all fucked up and bruised, and the parents put this fucking camera, and they caught the lady picking the kid up by his arms and literally throwing him across the room. And you watch it, you're just like, oh my God.
It'd be tough for me not to go to prison if I came home and saw that. It'd
would be really tough.
so tough. I have some more self-control than a lot of people. It'd be so tough.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know what
Not
they
to choke the
you know what they
life
say
out
that
of her.
gave rise to the helicopter parent phenomenon, and
That?
one of the things they talk about, like how students are so entitled, and they became sort of like this idea that they can say anything they want, and that's sort of the whole movement of my personal sovereignty is everything. One of the theories would be that in the 80s, when kids started disappearing and you started reading about it, they ended up on the back
The
of
white
milk cartons.
vans.
All of us as parents, as human beings, there's nothing worse, right? You can't think of anything worse.
Right.
And that created this, every parent, your biggest fear, right? So
100%.
now you go, I'm not letting my kid take his bike down to the neighbors
Right.
because it might only be 600 yards, but
John
some-
Wayne Gacy might be waiting.
that's
Yeah.
right.
My dad didn't let me walk home.
That's always happened, actually. But it was, now people say, remember when we used to be able to play out there? It's always happened. But we started learning about it. People started
Right.
establishing patterns about it. Then we had like certain serial killers, like John Wayne Gacy and Ted Bundy and stuff like that. And we,
Dude, I dodged bullets twice in my own life.
So
I
did I.
dodged a bullet
So did
once
I.
when I was about 8 years old, and again when I was about 13.
When you mean dodge a bullet, you mean
Guys are trying to fuck me.
What?
Yeah, yeah. A guy tried to take me out of a library when I was a little kid. The librarian starts yelling out. He was going to show me these books in his car, and the librarian started yelling out, "Joseph, you get away from him. That guy just got out of jail." And I'm fucking crying, and I run to
Yikes,
her, and the
man.
guy runs out of there.
Wow.
And then another time when I was 13, some guy like literally tried to get closer and closer to me and my friends. He would jog around this lake that we would fish at, sit down and talk to us, seemed like a super nice guy. And then it got creepier and weirder until one day he showed up drunk and he told me he loved me and that no love could be, you can't have
What?
love without sex. And I was like,
The
what?
hell, man?
And I was 13 and I was a little skinny kid and I was hiding. We were in this area of this pond where it's like, there's
He's
not
a
a lot
man,
of people.
right?
He's a man, a big man too.
Do what he wants,
And
yeah.
there's, I'm waiting for a jogger to come by and catch this guy fucking me in the
Dude.
ass in the bushes. Like,
No
what do
thanks.
I do? There's
So
not
what'd you
enough
do?
I told him to get the fuck away from me. I put my hand in my pocket where I had a knife. I held onto the knife like as if I could. A 13-year-old tries to cut
dick.
you.
You cut that dick though.
Maybe. I mean, if he didn't grab your arms first, I wasn't strong. I mean, I
Punch
was
in the face.
super vulnerable. But my point is, I got lucky and dodged 2 bullets in my life.
Yeah.
And they weren't bad bullets. It wasn't like some guy chloroformed me and threw me in a van and
Not a
fucked me in
good
the ass
bullet,
for a
though.
month.
That's scary.
But it's not worst case scenario. But it was enough to know that those things are real and they're out there. There's a lot
so
of
my
people.
buddy,
out there.
my buddy got from the age of 9 to 12. This guy was just this master manipulator, and he ended up like getting essentially raped from 9 to 12. And he was their neighbor. He was like a probably 25, whatever, and he lived and he did work around the place. And what he was really good at was he got my friend to he created a sympathetic character. So my friend felt like he was like, I was having sex with him because I felt like I was taking care of him. Otherwise he would die if I didn't.
Oh,
like he was.
Jesus
And so,
Christ.
yeah, so he put all this stuff on him. And then what happened was he went through all that. His mother, like they found out, his mother said, you did nothing wrong. But they didn't know. They fucking, this is in the 70s or like in the early 80s. They go through the whole thing. The guy, I think, went to jail. But it was later that trauma began to
Oh, for
manifest
sure.
itself. Like later on,
Ugh.
and he was never really. He's never been
never
okay.
the same.
No, he's got to be feeling gross
Horrible.
and dirty and just.
You hate yourself.
Yeah.
Like he
Is he gay?
No, but he's not gay. But he was never able to. I don't want to say too much because he's. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I was close to him. You might have known. I think I've told you a little bit about him. He would paint.
Do
He
I
was
know
a
him?
great painter. I have some of his paintings in my home, and he was such a great special guy. But he would paint the same thing over and over again, and he never ever painted anything a different variation.
This podcast got dark.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I
Should we
think
go back to
humans
sexual
need to
assault?
pay attention to the worst aspects of our behavior. And one of the things that Jordan Peterson has said that I think is incredibly important is what scares us the most about Nazis and murderers and psychopaths and rapists is we are all human, and given the right set of circumstances with the right set of input and the right set of genetics and the right set of environments and the right set of life experiences and the right set of abuse in the household growing up, you could be that person too.
And enjoy it.
Yeah,
That's the
and
other
when
thing
you
he
talk
says.
to neuroscientists and people that are actually studying how the human brain develops, and one of the things that Robert Sapolsky said when I had him on the podcast was a really fascinating thing. He said that I think in the future we are going to look back at the idea of punishing someone for their actions as being so incredibly short-sighted and foolhardy, because what this person is, when you think about the concept of determinism, right? The concept of everything in your life has led you to be who you are right now, and your idea of free will is essentially an illusion. Your free will is based on so many different factors that you have no control over, and they influence you to such a great deal. The idea that this person who's in this terrible situation that does this terrible crime is just acting out of evil intentions is it's a foolish way of understanding how the human brain develops.
Yeah, when
So what's he
people
saying?
have
How would you treat those people?
It's a very good question, and no
Does
one
he
has
have an answer?
no one has answered that.
Back in the day when somebody had an epileptic seizure, you were thought to have been possessed by a demon. If you hit somebody,
Seems legit.
you would be held accountable to that. But what I thought was fascinating is World War I. Dan Carlin talks about this as well. In World War I, when they didn't know what kind of concussion the bombs and their concussion would do to a soldier over and over, and sleep deprivation, living in those trenches. And what happened was some people would just begin to go into shock. They would get shell shocked. And so you could see them, their bodies would start to constrict and they couldn't really move. But back in the day, those guys would be brought out and shot for cowardice, because they were being cowards. They weren't, and you could see their bodies were
Just
actually
education.
manifesting. Right.
Well,
And
here's
they
the
just
thing
didn't.
too of like the problem with drafting an army or requiring people to sign up, or making it some sort of a cultural mandate is there's some people that are just not designed for
Hell
war.
no.
They can't handle pressure.
No.
There's a lot of people that just can't handle fucking pressure, period. And for whatever reason, whether it's biological, whether it's environmental, whether it's a combination of nature and nurture, who knows? But there's some people that just, as of right now, they just can't do it.
Yeah.
They just
It's not their
handle
thing.
pressure.
But
It's not
also
their thing.
there's injury. There's also
Sure.
like constant
Yeah.
sleep deprivation
yeah.
and injury that nobody can handle.
Right,
So-
and the shock
Yeah.
of impacts near you.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens to people, and obviously the psychological trauma of it all, and knowing that at any step you could step on a landmine, any step you could catch a bullet in the head, any step.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean-
Jordan said something else that was interesting. He's helped people with PTSD when they come back from a war, and they were from Iowa, and they had a very sort of linear notion of, first of all, the military. I want to be a man. I want to do the right thing. Duty, honor, loyalty. These linear concepts. Of course, you get into war, and all of that gets shattered. Sometimes it might even get mocked just because there's the fog of war. There's so many things you do, and some of these guys end up doing things that are, to them, or because of the circumstance, maybe inexplicably cruel, or just they did something that they can't live down. And he would always kind of help them see that human beings, being the bipolar ape that we are capable of incredible kindness and in beautiful construction. And of course, on the other side of that, you have in you the ability to do unspeakable violence and terrible destruction for its own sake. And oh, by the way, in the moment, enjoy it. That's being a human being. We're fucking complicated, man.
Because that's how
Sexuality is the same way.
that's also how we got here.
Yes.
The only way you get from the wild ape swinging through the fucking trees in the jungle to 2017 with your Tesla driving you down the street without you even touching the steering wheel, the only way you get to that is through aggression.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but you get to that through aggression and competition, because if you don't have that ability to survive, you're not going to get past the jaguars. You're not going to get past the invading tribes. You're not going to get. So you don't need that today.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need it today, but the only reason why we got out of those terrible situations is because we had the ability to become that monster that defends itself, or that monster that attacks for its own interests. That's literally what facilitated us developing.
Yeah, and also the fact that development requires a certain amount of destruction in terms of, like, I did this podcast with him I'm going to drop soon on mixed mental arts, and he said something, because somebody wrote this article, this woman, a professor, wrote this article about how certain speech is violent because when you say something that I disagree with or that hurts my sensibilities, it puts me in a state of stress, and that would be violence. And so Jordan said, fine, let's extrapolate for a second. Yes, it's true that words can pierce your heart. I mean, he said, I'd rather get punched in the face. You got to hear him say it. But he said, essentially, the problem is what about 6 months down the line? If I am trying to help you grow and become a better person, and I see a fundamental flaw in your behavior, in your character, and I tell you, if you have bad breath and you can't get a date, and I go, dude, your breath could melt paint. At first, it's going to be fucking embarrassing to you, but you're going to thank me 6 months down the line when you did something about it. More importantly, if you say to somebody, dude, you want to be, I see you trying to be this, whether a great comic, you don't write, you're not disciplined, whatever it might be. You don't want to hear that
about
initially.
the truth?
The truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a set of beliefs, sort of you built your house around this set of, like, sort of an ideology. You think you have the truth. And somebody comes along with a different idea, a different point of view that shatters those walls. And man, you don't like it. You want to go back to your safe space. But good luck growing. You don't get closer to the truth by fucking saying you're causing violence.
Well, I think the real problem with this is that these people are not trying to grow. The people that are trying to change the definitions of words to suit their own intentions, they don't want competition. And it's not by chance these are the same people that support Marxist ideologies. Yeah. They don't want competition. That's right. They want a lack of competition. They think competition is bad.
Yikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there, man.
Of course.
Because they're not good at it, because they don't want to face that ultimate objective view of who they really are and their actual capabilities. They'd rather get a bunch of fucking weird social justice brownie points for a bunch of weird things, and you know, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
Yep.
You're gonna, and you can see those patterns in the way those people talk. They have very specific ways of talking. You can point out very specific things that they say, things that they talk about. They're going to be the first to talk about white privilege. They're going to be the first to talk about, you know, trans rights and all these different. There's a way of talking, an actual pattern that the way they communicate. Your words are violence. There's literally a pattern that they've adopted, a predetermined pattern of behavior of thinking, the ideology, and the way they communicate, so they all know that they're on the same team.
Yeah, it's called owning your impact, your verbal impact.
Yeah. And there's a pattern to the way the noises come out of their mouth. It's fascinating because they're so uniform. It's so common to hear these people talk the same way. When Jordan Peterson got in this debate on television with this, it looks like a man, and I say it in the same way that they and them are, you know, pronouns. I don't mean to be negative. I don't know if this is a man or a woman, because he's clearly uber feminine, but has a beard, and says there's no biological difference in gender.
Yeah, he was a professor of medicine.
Yeah, at University of Toronto.
Yeah, I saw that. He goes, I'd be happy to unpack that for you, and it's like, XY chromosomes.
See if you could find that. See if you could just find that guy saying to Jordan Peterson,
it was because
there's no
they were trying to
basis
force him.
for gender.
They were trying to force him under penalty of law and fine or whatever and jail to not use someone's preferred pronoun, which I would do just because I don't want to hurt somebody's feeling. But they're trying to pass it as law. So if you didn't use Zer or whatever, you would be
bunch of fake gender pronouns that they're inventing.
You'd be tried
this is in Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd be tried for hate speech. And that's where we head. You know, with the communists, communism was a true religion in the Soviet Union, and they had essentially clergymen, people who were sort of, the purest form of a priest, the idea that somebody would go around and check with the soldiers to make sure that their piety, that their allegiance to the communist cause was intact, and they'd ask you questions and stuff.
Are other cultures having these problems where these surnames are coming up and all that stuff?
I mean, it's happening in Canada, it's happening in America. I'm sure it's probably happening in England.
Different ways.
It's happening like Europe and Brazil.
It did in the 20th century. It was called fascism. It was called communism. Human beings love religion. We're all religious, and there are man-made religions, and there are religions that are, at least purported to be from on high. At least with on high religions, they're rather fixed. It seems that man-made religions tend to be more ideologies. And the difference between those, by the way, is philosophy is something that's trying to get to the truth with logic and reason and debate. Ideologies, there's no room for debate. It goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
There's no room for debate. We have the answers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That is equality at all costs.
Yeah, I'd
And
be happy to unpack that for you.
yes.
Do we have that video or no?
We'll see if we can find it. Jamie will find it.
Trying to
It's-
see this baby.
I can't stand the guy, but
But it was a bizarre conversation because
put
it's
something
like,
heavy on
okay,
it.
I see what you're doing. You're trying to reinvent reality, and there's a bunch of people that support you. There's a bunch of other people that are delusional, and they're also right there with you trying to reinvent reality.
Is there a huge movement? Like, is this
Yeah.
a big thing?
There's enough that people are talking about it. The thing about
They're losing
movements
ground
is,
too, though.
yeah, of course they are.
Of course.
There's not enough people.
No.
There's not enough people going to support it. So many
the real
people are going to
movers
reject
gonna
it.
be like, get the fuck
Well,
out
not
of
only
here.
that, this is not like a behavior thing. This is science. You're talking about chromosomes. You're talking
science,
about
bro.
gender dysphoria. You're talking about all sorts of different issues that are like these are recognized actual issues that human beings have. Well, what are these issues though? Are you saying there's no scientific basis? You're saying you can't differentiate between a male and a woman, a man and a female? That is bizarre nonsense. Of course you can.
you
Of
could
course
make
you
the
can.
distinction between male and female, and then he and her in a way.
Here we
Like,
go.
Yeah,
This the bald one is the one who said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
woman.
Yeah.
That woman's in the women's studies department.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second.
He's not transgender.
There's something going on.
Something's going on.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not correct that there is such a thing as biological sex. And I'm a historian of medicine. I can unpack that for you at great
he's
length if
fucking
you want, but
crazy.
in the interest of time,
Oh, you're crazy.
I won't. So that's a very popular misconception. So essentially, when in my transgender studies classes, what we're doing is looking at actual research and identifying ways that current social issues related to trans people or things that are associated with trans, such as free speech arguments and claims, how
Arguments
that
and
connects
claims.
to
Free speech arguments
the
and
way
claims.
that people are thinking, the way that research has been framed, the histories
Give
of
us some of the
systemic-
other
Where's
pronouns
Jordan
that
Peterson?
one would
Is he on
hear,
here?
typically.
I don't focus on pronouns because pronouns are actually part of a cis-normative culture. So what we do is learn about...
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yes, I was just
Cisnormative?
about to explain.
Good.
So we don't start from
Some
a
more.
cis-normative
Okay, let's
perspective
kill this
because
before I
that...
throw up.
Dude, this guy's he's
Is
crazy.
that a guy or girl? That
That
used
would
to be a girl.
That's a man.
Did it used to be a woman?
He has a
though?
better beard than me. No, that's a man.
I
on
think,
hormones.
I
That's
think-
a man on hormones.
I think that's a man on a female that's on male hormones.
No, I disagree. I think it's.
Do you know who
look at
Buck
the hair? Look at
Listen
the
to me.
receding hair.
Do you know who Buck Angel is?
No.
Buck Angel is a porn star that was born a woman that became a man through hormones, and she was on the podcast. He was on the podcast. He's a he now. Talks exactly like that guy. Sounds just like him. That guy right there.
That's
born
Buck
a
Angel.
woman.
Really?
Born a woman. Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yeah,
you wanna
Yep.
see?
Yeah, but just play a clip of him
No.
on the podcast. This is what I want you to hear. I want you to hear the way he sounds because he sounds literally exactly like that guy. Like he could be doing an impression of that guy. Look at him.
What?
He's all jacked and yoked and shit.
How long ago is this?
A couple years ago, I want to say.
100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago. When we were, women had to run too. Women had to fight too. Women had to stay alive. Women had to protect their babies. I
right.
mean, they didn't have to do it as much or often.
Get
And
to
of
him,
course,
man. Get to him.
That larger the crazy.
Exactly.
And they'll be less likely to stick
Dude.
around and raise their
Exactly.
children.
No,
Cannot
clearly.
exist.
But don't they? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, the whole professional
voice.
bodybuilding thing.
That
because
used to be a
people are
female. Yep.
denying taking.
Yeah.
Let me see a before
Right,
picture.
but here's the thing.
Let me see that porno.
Same voice. I think that guy is a guy who was born a woman who took male hormones, just like Buck Angel.
Maybe.
You might be fucking right.
But the idea that there's no biological difference.
I don't see a naked picture, so let
That's
me see
a-
let me see the girl version.
So he doesn't have a penis. Wow.
That's not what he
what?
No. That's not what he looked like.
I see. What is the word I'm trying to look for?
That him right there?
That was before and after, it said.
Come on. Really?
That's
You
what
know,
it said.
what? Does this make sense? Like, I feel like if the
pretty
world,
girl.
if the world
Too
had
bad.
my attitude.
Fool me.
Wait, but like I feel
the
like
world had your attitude, everything would be
like,
perfect?
no, definitely not. But I think if the world had my attitude about this. Like, even as a kid, if I saw that somebody was very effeminate, or I saw that, like, say somebody was like, I feel like I'm a woman, but I want to be a man.
I have
or
no
I'm a
problem
man.
with that. Do your thing,
I would
man.
have protected that person, and more importantly,
I even do now.
think I would have gone out of my way to make no big deal about it, and they would have been included.
Yeah, but that's
And
not. We're not talking about you.
No,
What
no, I
we're
know
talking
that.
about
I
is
know
that sort of conversation is a nonsense conversation, and this
Yeah.
is going on over and over and
Yes.
over again because those people are in a cult. Eric Weinstein was on my podcast. Weinstein, sorry,
Yeah.
not like Harvey Weinstein. Eric Weinstein, the brother of Brett Weinstein, was on my podcast, and he said, here's how you know when you're in a cult. When you hear there is no biological difference between men and women,
Yeah.
you're in a cult.
Yes.
Who puts
that's
up
cult
with that,
talk.
though?
Yes.
Who's
It's
educated
super
that puts
common in
up with that
colleges
bullshit?
today. In
Colleges,
colleges today,
colleges.
you're hearing it left and right.
In major colleges.
Major universities.
In America.
Yes, in America. They're teaching this, and people
Yeah.
are afraid to correct them.
What the
They're afraid to
fuck?
say anything different about it.
And that's exactly right. And in fact, if you even say gender dysmorphia was considered dysphoria, sorry, was considered a mental illness for a long time. Even to suggest that may be a subset of the population. Maybe just it's worth it when you have a child.
You get
Just think of that.
backlash.
Maybe. Well, if you have a child who's thinking of themselves, there are people, Hollywood actors, that are having their children. I from what I have heard, haven't seen this. What I've heard from people that I know, their kids are going through. They're getting
Hormone
hormones.
therapy?
I think
They're
before
getting
that,
hormone blockers.
bef-
Owen Benjamin
yeah.
got in a shitload of trouble for talking about a guy who has a 3-year-old
That's
that he's
outrageous.
putting through hormonal blockers, and he was talking about how fucking insane that
It's
is.
insane.
People were barring Owen Benjamin from work.
Are you
They
kidding?
didn't- No,
Let
I'm
this
not.
I
child-
love that
Child-
Owen Benjamin guy, by the way.
Let
He's
this
just an
child-
animal.
Yeah,
let
he's
this
great.
child let this child develop.
It's
Let
child
them-
abuse.
Let
That
them
is
come up with
child
their
abuse.
own. Of
But-
course it is.
But if you talk to any legit doctors who know anything about it, they go, really, we shouldn't be doing anything till you're past 21 years
Right.
old. We shouldn't be doing anything. Then if you want to do it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Your
to
frontal
each its own.
cortex does not even fully develop
24,
until you're
right?
25.
Let
That was
them
one of the things that
decide.
Sapolsky talked about
Just
as
wait
well.
till you're 25.
Yeah, but they
Easier
want.
said than done.
There's some kids that at a very young age are very adamant about the fact they were born in the wrong body, and some of them you look
Some
at them
are.
and you go, "Well, it makes
That might be
sense."
right.
Yeah.
So it's like who's right and who's wrong, and when do you decide? But here's when you don't decide: 3.
3 is crazy.
3's crazy.
3, he should be put in jail.
There's something wrong with our culture where we think that that's a good idea to interfere with the hormonal system of a very complex thing, like a
3?
human being.
3?
Not only that,
it becomes this sort of this the thing to do.
But
It
there was
becomes
a thing.
stylish.
There was a
fad.
thing that the CDC. What is the Canadian Broadcast Network? CBC. They
touch my
didn't
foot.
want to talk about a story, and I tweeted this a while back too. They didn't want to have a story on about transgender children because they showed that 85% of the kids that wanted to be trans after a couple years changed their mind. There was a giant percentage of these kids that went through a phase. You know, Ruby Rose, that famous actress, who I think she's a lesbian. She's really pretty.
Yeah.
She was in that John Wick 2 movie.
Yeah.
She said that when she was young, that she had thought about being trans,
Yep.
and she's really happy that she didn't actually go through it with the hormones and everything. And now she realizes this is just, she just doesn't fit in, and a lot of people don't. They don't fit into what society has in line for them in terms of a man or a woman, this binary 1 or 0.
This old school.
Yeah, I
And
also think that
makes sense too.
I also think a lot of the activism came out of a good place, which was that 40% of people who have transmorphia, what is
Gender
it?
dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria.
You got to get that right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
man.
right, bitch.
40%. 40%
but here's the thing, you're not even
commit
supposed to say that.
suicide.
Yeah.
Commit suicide.
Well, here's the thing. You're not even supposed to say that
50%
anymore.
do,
And
babe.
by the way, it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they have had surgery
So I was going
or
to
not
ask you
have
that. I was going to
surgery.
ask you that.
No.
I heard that after they have the surgery, it doesn't actually
Doesn't
put a
change
dent
anything.
in that.
No, it doesn't.
Right? That's
still
But
have
here's
the
the thing.
issues.
But the question are they depressed because they haven't been accepted as who they really are
By society?
And has
know.
society caused them to have these irreparable scars, and that's what's led them to commit suicide
Yep,
ultimately.
'cause we don't accept
and
them.
it wasn't fixed by the surgery.
Yeah.
Is that possible too? Is it possible that we could be more accepting as a society and as a culture, and then these people could just be whoever the fuck they want to be,
Yeah.
and that's all right too? And maybe we would have a lower suicide rate if it wasn't thought of with this great stigma. But you're not going to fix that by having people like that go on TV and say something that's a blatant scientific lie.
No, that guy's sick in the head. That guy should not be educating young minds.
And people are coming out of those schools.
That's crazy.
Thousands of people
That's
every year
crazy,
coming
man.
out, adopting
Let me
these
know
ideas.
what college he's in, because my
and
son's not
they
going there.
rebel against their parents, and their parents might be some fucking right-wing, square-jawed knucklehead, that has some stupid ideas about what a man is and what a woman is, and God says a man should not lay with a man.
Dude, studios and directors get massive heat for not having transgender actors and stars and all that, and there's this index. How many lines did women say versus how many lines did men? How many female strong characters are?
We're in a
It's just
weird
like,
time,
can we
man.
just let people write?
But here's the thing. Do you know about this cover with all these women? They were talking about inclusivity.
Yes, yes.
And
Come
about,
out. Is it on Time?
No,
I
it's
forget, Vanity Fair or something like that?
It's a different magazine.
Is
but
it Variety?
It was all white.
I don't know.
No,
But it's all white
I know what you're
women.
talking about. Yeah,
It's all white women. Like, how is this diversity? Like, you're all white women. You're not even playing by your own rules.
They got a lot of shit for it.
They
Yeah, they
should
did.
get a lot of shit for it. Whoever
Yeah.
the fuck let that slip through? Like, what message are you trying to send? You're saying, is this an anti-male message? Because you're a bunch of white women.
Yeah, but dude, now you're getting into this, my fucking favorite new discipline, which is intersectionist feminism. Don't know if you know what that's.
Intersectional. You should know what it is.
Intersectional.
Elaborate, B.
It's the best. It's the best. So when with the feminist movement, it really began with white women. And I think it started in the women's studies department, or at least the literature departments
Fucking
of
white
Yale
people.
University and stuff. And they did some work, man. Those women were serious, and you can't say that the feminist movement didn't have something to say and didn't have some work to do. Of course it did. Smart women who were like, I don't fucking want to be, there are some issues and disparity. But what happens with any movement is that it's like, well, we're white women. What about black women? They have it way worse than we do. And what about, and we can just keep extrapolating, what about black women with allergies, black women with lupus? What about black women who come from really poor and violent areas versus black women who come from a better area? What about black women who are midgets? You can keep
Can't say
extrapolating.
midget, bro.
I know, little person.
Small people.
You can just keep
God damn it, bro.
so at the top. Sorry, buddy. At the top of the sort of power structure now, the inverted power structure, is people that are the most oppressed. They're the voices that have to be heard the most. The problem with breaking this down into all these sections is you get ultimately to, because when they had this huge, Christine Summers talks about this, they had this huge intersectionist, feminist sort of congregation where all these women got together. But in the group, when they were meeting in the convention center, they started breaking up. They started breaking
the
up.
groups.
Oh, they were breaking up. They were like, well, we have allergies, so we're not over there. And by the way, you're black, but you're white. You're a feminist, but you're white, black feminist, but you date a white woman. Sorry,
You're
a
over there.
little more privileged. You got to go
And
over
then
there.
the midgets were over there.
Yeah, so it became one clique after another. That's crazy that women become cliquey. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
You want to know my favorite story in regards to this?
But let me just finish this
Go
one
ahead.
story. The problem with that movement is that as you keep extrapolating, you get to what's called the individual. The founding fathers figured that out a long time ago. Ultimately, you're going to get down to the fact that you should treat everybody as
The same.
as an individual. I like it. As an individual. That's the whole point. Yes, you can keep going, but if you keep playing that game, you're just going to get down to everybody's different. Everybody has something. Everybody is a white dude. My buddy Dave Oddley has a spine like this, and he's going to die unless he gets an operation. His life sucks. He's about that big. His email is No Neck Dave. I say I love him. He's fucking hilarious, Dave Oddley. But Dave is white. He ain't privileged. He came from a Mormon family, a large family. He wasn't, his life has not been fucking easy. Right. He can't breathe. So you can keep extrapolating. That's why you treat people as individuals, because you don't know anything about them. You actually don't know anything about what they've gone through. Could be a great-looking guy, sleeve tattoos,
Well, it's a
6'4".
nonsense conversation.
Yeah.
Because what they're really trying to do is establish power structures.
Yes.
And they want to have
Yes.
power over the rest of the people in the group because they
Yes.
apparently have more things that are going against them.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Well,
more
finish what you were
oppressed.
going to say.
My favorite story is there was a all-girls college, and this woman is running for like president of student council, and she decides that she's a male. male. She decides to change her gender.
The best.
And then the fucking kids.
She didn't get an operation though, did she?
No. She just decided she was masculine of center genderqueer was how she described herself. But decided to change her name to a male's name. Then the women in the school were voting against her because she is now a white man, and the white man is the patriarchy. And it was the president of diversity or something like that, like some student council.
It becomes a form of madness.
President of diversity.
Did she go back?
I do not know. I do not know.
Somebody sent me something about that. How somebody said something about colleges have become these specialized. They're specialized in subjects that have increasing irrelevance.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. I think people automatically have this desire to stand out and be more important. They automatically do. It's just like a common thing. And they can do it through merit, but merit is difficult. Meritocracies are hard. You might fall short.
Yes.
And sometimes along the way, you see your meritocracy like not working out for you. You'll claim there's some sort of a conspiracy against you, and there might be.
Yep.
You'll claim other people have privilege, and they might.
Yep.
You'll claim all these reasons why you're not getting ahead. And you might be right. You might be right in some ways.
Well, because colleges are like this, aren't a lot of comics not doing the tours anymore or with the colleges? Like a lot of comics go, no, I'm out. Where before, a lot of comics were doing college.
I stopped way before this. I stopped doing colleges in the early 2000s for that very reason.
Really? For that reason? They wanted to limit you?
They were just way too sensitive, and they didn't have life experience. No. The problem is,
so
I like talking to people that have bills and jobs and people that have relationships that didn't work out so good, and now they have a fucking kid with some lady who hates them. That's my crowd. You know? I like talking to people that... That's my crowd. I like talking to people that owe taxes. People that are spending their fucking money trying to figure out what they're doing in their life. Yeah. They want to talk about real shit.
Meritocracy is my favorite. Meritocracies are how you find out who's real, who really deserves it.
You don't do colleges anymore either, do you?
I don't.
It's just not a smart thing to do because those people in those colleges they're very, very young. You're dealing with 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and they're in this weird ideological bubble. Yeah. You know, there's all these fucking people that are just jammed in together in this group, and everybody's trying to stand out in weird and unique ways. And there's people that are doing it by claiming they're masculine of genderqueer, and changing their name. And wow, you're so unique, you're so amazing. And there's also people that are doing it because they're trying to buck that system. And they're becoming the Republicans on campus, and people are calling them Nazis. You know, there's a lot of fucking weirdness.
Chappelle talks about that in his special. Some woman rushed the stage. We've suffered as much as you. And he's like, hold on. You're a white woman, and take it easy now. Yeah, I know you've suffered, but take it easy.
But just that thought, like, we've suffered as much as you, how does that invalidate this person's suffering? If someone's on stage talking about their suffering, the nature of your suffering is invalid. It's not relevant. You can relate to that person or not relate, but the fact that you can stop them from talking, or that you think you can stop them from talking just because you've suffered yourself as well. Right. Like, what about me? No, you're there for a fucking audience. You're an audience member. Your job is to sit down and listen. If you want to be a performer, well, you need to fucking get an act. You need to get booked at the club. You need to become a professional, have people come and pay to see you, and then you can express yourself. You're violating the audience versus performer rules.
I also think if people are that sensitive, they haven't really figured out what they believe in. They don't really believe in what they're saying. They just belong to a group, and they like being a good foot soldier. They haven't really thought out why they're
or they
on
haven't
that
been
team.
Challenged. They might have thought it out, but they've been thought it out with a bunch of other people that are thinking the same things that they think.
Yeah, they felt it out. It feels right. It doesn't. It's not thought.
Well, she's going to do that at a live comedy show. She has some serious issues. Well, there's something more going on.
She
there.
rushed the stage. That's a good point.
Like fat shaming.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Fat shaming.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing. Like, you're not supposed to talk about people being overweight. You're not supposed to talk about people being fat. You're not supposed to discuss it as being a real health issue.
That's crazy.
You're fat shaming them.
Yeah.
You talk about reality. You talk about your friend with his bad back and his fucked up spine and has a hard time breathing and like, seriously, like, from the jump, right?
Yeah.
That's just a reality. Mm-hmm. But
being overweight, same thing is what you're saying.
But it's worse because it's by decisions that they've made that's allowed them to get that big. If you just decided to not eat, that is a possible answer. Now we go back to determinism.
I've tried that.
How much of your life is you're a beautiful man. Don't worry about that. But
you're fine.
We have suffered more than you, Brandon. But if you go back to what we're talking about determinism, I mean, is your life? Are you right now in the middle of conscious decision making that's shaping your destiny, or are you a product of all your life experiences, all of the input that you've received, your genetics?
It's a very dangerous,
Yeah.
scary area because I don't like taking personal responsibility away from people.
I don't like it either,
yeah.
but the reality about human bodies, and Rhonda Patrick was talking about this the other day, morbidly obese people have differences in their sperm that is transferred onto their children that does not exist when that person loses the weight.
Speaking of
when a
beautiful
person
people.
loses the weight,
Yeah.
all those genetic problems go away.
So
they
that brings
reverse
me,
themselves.
That raises another question. If you do have a genetic propensity for whatever it might be, gambling, alcoholism, obesity, it doesn't mean as a human being you can't figure out a way to game the system so that you
Get out
don't
of
fall
that.
victim to it. And we have to keep that open as a possibility so that my free will counts for a lot.
No, I'm with
because-
Rhonda Patrick. Send all the fatties to another place. But was Rhonda Patrick saying that obesity is it's passed down?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She was saying that the genes that are problematic amongst obese people, those genes, they change when the person loses the weight. So even if a person has gastric bypass surgery and they lose the weight and they get down to a normal weight where they're not obese anymore, their genes that they express and the way they transfer them to their children, they will be different.
Meaning
So their
that
children
those
will
kids
have it. Yes,
could
Look,
be skinny.
I
Like
have
Al Roker's fine.
I have a friend who's overweight and he has a daughter that's overweight, and she's like approaching teenage years.
She's thick.
And no, she's overweight.
That's what I mean
she
by
drinks tons of soda and she eats tons of candy. And he's not a good friend. It's just a guy that I know. And it's weird to watch because it's like, well, I see where this is going.
Is he not educated though on nutrition?
No, he's not.
He just likes Coca-Cola.
He's not a thinker. He doesn't. I don't know the guy well enough to. Obviously, I would never comment on. Hey, you got to treat your fucking kid better. But I see the kid and I see the thing and I just like, Jesus Christ, this kid's fucked.
Sometimes when they're happy and they're fat, though, I appreciate
This
it.
kid's not happy. So it's not a good. It's just. It's one of those things where, if you make choices and then your children see those choices and make those same choices, you're responsible for passing that pattern on in some sort of a way. And sometimes people don't realize that until someone like Rhonda Patrick says it. And one of the things that Rhonda sent me was an email that she had gotten where someone sent to her this guy that was literally listening to that, eating some shitty food and put it down and decided there and then to make a change in his life. He's like, I didn't think that this was going to literally change my genes that I pass on to my children.
That's really cool.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
See, the more you learn about stuff,
Yeah,
you,
because
a lot
you
of
get
it's
the
education,
education, man.
not of your destiny, but maybe your children's destiny.
Yeah,
Some people just don't know, man.
Well, you're not just you're literally hamstringing them from birth. If you're a fat fuck and you have these kids, sorry, fat shaming, you let it out of the gate. And your children from the jump are dealing with all your poor choices, and you have to see that. That's going to punish you, man.
A lot of it's education. A lot of people just didn't know that, it used to be like high fiber, low fat diets, how you lose weight, and people couldn't lose weight. Then they were like, try not eating sugar and bread and things that spike your insulin.
Yeah, but then some people who are obese, are they saying it's maybe a mental weakness or is it a mental illness?
No,
You know what
they're
I'm
saying it's certainly everyone has the ability to do things different. Like nothing's stopping you from just cutting all the bad carbs out, cutting all the refined sugar, cutting all the refined carbohydrates, eating like a very healthy diet, and then working out all the time and slowly but surely losing the weight and becoming healthy. Nothing is physically stopping you from doing that, right? So what is stopping you? Well, there's a lot of behavior patterns that people deal with. There's a lot of depression. There's addiction. Like, what are those mechanisms? And these are all things that we need to address too. You can't just say, hey, man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, because people don't know how to do it.
How do I get out of my own way?
depressed.
Yeah.
How do they get out of their own way? They get depressed, they feel terrible, they feel maligned by
Also,
society. But I
you-
don't think helping them, I don't think you can help them by saying you're fat shaming them by talking about the fact that being fat is gross.
Exactly.
It's just bad for
The
you.
world's going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
The world's going to do it quietly
get-
as
yeah,
opposed
whatever-
to
yeah. You're
gonna
what you're
feel
really
it.
trying
It's
to do.
gonna get there.
This is my problem with the side. It's the right and the left actually on the fringes. They're way more interested in punishment than they are persuasion. You know, I know that we can pass lots of laws. I know we can have workplace stuff that kind of like makes everybody safer, quote unquote. It's just going to suppress behavior. It's not going to change behavior.
Yeah.
You need to figure out a way, if you're really serious about changing behavior, appeal to my heart and my mind and and make it logical.
Through food.
When you teach me how to eat, the biggest issue I always find with keeping people motivated is, number one, you can get pumped up. You can go to a Tony Robbins seminar and get pumped up and really make a change. The question is, how do you keep inspired day to day? How do you stay inspired?
You know that comment about inspiration, that inspiration is like bathing. It's effective, but it has to be done regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fuck
good.
yes.
It's good. I think community and information, these two are huge. You have to be around like-minded people that also want to do the same thing. That helps. When you're around fucking lazy cunts who don't want to do shit and they're always making excuses, it fucking trips you up. It's real bad.
100%.
So if you have friends that are always making
Culture,
excuses, you gotta push them away. You gotta
Fuck
separate.
yes.
You either tell them, hey man, this is how I feel. I feel like you're always crying about stuff and you're always thinking, woe is me, and you trip us all up. And if you
a
don't,
negative cloud.
Yeah, you give them the opportunity to see how you see them, and if not, you got to find other people that are more motivated to improve their life. Then information, and in community and information, I also include things like this podcast. Anytime people are talking about these things, uninhibited, uninterrupted, and uncensored, where you get to see the real thoughts that they have, and then backed up by information from people like Rhonda Patrick, from scientists, from peer-reviewed studies, things that you read. You get a sense of like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Okay, there's a bunch of other people that are thinking about these issues as well. Like, what can we do? What can I do on a personal level to get past whatever weird shit I'm tripping up on my life? Why do I keep smoking cigarettes? Why do I keep lighting these fucking things up? How come after work I just go for the ice cubes and start pouring scotch? Why do I do that? Why do I do that? And all these people have to come to grips with this, and having a community of people. Like, I learned a shitload when we did that Sober October thing, man. I learned a shitload because I don't have a drinking problem, but knowing that I can't drink is like inhibiting myself from that, no smoking, and then also having these 15 fucking yoga classes that we had to do, 90-minute yoga classes in a month. It was a lot of everything. But it was also that we were doing it together. That Bert was doing it, Tom was doing it, Ari was doing it, I was doing it. We were all doing it together. We fed off of each other. And at the end of it, when we were all celebrating and got through it, I was like, I learned a lot from this. I learned a lot from this about the power of community. I learned a lot from this about having things that you have to do. Like you just have to do those 15
You guys
classes.
are also accountable to each other.
Exactly.
Where if you're just trying it yourself, it's going to be tough, man.
It's tough. But
It's tough.
Community and information. Those two things are gigantic.
Yeah.
Community is big, man.
so
It's one of the
get-
biggest.
so get rid of your
not
fat
just
friends.
information, but education. There's a difference.
Don't have fat friends, is what we're telling you.
But I have fat friends.
Hold on, man.
Some of them are fucking awesome. You know, it's just if they wanted to change and they were bitching about it and they didn't do anything about it, then it'd be a problem. But some people are functional as fat people.
And they're also happy, and I celebrate it. I like fat people.
You know, look, some people are fat and they don't drink and they don't smoke and they don't eat bad food. They just eat too much, or they eat a lot of pizza or something like that. And then there's some people that are fat and whine and complain and they're always depressed.
I don't have friends like that.
That's a problem.
I don't
and they're
have
not
happy fat
good at
friends.
anything. You know, this is the other thing. Like, you got to be fucking good at something. You know, have something that you have joy in, whether it's a game that you like to play or whether it's a hobby that you pursue.
Well, I would say Big Country has the good kind of fat. He could give a fuck and he'll knock you out.
But here's the thing. Would Big Country have been a world-class fighter at 185 pounds?
He wasn't
That was
a heavyweight.
That was
so.
a weird example, baby. Yeah.
But think about that. Think of Big Country if he like went on a crazy good
I don't
diet.
know. I don't know. Because it goes back
Guy's a
to
fucking animal.
It goes back to also the idea that
Fighting Matt,
part
Bellator.
of like his ability to fight, stay calm, perform under pressure might be the fact that he could give a fuck. Like if you get too controlling about your weight, you might get too controlling. That might be a mindset that you can't divest from in everything else. If you get too calculated with everything you're doing and you step in an octagon, something goes wrong, you're not as loose maybe. I don't know.
or you're Mighty Mouse.
Or you're a professional.
Yeah,
or
you're
you're a professional.
Yeah, or you're
true.
fucking George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
Who's a control? Yeah, certain. A lot of champions are control freaks to the nth degree. Lance Armstrong.
Yep.
I mean, he had that shit down to a science. If you
Yep.
read about it, and greatest of all time. So
Yeah, it's a weird conversation, right? It's like, where do you draw the line? Like, and what is more important, performance or happiness, right? That's another thing, because sometimes your performance, in order to reach the real peak levels of performance, especially to maintain it like as a champion, you're not necessarily going to be happy.
No.
You might be happy in brief moments after you win.
Wouldn't that be in everything though? Not just not with fighting, whether all sports, but even entertainment. Like if you want to be the top comedian, you're going
to suffer.
You're gonna have to be selfish, and where you're not spending as much time with your family. You're on the road. You're doing this.
Yeah.
I think it's with anything. There's gonna become where if you want to be the tip of the spear, there's gonna be some selfishness there.
Yeah, and here's the other ironic thing, that if you do spend too much time away from friends, away from family,
you won't have stuff to write about.
You won't be as good.
Yeah.
Because you won't be as compelling. Yeah. It's like you have to find the balancing act. You have to find the balancing act or you won't be like happy. Like one of the things that the guy I always bring up is Richard Jeni, who eventually committed suicide. And I think to this day, he's one of the greatest comics of all time. The guy was fucking completely miserable. He had mental issues, obviously. He had mental health issues, which led him to commit suicide.
How long ago?
2007. Dude, if you're a comic, you're trying to do stand-up, you got to watch Richard Jeni.
Watch Richard.
Listen to A Big Steaming Pile of Me. I tell everybody to get it. It's fucking brilliant. Yep. He's the most underrated of all time.
He really is.
And he was miserable?
Yeah, he's my top 20 all-time greatest. He's in there, and most people don't even know who he is.
He's just a tortured soul, or what's going on?
Yeah, tortured. Yeah, he did a lot of plastic surgery. Allegedly had pec implants, had a bunch of shit done to his face. Yeah. He had a lot of shit done. He wanted to be Jim Carrey, wanted to be some leading man. But what he didn't realize along the way was, this was the thing back in those days, in the 80s and the 90s. Everybody wanted to be a TV star. They all wanted to be on Home Improvement. They wanted to have their own show like Roseanne. It didn't work out for everybody. And he was one of the guys that didn't work out for. But what he did have that he wasn't getting recognition for was some of the best fucking stand-up ever.
Wow.
His stand-up is so good.
But that wasn't enough for him?
It wasn't enough for him. No. And why? I don't know. I mean, dude, a lot of comics, especially back then, it's different now. It's different now than it was back then. But the community of comics is so it's so tight and so welcoming now. Yeah. Like it
used to be
way different, right?
Yeah.
Something happened.
Not a warm group.
Not just that, like everybody was like all for themselves. Like if you went to see a guy on the road, they usually took some guy with them that sucked. And that guy would do like 15, 20 minutes of shitty stand-up, and then this person would go out there and look like a god. Mm-hmm. And that was the standard move that everybody did.
Yikes.
Like George Carlin, for the longest time, took this guy on the road with him that didn't work any other places. And there's a lot of those guys. They'll take a guy that works on the road only with them. They literally don't even work as a professional outside of opening for them.
Wow. That's
right.
And they'll do this shitty act, and then this guy comes on and looks like a god.
Just to make him look good.
Just to make him look good. And that was what the standard move was. And then something happened, and I don't know what it is. I think there's a bunch of factors. But I think one of the factors that happened was that there was more opportunity available, so there wasn't this feeling of scarcity. Because before, when it was just everybody trying to get a network show, everybody was like, hey, man, you might be trying for the same part I'm trying for. I want to be the host of the Tonight Show. You want to be the host of the Tonight Show. Fuck you. It's all every man for himself.
Fewer slots.
Fewer
ways to make a living.
Then in the 2000s, it opened up. And the internet sort of opened up all these different possibilities. And then guys like us realized, hey, I don't really get represented correctly in anything that I do that other people write. Yeah. What I need to do is figure out how to just be myself. Like people have this distorted idea of who you are because you hosted Fear Factor or you were on Mad TV as Pool Boy or whatever the fuck it is. Like this is how they view you. Yeah. And you go, no, I did that, but I also do this, and I'm also this person. And back then, you couldn't do that. It didn't exist before there was the internet and before you could actually express yourself completely uncensored. So I think that that led people to be like much more scarcity minded, much more famine thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and famine thinking is the fucking enemy of community.
Yep.
As soon as you have famine thinking,
Especially being creative.
It's funny you say that because
Yeah.
there's
That's
this
the way to go.
amazing book I just finished. You should have this guy on your podcast, Dan Coyle.
Did you send me that? Is that the one you sent me?
It's called The Culture Code. He wrote The Talent Code too. He studied highly successful groups, SEAL Team 6.
Oh, you told me about.
Yeah, SEAL Team 6, even jewelry thieves. So they were like these amazing jewel thieves. They studied them, and they were these guys, and they would come in. They stole from in the middle of the day in Tokyo, $105 million worth of diamonds. I think they went to Monaco, same thing, stole like $50 million worth of emeralds and stuff, and got away in speedboats, right? I mean, these guys would come in 45 seconds, come in, bash, and they were like, holy fuck, they couldn't figure it out. They're like,
Speedboats.
oh yeah. I mean, they were daring. And they would treat the people in the stores roughly, but they didn't kill anybody. But they were strong, they looked athletic. And they were like, all right, this is obviously, probably Archon's Tigers from the Serbian War. They're clearly Serbian Croat special forces guys, right? They were just too organized. They were like literally, they moved like water. They would dress up as women. They come in like these beautiful women. Turns out they were men, but they look like women. They're like,
there's
those
no
are tall
biological
women.
difference in
Right, thank you. And they'd come in and but they'd get away with, let me say it again, $105 million in diamonds at a time. Crazy shit. The most successful of all time. So they're trying to figure out. They're constantly stymied by this idea. Who the fuck were these guys? They've got to be a military unit. Turns out, nah, they sure weren't. They were middle-class Serbian kids who'd grown up together. They were all friends. One guy was, he studied to be a lawyer. Another one studied to be a journalist. Another one, these are men and women, by the way. Another one played basketball, kind of like for a second, almost made it pro, but didn't. Nothing that remarkable. Middle-class kids. They all, however, and there was no leader. There was no mastermind. They thought there's got to be a mastermind. Got to find the mastermind. There's always a mastermind that they bring the jewels back to. Nah, not that either. They were just a loose confederation of friends from 3 different towns, I think, who'd known each other since childhood. And they'd grown up in the war. So they had a taste for action and adventure. But they were all close, and they would get together and they would plan out these whole, heists. And the way they would do it was fascinating because there was no boss. They would just spitball ideas, and everybody was safe not only to come up with a good idea, but everybody was also safe to sort of like to be wrong. They would he went and found the one guy that every SEAL Team 6 is fucking. Who's the one guy? He said, I want the one guy that's the baddest of the fucking bad. I want the guy because they are such an effective group. And you and I are friends with Andy Stumpf, and we know some guys, and every one of them was like Dave Cooper. Dave Cooper is the dude.
He's like the
dude.
Hicks and Gracie of Navy SEALs.
He's the guy. And, oh, fuck, I want to find this badass, who's this Francis Ngannou genotype,
Right.
Shows up, guess what? He's a regular white dude, just a regular, very fit, but he's a regular dude. Bring up Dave Cooper for a second. And Dave is the kind of guy who'd be like, he's like, what do I call you? He's like 20-year, like SEAL Team 6, Dev Group Commando. So he's like, you can call me Dave, Coop, or Fuckface. It's up to you.
That guy looks regular. That guy looks like a fucking eagle.
Yeah, he
Look at his
does.
eyes. He looks
that
like
guy-
you're a salmon. He's going to swoop down and scoop you out of a fucking
He's a
river.
He
man.
should
He's
be
all
in
man.
the dictionary as American. Just
He's
a
all
picture
man.
of fucking Dave Cooper.
He's fucking awesome.
America.
But the way he,
Guy's so American.
but he would study these guys, and when they would come up with ideas, very democratic, very like everybody. He wants to hear from everybody.
There's no stupid question,
Who
Brian.
has
Right, ego doesn't get in the way.
no?
Yes.
All that matters is I
I
might
learned
be an
this in
idiot
5th
and
grade.
wrong. All that matters is I want results. That's all it is. And when you study these highly effective groups, and they look like great basketball teams. Popovich, you love this. Popovich, I didn't know that
Greg
that the
Popovich?
Spurs were the most winning in the past 20 years, the most winningest team in the past 20 years, winningest American
Yeah.
team in the past 20 years.
Yep.
And it's the same way. His ability to kind of like, he's a fucking,
He
he's got a
drafted Tim Duncan, but yeah.
volcanic temper.
Yeah.
Volcanic temper.
What does that mean? Who's Tim Duncan?
one of the greatest
One of the
basketball
greatest
players
of
of
all
all
time,
time.
yeah.
Mr. Fundamentals.
Oh,
But
okay.
but
Yeah.
he
Hall of Famer.
But he, as far as his team is
He has
concerned,
a lot to do
it's not
with him
super,
winning.
It's not a lot of superstars. It's also the way they
Ooh.
structure the team, Brennan.
Yeah.
Like they've done some studies as far as like.
He has amazing players, though,
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, but he also makes amazing players in how they work together, and in fundamentals and how
For
they
sure.
work together, and how they communicate.
Well,
how
that's
he
a good
communicates
question
with them.
too. Like, what makes a great team? Is a great team just having killer individual players, or is it having really good individual players in a killer environment and they all grow and get better together?
They've done studies on
Like,
that.
you've got to think that a guy who's in the NFL, say for his first year, as long as he doesn't get injured, if he keeps playing and he keeps hustling and keeps learning, he's going to be better in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get injured. NBA is probably better because you don't get injured as much.
Yeah.
But you got to
Yeah.
think that these players are going to get better at basketball, better at competing under pressure, and get better at playing together.
Yeah,
They're all
Well,
going to get better.
These guys were talking about this before the
Well,
podcast. If you play
the
in the
best team
NBA,
in the world, the Golden State Warriors, they call them a super team, but they were drafted. They added Kevin Durant, which makes him even better, who's one of the best players in the league, top 3. But before that, they were all drafted and came up together. So they play as a team.
Right.
Now they're unstoppable.
yeah. So
Instead
I
of like a Cleveland or a Miami, where you
Right.
just put all these superstars together, Houston or OKC, the Golden State Warriors were drafted and they came up as a team. Now they're a super team.
But even like teams, I don't know a whole lot about teams, but teams that grow up that get put together, they depend upon some sense of community.
Yes.
And
Correct.
when that community falls
Yes.
apart, like remember when Shaq and Kobe were beefing?
Yeah.
It was a real problem.
Yeah.
It was a
Hated each other.
real problem because they were playing on the same team and Shaq was doing raps about Kobe. It was a fucking real problem.
and that kills things because
Kills things
the
for
minute
people
somebody
listening.
has dominion just on who they are over the group, that becomes a problem because everybody has to share ideas. This structural engineer, you heard me talking about this structural engineer and this architect, he did this amazing study where he took CEOs, lawyers, business students, and kindergartners, and he said, "Okay, here's the task: 26 pieces of uncooked spaghetti, a yard of tape, a yard of string, and a marshmallow." Might be one last thing, I can't remember. Whoever makes the tallest structure is the one that wins. CEOs, lawyers, business
Kindergartners.
schools, the kindergartners.
Kindergartners figured it out.
Because of the way they approach the problem. Nobody had invisible ideas of authority. Nobody had sort of, this guy might know more than me, I'm not going to say my thing. They were like, no, yes, there's no, we're all fucking,
They
I'm
did a
coming up with
million
my
things,
idea. And they
yeah.
would, no, let me do this. And they would just fight over the idea. But it was the best idea.
Who's listening to the kindergartner?
The best idea would win.
I'd be like, shut up, kid, you're
Like,
5.
shut your
No,
ass
no,
up.
they were all together. It was groups of 4. So there were 4
Oh,
kindergartners.
but the
Yeah.
kindergartners, the 4 of them figured it out
Yeah,
together?
they built a 26-inch structure, and the second one was the CEOs. They built a 22-inch
Well,
structure.
CEOs are thinking about cocaine and pussy
Probably.
and how their stocks are doing. They're too distracted.
Yeah, they
You
probably
know,
didn't give a fuck.
It's a question of like what makes children learn better. I watch kids, obviously, I have them, and I watch them learn things. And it's interesting how some kids learn things really quickly and some things don't, or some kids don't, and how parents just really don't have the ability to learn at the same level the kids do. So I'm like, well, what is it? Is it a physical limitation? Is it a clarity thing? Is it an ego thing? Is it your identity that holds you back? I think it's the amount of time and energy that you put towards something and whether or not you're willing to be obsessed by it.
Yes
And
and
I
no,
think,
though, Joe.
And I think that some parents and some people that are adults just do not have the same kind of time that a 9-year-old has to think about things all day. They don't have the same amount of things in their head. They don't have the same. They have too many bills and stresses and distractions and things pulling them away in different angles. And they don't have this sense of who they are the way an adult does. That sense of who you are can be very limiting. You can have this decision
Yes.
that you have in your
Yeah,
head.
you put brackets on
Yeah,
yourself.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's a big part of
they've
it.
done a
Huge
shitload
part
of
of it.
study on that. Like, there's a huge body of study on what conditions are the most effective to learn in. I mean, they've done a lot of work on this. And one of the main things that lends itself to learning fast and well is just the idea that you're psychologically safe. The idea that, first of all, there's no shame in making mistakes.
Right.
That's huge.
Can't be afraid to fail. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and you will fail.
But there
And-
has
and
to be
being-
competition too. Like it has to feel like shit when you do fail. Because if it doesn't feel like shit when you fail, like there's always the thing
don't
that you
agree with
learn.
that.
You learn when you win, but you learn more when you lose.
Way more.
You learn a lot more.
You
and
have
I
to
think
be-
failing and feeling like shit is important to re-energize, remotivate, refocus, and then to recognize this is a bad feeling. I don't like this feeling. I have to work harder.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
There has to
true,
be
but-
repercussions to you failing.
That's-
Otherwise, you don't learn
No,
much.
that's true, but you need somebody. If you're a young person, you need somebody to help you navigate out of that space.
Yes,
because
for
if you
sure.
don't, and you feel like shit, and then you're shamed, you're told usually you're just not as good,
Right.
And you're not going to be able to get as good. What happens is people quit.
Some people, though, dude,
Yeah.
some people don't, and they dig their heels in and they get stronger
Depends
mentally
on the
because
person.
of that.
Depends on the person. So
Yeah.
you need somebody to help you realize, hey, hold on. Learning is a bitch.
Yeah.
Learning is a motherfucker. Don't worry. This is part of the process. So let me help you navigate your way out. So the biggest thing that they always do is make you realize that mistakes are necessary, important, and just as good at this stage. They feel like shit. Of course they do. They come with all kinds of weird feelings. Let's stay in this, learn how to stay uncomfortable in this, and let's figure out a way to get the fuck out of this.
Right, because the real killers and the real winners, they're going to be killers and winners in any sort of scenario. But you can develop more winners if you have a better structure and a
yes.
better learning environment. You'll have, and then also the community will be better.
Yes.
Like we keep coming back to that, but I think this is goddamn gigantic. And we're not just talking about community in the sense of people that know each other like on a one-on-one individual basis. What you guys have done with your podcast is create a community. I see the community interacting with itself. I see you guys interacting with your fans. Like you've made a community of fun, silly people that get together when they come to see your shows.
That's because he and I are silly.
Yeah, for sure. But this is also community.
Yeah.
This is even people that don't physically know each other.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing, and I think that is one of the least discussed but most important parts of happiness and most important parts of developing.
Agree.
It's community.
Yeah, man.
It's giant.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And also like learning, like we had a really good discussion about the podcast, and it was funny how
I'm gonna piss. When I come back,
shit,
we'll talk
first
about
time.
You're taking a piss
What?
break.
I fucked up.
Dude, I haven't eaten today. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I drink so
You're gonna be
much
fine.
caffeine.
You're gonna be
Last
fine.
time I shit my pants.
We'll
we were
talk about
together.
the
I
UFC
don't
when
know
I
what's
get back,
going
but
on.
learning is important.
Let's talk about Cyborg Holly when you get back.
I like that. That's the first time.
Let's talk
Look at
about
him running.
Cyborg Holly when you get back. And Brian, you take a fucking. You take a break.
Oh, I want to talk about Cyborg Holly.
Oh, what were we talking about? What were we talking about?
About how when we have an issue that we want to like make the podcast better or whatever.
Oh, when I called you and said you suck on the podcast.
The first thing you do is take care. Like you make sure my feelings are. You take care of my feelings. I do the same thing with you. Like we want to make sure that we're like, hey, I don't give a fuck.
Well,
I'm
we
just
got
telling you.
some research on the podcast, and I called Brian and said, here's where we get the most listeners. Here's where people turn it off. Here's what we do this.
Yeah,
and
it was
I always
valuable.
tell Brian this all the time. I go, listen, they might turn off here, but we didn't create this thing to decide what people like and what don't like.
Right.
If you want to do fucking an hour of what you want to do, we're doing an hour. We're doing what we want to do.
Yes.
And if they like it, great. But that's how this thing got to where it's at.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
That being said, you gotta quit doing that.
No, but that being said, you got to be responsive.
No,
to
I just told him. I
evidence.
said, if you want to do it, do it.
Yeah,
I'm down. But here's the feedback we're getting.
Yeah, be responsive
So let's
to
do
the
what you want to
evidence.
do, though. But
Yeah.
here's the evidence.
Yeah, and so if you're not going to be responsive
You're
to the
fired,
evidence,
but here's the evidence.
You're done. You
You're
never
done
do it again.
and just keep doing your own thing. but
You'll peep when I signal at you. You'll peep when I signal at you. Otherwise,
no, but that's why.
shut your
But
mouth.
we've never had that issue
No.
where like, oh, I have to do
No,
this. I have to.
because you
do
and
this.
I
don't give a
are
fuck.
about that every single time. No matter, even in fights, we'll get a fucking text. Hey man, sorry, a little out of line there.
Yeah, never,
Because
yeah.
all that matters is what works. I don't give a fuck about being right.
No, I
That's
don't
what
care.
I want to learn. I'm your sensei, though. We've established that, and now that we're on Rogan,
But
looking at me right now.
Not Rogan's gone. Call me Road Dog, or I'm gonna kick you in the.
You're not a
nuts.
fucking road dog, bro. And you call me
no,
sensei.
Call me Road
when
Dog.
I give you
If you
advice
call
on
me
stand
Road
up,
Pup,
you
I'm gonna fuck your nuts up.
Bro, I have the flu
All
and
right,
I'll still
Rogan's
fight
back.
you.
Rogan's
Listen to me
back.
right
Call
now.
me Road Dog, though.
I'm not calling you road dog. You're
He
a
keeps
road
calling me
pup.
Road
He's a
Pup.
road pup.
I'm
He's
Road
not a road
Dog.
dog yet. No, he's
No, I'm
not.
Road
You feel
Dog.
uncomfortable that he sells more tickets than you?
I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that.
Seems weird.
Now that you ruined my Christmas with that, because he sold out the Wilbur.
Seems weird.
Wow. Why are you laughing right now?
Sold it out a month.
Why
in
are you
advance.
laughing?
Seems uncomfortable.
Dude, why are you
said,
laughing?
"No,
You're not a
ruined-
good friend.
He said, "No, you ruined my Christmas."
You've broken a
Me?
wedge. You put
I'm
a
a very
wedge.
good friend.
You put a wedge between us now. The podcast
Why'd
will
you
never
bring
be
up-
the same. And
No,
why
I
are you
want you guys
laughing?
to think about
She
this.
said that you ruined my-
I'm a good friend.
that you ruined
because I
my
want you to
Christmas.
think about this. This is a real issue.
What?
Well, this is why he wants to diminish you. Calling
Yeah.
you road pup. He
He's
should
a
be proud
road
of
pup.
you.
Yeah, bro.
Should be
Call me
proud of
Road
you.
Dog.
I am.
I went to Dublin,
Shut up.
Australia.
Call me.
Call me Road Dog.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
calling
fuck
you
you
that.
up.
You haven't heard that yet.
All right,
and
when
you
these-
call me Road, and you call me Sensei when I give you advice. I don't like when I say, "Hey, try this," and you go,
Makes me
"Okay,
uncomfortable with you wanting to force that on him.
Okay,
Yeah, right?
Sensei.
Weird.
No, I don't call you Sensei.
You stay the fuck out of this, bro.
Oh, listen, I've been a comedian for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm allowed to talk about this.
Okay,
Correct.
but we're having
And
our,
I also am a very good friend of Brendan Schaub's.
Correct.
And I don't feel the need to diminish him. In fact, I pump him
Road
up
dog.
at every chance I can. My man.
oh my god,
Friends.
you guys.
Hey,
I do. Why don't
community-
you guys
Pump him up all the time.
community-
Why don't you
we
move
were
in
just
together?
having a conversation on text the other day where I was telling him how proud I was of him
Oh,
and about how he
God.
husles
Yeah, it's
and then
very
he's
nice.
got discipline.
Yeah, it's
and I
very
think
nice.
that's one of the things that holds a lot of comedians back. They
It
don't
made
have
my
the kind of
day.
discipline. This guy's out there doing things a couple years into comedy that guys who've been doing comedy for 10, 15 years can't do.
I know. But let's just keep this humorous for a sec. I'm trying to tell him. I'm trying to mess with him. God
I'm
damn
a
it,
big,
Rogan.
I'm a
big
road
supporter.
dog, though. You call me a road dog, all right, B?
I don't want to be called a road dog either. So I don't know if that's a good thing to want to be called.
What do you want to be called? A road wolf?
Just a fucking comedian.
A road wolf?
I have an inner wolf.
Oh no!
It's inside me. I can't control it.
Damn.
Sometimes it's a cat.
It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Sometimes.
Well, I didn't call myself road anything, but then you and Delia called me a road pup, and I had
Oh,
problems with it.
Delia's another one trying to diminish you, bro. Because
I'm
you're both
trying to
tall
hold
and
me down.
handsome, but you could kill him with your hands, and that makes him uncomfortable.
He's so much funnier, though, so he wins.
For now, he's funnier. For now.
It does. It does.
Comedy
I
is
do
one of
look
those
at. I
things,
do
man.
look
You
at
gotta get
Schaub.
better.
I do look at Schaub once a day, and I do. It does cross my mind. I'm always like, he could stifle my life with his hands.
Yeah, but that part is a given. But you should be in admiration of what he's doing with stand-up. He's hustling.
Come on. Who's his biggest supporter? You. Hey, excuse me. You're not his biggest supporter.
I might be.
I am.
But I'm 100%
Hold
positive.
on, motherfucker.
I'm 100%
I'm
positive. You're not.
You're not.
I'm 100% positive. You're calling him road pup. And
No. He's a road pup. But who's your
See?
biggest?
I
Who's
might
your
be.
biggest? Who's your biggest? He
I'm
doesn't get
not,
there.
this is
What? Hey!
this is like my mom and dad fighting.
No,
I
it's
just, I'm gonna
bullshit.
go in my room.
You're a fucking coward right now. Who's
Do you
your
ever?
biggest
Do you
I'm
supporter?
gonna
ever
go in my
hold on.
room.
Let me ask you this: Do you ever open up for Brendan anywhere?
Never.
I might be opening up for him in the future. I got a gig. He and I are
You've
doing.
opened for me too, actually.
I did open up for you when you
Appreciate that.
did your stand-up
Yeah, I
special.
appreciate that. I like, it's fun that we can get
I might
Rogan
be
to open
opening
for
up
us.
for Brendan on the sneak tip.
We can get one of the
somewhere.
biggest fucking comics to open for us. It's pretty cool.
I'm fortunate, man.
Rogan would actually do that for us.
Yeah,
If I really needed
when I
you.
opened up for you, it was the first time it opened for anybody in like 20
I know.
years.
I love you for
It's
that.
the first time I ever went on stage without anybody going on before me.
I know.
Like
I
you really
appreciate
like that's
that.
a hard gig. Like the opening spot is a little more difficult. You got to like juice the audience up. You got to get them. There's an art form to like smoothing them into the show.
Fuck
I
yeah.
just learned that, so I bring someone on the road. My gym was like, hold on, you're just going out there cold? I'm like, yeah, I just do my thing. He's like, no, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then both you guys
But
like,
you
no,
can
man.
do it. Like some guys, like Bill Cosby, to the end, always just went on stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't have an opening act. Bill Cosby would go on stage for like 2 fucking hours. He was 100,000 years old. He would go on stage for 2 hours with one eyeball and a Hello Friends shirt with a backlog of rape in his head.
I know.
And somehow or another fought through that
I know.
and delivered this family-friendly humor to all these
Legend.
people.
One of the greatest,
Legend.
greatest comics of all, like the most prolific.
And it goes to your point that you can be more to one thing.
Yeah.
You can be evil and good.
God
You know,
damn.
I mean, he was a great
That's
comic.
a classic example. I
An
never
evil
even
person.
thought about
Yeah.
that.
Damn.
Dude.
Fuck.
Dude, and no opening act. Look at that. Hello, friend.
Wow.
He would go on stage like that just with
2 hours.
Who knows how many rapes in his memory banks, just crushing his self-esteem and thought process and
terrible
objectivity.
Had he been accused when he was doing stand-up at
Oh,
this
yeah,
point?
he is the
Oh,
crazy
dude.
guy there. Yeah, for sure.
He'd been accused. He's blind in one eye
Yeah.
and losing his vision in the second eye.
How old is
yeah,
he now?
he's very old. But I think he's
Did he
also
die?
poor. No, he's still alive. He went
doing
through
the
the
damn
trial.
thing.
He
got
did,
through
right?
one trial,
Mistrial or-
and then they're retrying him again. I think I want to say it's coming up soon.
That stress usually kills those guys by the end of it. Like Joe Paterno, it
That'll
fucks
break
you.
you.
Oh
man.
my God, man! So, do you imagine?
A body of work though, and then just
Doesn't matter.
fucking-
But that's you see that it's what is the human being, right? What is the human being capable of? And the lowest thing you could do to someone besides murder them is rape them.
Yeah, exactly.
And to drug all these women that you took in, they were like confiding in you because you're this great master of show business. You're Mr. Huxtable.
Like you would never believe it. You would
No
never.
way.
If somebody told you, you'd be like, "Shut up!"
No way,
Like
man.
the Earth is flat before Bill Cosby raped that many
It's
women.
crazy.
But don't
man.
you think this is a part of what we were talking about earlier? Is that the more information that gets out, the more you understand, like the Harvey Weinsteins or the Bill Cosbys or the evil people of the world that have gotten away with it for so long because of power. Like the more this stuff comes out, the more we have a more nuanced understanding of what a human being is. You know, like Neil Brennan was talking on. We were talking on the podcast. We were
love
talking
that
about
guy.
Louis C.K. I love him too. He's great. And we were talking about, like, do you think that it's possible to be a really great comic and not be fucked up in some way? And I was like, no. Never met one. Never met one. It might be possible. I've never seen it. I think there's something about wanting to crush on stage and figuring out like how to do it and having those thoughts inside you that people find so humorous, those crazy impulsive thoughts.
Yeah.
And those, you know, like deeply disturbing thoughts sometimes where you're just scratching the base layers of your psychology and looking to see what makes it bleed.
Yeah.
You know, though it's hard to find that place when you're a regular person with regular sensibilities and you fit into this, you know, normal pattern. I mean, you might every now and then get a really funny guy who comes out of that, but most of them, when you get to know them, you find some dark shit.
100%. Or just dysfunctional shit, or
Yep.
just unorthodox shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Trying to fill some hole.
Yeah,
just
well,
just different way of looking at that. Always on the outside, outsiders.
And fighters as well. It's the same
Yes.
thing. I don't know any fighters that
I
somewhere
agree.
in the back of their head do they not have this one area where like, oh, you got this spot. Most
Yeah.
people don't have that spot.
Yep.
There's like this one area of darkness.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, like, how many human beings do you think could get to the psychological state that Matt Brown gets into in full combat? I mean, how many people
Call me
have
immortal.
that? How many people have that level of violence in their head in the face of like real world-class fighters? The one thing that I love about Matt Brown is every Matt Brown fight was a motherfucking Matt Brown fight.
And he knew it. Like
He
you'd
knew
see
it.
him go in the cage like, well, time
you
to clock
see-
in for
Yeah.
chaos.
You see how he got
Yeah.
into the cage during his last fight with Diego Sanchez?
Yeah,
He roars. They open up the cage door and he just fucking throws his arm back. It's like, "Rah!"
Yeah.
And it's real.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
real.
an act.
Yeah, it's real.
Like
He's
this
he's like
guy's
the Punisher.
done it at that level, and he's lost and he's won. He's had ups and downs. Never a physically gifted guy, not like some insanely fast,
Like crazy athletic.
Just
no.
grit,
Not
just
explosive.
grit.
fucking animal.
Rawhide and steel cable.
And he's
like-
got a place that Bob, who works in accounting, and, you know, his wife is fucking her personal trainer, and his kids call him a piece of shit, and he takes a Xanax every night. Rob doesn't have that place in his brain. He can't go.
Hey,
Rob
hey,
doesn't have
Jamie,
that.
Jamie,
Rob's
bring
good.
up
Rob
Salma
can't go there.
Hayek. He was my monster too.
Oh, I saw
Harvey-
that.
Yeah,
That was
And she
horrible.
said something about Harvey Weinstein that's to your point.
What'd she say?
So she said, I'll
She's
read it
good,
for
good,
you.
good,
It's a
good,
one
gorgeous,
sentence,
by
but
the
it
way.
says everything. It's the
Well,
first
before we
sentence.
do that, I want to see Matt Brown roar. You can't supersede
Oh, let's
my
see
request.
that.
Yeah, how
I'm gonna
dare you.
piggyback
find
on
it?
I didn't have it right away. I was trying to find it.
Don't have it.
Fucking
Sorry, I didn't
We
know
need
that.
another guy.
He retired
We
though,
need another
huh?
guy.
Well, I can find
Yeah, he doesn't know though. I talked to him in Boston. He came to my show in Boston, and we actually talked on the phone. But he was saying, "I don't know, man." He goes, "I mean, look," he goes, I was thinking of retiring, but
Then he
now
gets
I'm
that
not
one
sure."
win. It's tough. If you're
So-
thinking about it, do
and
it, brother.
And he smashed Diego Sanchez with the craziest elbow. You know,
Oh my God, that was so crazy.
here's a thought on that
But
elbow. You know,
Carry
this has been something that's been going on for a while. Like, when is it okay and when is it not okay to hit the back of the head where it counts as a KO? Right? Like, if you do it on the ground,
Yeah.
you can get severely disqualified.
Yeah,
Right? You can
DQ'd.
DQ'd or points taken away, depending on how much damage you do to a person. But if you do it standing up, whether it's with a head kick, which a lot of times hits the back of the neck,
It's as if it's in movement, right? If it's in
Yeah.
the transition and you hit the elbow, you're good.
and it's
which
clean
is what
KO.
he did.
But
yeah.
on the ground, it's not. Here's
Yeah.
my point. Like, if someone's squirming on the ground and you throw an elbow and you hit him in the back of the head, a lot of times they can take points away. But isn't there a big difference between doing something on purpose and doing something in the heat of the chaos? Why is it okay standing up? And I think it is okay. I think Matt Brown's KO of Diego Sanchez is totally clean. But I think there's a reality to that back of the head shot that happens with neck kicks all the time.
all the time.
There's a reality to the effectiveness of that technique that we accept standing up, but on the ground, we limit that.
I think they're thinking on the ground
penalize.
you have more control
Yeah.
of the opponent, right?
I don't think that's real.
I don't either.
I don't think that's real. I think guys
It's
are
what we
moving,
accept.
they're bucking and squirming, and you're throwing shit, and it takes there's movement here. While you're throwing, it's very rare that someone's completely stationary. While you're throwing,
and they're
also,
grabbing,
they're
yeah.
also adjusting, they're going for
Shrimping,
underhooks,
yeah.
you're shrimping, you're bucking, you're dropping down. There's a lot of shit happening, man. And the idea that somehow or another you should be able to control it on the ground when you're actually in physical contact with someone, right? You actually physically have their body that you're trying to manipulate and control while they're bucking around.
hard,
Versus they don't have any control of your body. Yeah. You're standing up, you're away from them, and any shot that you land that's on the back of the head somehow or another is okay.
It just shows you we have a little more ways to go as the evolution of fighting.
yeah.
Like you look at some of the rules, and I'm like, how the fuck? How do we still have these problems? You
I
look at
wanna
judging,
know.
I'm like, God damn it.
Could you wear
yeah.
half a helmet? Could you wear something on the back of your head like
I'm out.
They used
like
to wear
a
those in
half
Taekwondo
helmet?
tournaments. They used to give people these.
It wouldn't help that.
There's a transition in Taekwondo rules where they started getting ready for the Olympics, where they started making people wear actual helmets. You wore these
I
big
remember.
foam things.
Yeah, foamy, yeah.
But before that, you'd have to wear these things on the back of your head. The video there's a video of me wearing one. The video
Did you
of
feel
me,
like an asshole?
I always liked it better because it didn't fuck with your peripheral vision.
Right.
The idea is you get KO'd because we were fighting on basketball courts, and when guys got KO'd, you want to see a video of me fighting on a basketball
You
court?
did.
Fuck yeah, I do.
You fought on
Here,
wood.
watch this.
You
This
fought
is
on
me.
wood.
But
Where
look
were you at?
Hold
You
on.
didn't fight on mats.
I'm the guy with the back to us. But if you look at my head, that thing in the back of my head is a red foam thing. It's shitty old VHS. But
That's
there's
a yarmulke, bro.
a rubber band that goes across my forehead, and this pad is just to keep my head.
You just fucked that kid up?
Yeah, that was
How old are you there?
I was 19. That was at the U.S.
Boom!
Cup
Okay.
in Connecticut. So you see Connecticut on the floor.
Why'd you walk off like you're
Because he was dead.
badass?
I knew it was a wrap.
Good
And I wanted all the other
Damn,
guys
that
to be
was a body
scared.
shot?
Yeah.
Tight
I wanted
move.
all the other guys to be scared because I was
Yeah, that
terrified.
dude's fucked up.
Yeah, that's a good back.
My move was always to pretend like I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'd
tight
KO
move.
guys and walk away like it was nothing.
Like you're
I'd never
Mark Hunt.
celebrate. Never.
Like it's just another day in the office.
Those are the guys that scare the shit out of me. So I
Oh,
just
I
tried to be
know.
like one of the guys that scare the shit out of
That's
me.
what I do.
Yeah, and then it was what I do. But I was like, this is weird. I'm like a fraud, but I'm not. It's like,
I think most guys are like that.
Yeah,
though.
I'm
most
sure.
fighters are like that.
Yeah, but those head things were standard, and then they changed it to a padded floor. They changed the floor. They used to let you fight. I fought on a hockey rink. I fought in the
that's a
Bay
bad
State
idea.
Games on concrete. There was a thin plastic sheet that was over concrete, and when the dude's head hit the mat, it cut him open because I KO'd him, and when I hit him with a wheel kick, his head bounced off the ground and his eyebrow opened up from contacting
Christ,
the
man.
concrete. It was so disturbing. It was like that easily could have been me. I easily could have got head kicked and my head bounces off the fucking concrete.
Well, that was like practice when you go to practice in Taekwondo and you knew you were going to spar. Somebody was going to get kicked in the head if they weren't careful, and somebody would do the chicken. Like so, there would always be a guy once a month who would get hit, and then it was.
Would you guys
awful.
wear that headgear?
No.
The headgear helps. It definitely helps. Like it'll protect your head a little bit. It's definitely better than nothing, but getting
Those
kicked in the
power
head is,
yarmulkes are pretty sweet, though.
yeah. Here's Matt
Matt
Brown.
Brown.
Here's Matt Brown when he steps in to fight Diego Sanchez. He
Isn't he
roars.
the head coach now there in Denver? That what he's
Well,
doing?
he's definitely one of the top coaches over there. And didn't they just open up a place here?
Yeah, they somewhere around
Muscle
Muscle
Farm.
did.
I
don't
think
know
they
what's
opened up
going
a
on
place
with
in
him.
Burbank.
He's such a fucking.
Fucking
like
animal.
they're
This is
dying
like
out.
one of my all-time favorite. He just goes ahead, check my dick. He's like, does he have a cup on? He goes, yep.
So
He taps
awesome.
his own dick. They got to check his fingernails. Now watch this. Steps up to the cage, thinks it's his last fight ever, walks in.
God, dog.
That fucking roar
Just
is
such
real,
a
man.
warrior, man.
That roar is real.
Such a warrior.
So for a
They
guy
called me
like
Mora,
that,
right? Because he
God,
died
he's got those
for a
awesome
second.
dead
yeah, he
eyes.
died
He
for
died.
a bit
Overdose,
during a
right?
drug overdose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they brought him back.
Yeah.
But it's like for a guy like that, that style is just it's so hard. That's such a hard style. It's so crazy. That's not like a Mighty Mouse guy. That's not
Just a guy who
Yeah.
just grinds you out.
just very skillful, no doubt about it.
What
Very
is his,
skillful, great
what's
timing.
his thing? Was his Muay Thai? What was
His,
his
Everything.
his clinch was very good.
His Muay Thai is very good, but his jiu-jitsu is very good too. His
Jiu-jitsu's
jiu-jitsu
good.
is super underrated.
I
Really good
wonder,
off
you know,
his
with
back.
fighting
His toughness was world class.
Yeah,
but
toughness
his
is world class.
striking and his ground, you wouldn't say it was world class.
Yeah, I just feel like fighting.
That's no disrespect. I'm saying, his ground game wasn't like a Verdum's.
Yeah.
His striking
Right.
wasn't like a Wonder Boy. He was
Right.
good at everything.
Yeah,
So
he was good
do
at
you
everything.
think?
Yes,
do
he
you
wasn't a
think-
specialist besides in toughness.
Right.
I'm not throwing.
Toughness.
Yeah, I'm not throwing shade
Yeah.
at
No,
Matt
no,
Brown.
no.
I love
No,
Matt
no.
Brown.
Brendan, do you think that if fighting was as profitable, say, as baseball, basketball, football, we'd obviously have very different athletes in the game.
Oh yeah.
But I just wonder.
tougher
like,
road. I
if-
don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if athleticism plays as big a part in fighting, in the umbrella of fighting, as it does in, say, basketball or football. So if you're either making the NFL or the NBA, there's a lot to the game, of course, but I feel like athleticism plays a bigger factor. Like some guys can be not as athletic in a lot of ways, like George St. Pierre,
And still be good in fighting?
and still fucking
Wait a minute.
dominate.
Hold on. Would you say not athletic?
Well,
You say
George
St. Pierre's
is
not
a bad
athletic?
No, he's a
example.
great athlete, but
No,
not
George
like,
is a bad example.
No, but-
you want to say a guy
yeah,
like
he's a bad example actually, but Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz.
That's a good
fair.
example.
That's
That's
a good
So
example.
Nick Diaz, who was just amazing, like has never been knocked out, and
Josh Thompson knocked him out.
Yeah,
Yeah, he head
did.
kicked him, stopped
what?
him.
Yeah.
When?
Yeah. It was
Long time
before the Rafael Dos Anjos fight.
Yes.
He lost to Dos Anjos after that, and then
But to
after
your
that,
point, he's
he
the only
beat
one to
Michael
do it.
Johnson,
Yeah.
and then after
and
that,
I
he
always-
beat Conor.
There's the X factor with fighting, where guys who are not as fast, not as strong, not as they can't jump as high, not as all that other stuff, somehow are able to close that distance.
Let
with
me
guys who
rephrase
are.
that. Nate got stopped by Josh Thompson, never went unconscious.
He went TK.
He
He
got
got
rocked.
TKO'd.
I'm talking about Nick, not Nate. Nick.
Oh no, Nick's never been.
Nick's-
No. Nick got stopped early on in his career by that guy who did tough, who wound up Jeremy
Stevens?
No, Jeremy Jones. Is that his name? He was a young guy that was really talented, and Nick and him both fought when they were both like 18 or 19.
Okay, when he was 18, yeah.
And Nick got stopped by him. He TKO'd
TKO'd
him.
him?
Never
Neither
since.
one's been a-
He
Never
TKO'd him.
since.
No,
Neither
never
one's
since.
been
And he's fought
flatline.
No,
Yeah.
and he's fought the best of the best.
Best of the best.
But that guy was super talented.
Yeah.
That guy was super talented, but then went to jail. Went to jail for some
To,
shit.
to
He's
your
still in
point,
jail.
B, I think fighting requires a different skill set. But when you get a guy who has that warrior spirit, who's athletic,
Yeah.
then you have problems like a Francis Ngannou,
Right,
or
right.
you know, or like
Muhammad Ali.
or Mighty Mouse,
Calvin
or
Gastelum.
Conor McGregor. You get these guys who could probably play other sports.
You put Conor McGregor in there as an athlete in
oh
terms
my
of
God,
really?
yes. Fuck
His
yeah.
ability to perform under pressure is undeniable, and that
His
is a
movement-
lot of what
his
athleticism
movement.
is.
Really?
His movement's fantastic.
Look at his
but
body, too,
A lot
though.
of what athleticism is effective use of that body. Like you can't deny that a guy who is a world class fighter is also a great athlete. There's just no room for that anymore. Everybody who's at the top of the food chain is a great athlete. Obviously, Francis is an outlier because he's such an obviously amazing athlete.
I think
But so
Conor's
is-
an outlier too. The way he can go backwards and
Sure.
his reaction time.
Tyron
but
Woodley's a
his
fucking
frame,
outlier.
Woodley's an outlier. Look at his athletic body.
Think about also Woodley's ability to hurt Wonder Boy in those two fights that he had. Put Wonder Boy in more trouble than he's ever been.
Yeah.
That we've seen him inside, except for Matt Brown, who stopped him.
Correct.
Did he stop him or beat him on decision? I think he beat him on decision, but beat the shit out of him for 3 rounds.
But look at a guy like Darren Till. Look how big and athletic
Yeah.
Darren Till
Yeah.
is. Like he's
Yeah.
a big boy, man.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are
I'd
just
like to see Darren Till fight
world-class
Luke Rockhold.
guys.
See, but
that are super
different weight
athletes.
classes. But different weight classes, brother. But I think
I know that, but you could easily go up to 185.
Fuck,
is what I'm
man,
saying.
Luke's so
Probably
big. Luke can fight at 205 if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think the day and age, you're always going to have those guys, and this isn't a knock, but those Leonard Garcias, those Matt Browns, you're going to have those guys, but the evolution of the UFC and mixed martial arts, those guys are going to slowly phase away. You're going to get better athletes. And just being tough isn't going to get you in the top 10 anymore. I think you're going to get guys who, they have the fighter's mentality, but they're these super athletes, and that's the evolution of
Yeah.
the sport. It's going
Or
to
you
get
get-
fucking
you get 'em
scary.
both.
Because you get like a Roy McDonald,
Yeah.
really good athlete, a fucking monster at everything. And he can do both.
What do you think of that Lima fight? That's coming up. That's
It's a
next
great
month,
fight.
20th.
Yep, it's a great fight.
We're going to be in Boston. That's the same night as the Ngannou fight.
Oh, that's
the
right.
Ngannou-Stipe fight.
They're going head to head,
yeah,
right?
head to head.
I think
talk-
Chael and Rampage is on that too.
Get your DVRs ready, folks.
Can we talk a little bit about Home Cyborg?
Holly Holm
Cyborg
Cyborg,
is
battle
very-
of the greatest woman fighter of all time. I think whoever wins that.
But is that the case, right? Because Misha beat Cyborg, or Misha beat Holly, never fought Cyborg, but the way she beat Holly was so fucking spectacular. How do you not always rank Misha above Holly? I know Misha retired and Holly is still super active and likely should have been 145-pound champion, especially if you take away the deductions that she should have gotten.
Yeah, some bullshit.
For 2 late shots. And then even on top of that, you still see like Holly dropped her with a head kick and then dropped her with a left hand as well.
Holly was also beating Misha in that fight before Misha came
but
back.
there was 2 rounds where she got dominated. She got
but
taken
here's
down
my
in one
argument with
round
that.
and mounted and couldn't do shit about it. And then the last 15 seconds of the
amazing.
fight,
Yeah.
Misha pulls out the ultimate, takes her down, takes her back, and then chokes her to sleep.
No,
Man,
Misha's
that
one of
shit
the best for sure. But if we're going to play that game, then Holly murked the girl who Misha could never even hold a candle to,
That's
in
true.
Ronda Rousey.
That's true, but don't you think that Misha kept getting better? And that the Misha who fought, I think the Misha that fought against Holly Holm was very much an improved version of the Misha that fought against Ronda.
But that Misha, right? Her whole thing is grappling.
Yeah.
So try implementing that game plan against Ronda grappling. Enjoy that.
Yeah, but I think Misha got better with her stand-up. That's one of the reasons why she was allowed.
Good.
She got better than she did in the early
So
Ronda
did Ronda,
fights.
though.
She did.
So did Ronda.
Yeah.
She might. You know what? She might take a step back.
But
Either way.
But here's my problem. You got to look at Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes beat the shit out of the both of them.
Dude,
and
Amanda
the way
Nunes
she
is a
did it
different
was like,
fighter.
yikes.
Legit point.
The way she throws, like those
Dude.
long arms, bang, bang. I mean, come on.
She's yikes.
She's
Amanda
amazing.
Nunes is yikes.
Amanda's
She's
yikes, and I wish she got more promotional push.
Yeah.
But
She's
to me,
throwing hammers at you.
She's a
if
beast.
Holly Holm were able to pull off this upset, she's number 1 for me. Beating Ronda in her prime, beating Cyborg in her prime.
You know,
Cyborg is fucking scary, man.
Yep.
She beelines.
Yep.
Like Cyborg's always beelined everybody. She just comes straight in and puts so much pressure on you. She's
Not this,
so
her
strong.
last fight, Tanya Evinger, she went, you know what?
So here's my
I'm
question.
not just going to murder this
Yep.
girl. Watch, I'm stick behind a jab, and I'm going to figure some things
But if she
out.
does
I'm
that
gonna
with
put on a
Holly,
show.
Holly has a way better chance. Because if she does that with Holly, where she says, because I think she's been training. I mean, I think it's almost like she's been training with somebody different. Who said,
Jason
take her
Perillo.
time, step back.
The best boxing coach in the world.
That actually favors Holly, I think, than her old style, which is to come in
No,
close
that
distance.
favors
and
Holly. That if she comes at Holly like
Beelines?
a bull, like Ronda did,
Yeah.
you get kicked in the face.
That's different,
If
though,
you're
isn't it? With Cyborg, isn't
No,
she
she's a
different?
banshee.
She's so strong. She covers up.
If she's calculated, here's the other X factor. If Cyborg goes, Holly kind of sucks on the ground. I'm a black belt on the ground. I also can grapple like a motherfucker. I'm not just going to stand here and strike with you. I'm going to take you down.
And she's a naturally larger woman. She's way bigger.
So if she gets against the cage.
Pick
thing
Tito
about-
Ortiz. If she was in a triangle and pick Tito Ortiz up.
Yeah, is she a black belt now?
She's
Did she get a
black belt, yeah. She's
Yeah,
black belt.
and she's competed as a brown belt. I know she did very well in some high-level competition. She's a big woman.
Her and Gabby Garcia go at it grappling.
Yeah, that's
Really?
crazy. Yeah, and if she decides
That's her main training partner. If she decides
to go
you know
over
what?
the Misha Tate footage,
Yes.
and see how easy Misha choked Holly.
She
Not
can pull
easy,
that
but
card out.
Yeah.
That's in her back pocket. Where she goes, all right, on the feet, it's getting a little
Yeah.
tricky. I'm going to grapple.
She has a hard time making 45, right?
Yes, she does.
Yes.
She would be better off if there was a 155-pound woman's weight class, where she
Even
didn't have to
60,
cut so
yeah.
much weight. Yeah, I mean, she's leaned out. She looks leaner now than she did when she was fighting in Strikeforce. You know, I think when she fought like Gina Carano, she was fucking gigantic. She's much smaller now,
It's such a good fight, though,
but
man,
she's
for
still
Holly and her.
she's still a destroyer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think for a lot
It's been a
of
long time
fighters,
coming for
yeah.
her, man. I feel like she's finally got to it where she deserves this.
Well, she definitely deserves this big, high-profile fight, but so does Holly. You know, they both do. This is a really interesting fight because, like, clearly Holly's dangerous, right? She head kicks Ronda, knocks her out. She head kicks Betch Correia, knocks her out. She head kicked Jermaine Durandamy, who's a multiple-time world Muay Thai champion. Head kicks her, drops her, and a lot of people thought she should have got that decision. At the very least, it was super fucking close, and Jermaine's one of the best strikers in the world. She's a nasty striker.
So then if Holly and Cyborg just strike, who gets the edge?
Well, here's the thing.
Ugh.
Like, you can't sleep
Kid.
on Holly. Like, she's probably got a disadvantage when it comes to punching power, and
Yeah.
probably a significant one.
Not probably, yeah. She definitely does, yeah.
I mean, we won't really know because Holly has dropped people, and she does have sharp punches, and
Yeah.
she's an 18-time world women boxing champion. I mean, there's a lot of craziness to what Holly was able to do
Yeah.
as a striker with her hands.
Holly's more decorated as
Yeah.
far as straight striking
But
accolades.
Cyborg hits
She hits so fucking hard, and she's so aggressive.
Well, did you see Cyborg going against the gold medalist and the number one female boxer in the world? I think Clarissa Shields. Is that her name?
Yes, that is her name. Yeah.
Did you see him?
You sent me that
Amazing.
footage.
It's amazing.
Bang.
You said that. I mean,
Bang.
I mean,
Yeah. Clarissa Shields is no joke.
No, she's best boxing.
So
Jamie,
good.
bring that up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun to watch too because you realize, okay, well, she can hang in the pocket. She takes a tremendous shot. But if you really want to be impressed by Cyborg, I say you look at her one Muay Thai loss
That she lost,
to
yes.
Jorina Barge.
Preach.
I didn't see it.
Who's in
Jorina
Bellator
Barge,
now?
yeah, she's in Bellator kickboxing now. Jorina Barge is a monster. She's this really tall woman from Holland who's got outstanding technique, and
She's
she was
impossible.
nobody was fucking with her. She couldn't get a fight for years, so she's given her some coaching here.
So
She's showing-
Cyborg decided to fight that Muay Thai monster, and it went to a decision.
Yeah.
And Cyborg landed some good shots.
yeah, not only did it go to a decision, does Cyborg have new tattoos on her legs?
No, that's tape. That's like a performance tape.
On the top and
Yeah,
the oh wow,
yeah.
how weird! It's all
Yeah.
crisscrossy.
Yeah,
It's a shitty video, huh?
it's an awful video. By
But
the way.
Cyborg got dropped a bunch of times, kept getting up, came after her, and was there for the fucking final bell, still swinging, trying to take her
That Muay
out.
Thai girl had her hands full. It
She
wasn't a
did.
walk in the park.
It was not a walk in the
and
park.
she's a specialist.
and she's so good. Jorina
She's
Barge,
huge.
if you watch her fight, she's so good. So here's Cyborg sparring with. Look how good this girl is.
But look, Cyborg not.
She's hanging in there. Yeah, she goes. Look how she goes to the body and to the
Clarissa
head.
Shields is doing work though.
She is. She's so good, man. But these girls are going at it. This is not like a light sparring session. This is almost like a fight, And she's got to be careful because Cyborg has big fucking power. So she's treating this like this is a dangerous fight for her. Look,
Hands
she's
up.
landing these shots, but she's realizing like the stuff that's coming her way, she can't take one of those on the point of the chin. No. She's getting tagged. Look at this. Cyborg tagged her a couple times. But she's clearly like the more polished
yeah, she
professional boxer.
I mean, Cyborg's doing work though.
She is doing work.
You're not like,
Look at
oh,
that beautiful
shit.
left hook to the body. Ooh, that step in left hook to the body. Oh, that's pretty. She's so good. It's
I can't
so
wait for this
important
fight, man.
for a girl like her to get that kind of sparring in too.
Hell yeah.
I mean, who the fuck wants to spar with Cyborg?
No
Probably
one. And
very
that's how it
few
came
people.
about. Cyborg's talking about no one wants to spar with her. So this girl's like, I'll do it.
Wow, let her kick you.
I gotta see that.
Yeah.
I
Let her
gotta
wrestle.
see.
Take
I
a
gotta see
fucking
that,
elbow.
that Muay Thai fight with. Was it close?
It was a clear unanimous decision,
Yeah.
but it was dangerous at every turn.
Yeah. And also that woman. That's her thing.
You have more respect
Yeah.
for Cyborg after you watch it.
Yeah.
She wasn't gonna win, but she fucking did work.
She got head kicked with a stomp. She got like front push kick to the face, like right on the chin.
Didn't
Her
phase
neck
her.
snapped back. She falls down. She gets up, just still chasing after her. She's a warrior, man.
Yes.
She's a fucking warrior.
Yeah.
But so's Holly. Holly
Holly's
just
a
comes
monster.
off like cleaner and like, she comes off like more polished and she's very pretty and she's very calm and very
Yeah.
kind and nice to hear her talk.
I think where female fighting's at, that it's such a high level now with these two that whoever wins this is the best of all time.
I think it's the forefront of the feminist movement.
Boom, boom, boom.
Dun, dun, dun.
No pressure, ladies.
No worries. It's a very important fight for the sport, that's for sure. Because no one really out there who, in my mind, is willing to step in and challenge Cyborg other than Holly.
Well,
like,
these
who
two
else?
are going to fight like Andre Arlovsky, Frank Mir back in the day. There's no one, or Tim Sylvia
Yeah.
Arlovsky.
Is
There's
there
no
anybody in
one else.
Bellator who would do work in?
It's a good point. Good
For
question.
female?
I don't
Yeah.
think they're at the same level yet in the female division, but there's some real good talent there. There's some good female talent in MMA, period, right now.
Rose Namajunas and Ioanni and Jędrzejczyk, that rematch is going to be sick.
Yeah, that's an interesting rematch. You gonna throw up?
I'm getting close.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't eat all day and I drank all this caffeine.
Are you like
feel-
really swallowing spit and stuff?
Yeah,
you
I
brought
am.
a garbage can over.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I know. I
puke.
get
feel
this
a little
garbage can
sick.
here.
You really
No,
want
I'm
this
not
to be
sick. I
just go throw
too much
make yourself
caffeine.
throw up like a chick.
I might, man. I might purge.
Just
in the
go,
bathroom.
Go
we
eat
gotta
go
sink.
eat a deer stick.
Yeah, that'll help.
No.
That doesn't help, right?
Don't do
That's like,
that.
oh, you feel like,
Like,
so you want pork chops and a cigar? I'm feeling nauseous. Have a couple pork chops, smoke a cigar, you'll be fine.
How about sausage sub with extra mustard?
Gag.
I got the
You want to smell my breath?
This fight is important, man. It's important for the sport, right? It's important to figure out what what style you need to beat Cyborg. Like Tanya Evinger just fought a wild sort of brawling style and had like very limited success, but it was like one of those things where Cyborg just keeps advancing, and in every exchange you
It's just
realize
a matter of time.
she's so much more firepower. But Evinger, you know, she was trying to win that fight.
She's as tough as they come.
Yeah, she was trying to win that fight. This is a different fight because Holly is very dangerous, and she has a weird style. She'll fight karate style. She throws side kicks, a lot of front leg side kicks. She throws those oblique kicks to the inner thigh. And here's the thing. Holly might be. Is she gonna go?
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Go to
I'm in the
and
bathroom.
throw
Yeah,
up,
you
man.
finish
This
this
is weird.
breakdown, Brian. This is weird.
You got to start eating in the morning.
I don't eat.
He's trying to fast. He's doing some
We're
fasting.
like married.
He's really gonna throw up. He's gonna throw up, man.
I
Weird.
wanted to get that on camera.
No, that's not right, dude. That's not right. Did that shut? The
Play it
door
on a
shut?
loop. Play it on a loop.
Yeah. People right now are mad. Bro, why the fuck didn't you let him puke, bro?
He'll do that. He'll just not eat. Like we'll do podcasts. He's like, I haven't eaten yet.
I don't want to smell it. I don't want him to throw up in that garbage can either. Then we
That's a
gotta
tiny
clean that.
garbage can.
Yeah, that's not the move.
not even the size of
and
his
there's a bunch
stomach.
of stuff in that can too. It's
It'd be all bile too.
yeah,
It'd be like
no
it'd be
food.
dry bile.
You know what I ate last night, dude? I made elk tartare.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good.
Fuck. You make a good.
It's so good.
You make a good game meat.
Yeah, I get good at it now.
I'm gonna need a little game meat from.
I got a shit ton.
I need some.
Yeah, I got some here for you.
Hey, and maybe. I mean, I love that you give me the hamburger. Can I get some?
I gave you steaks.
solid
I gave
meat?
you a heart, dude. That is the best part.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I gave you one of the elk hearts.
I know.
This isn't. No, I've
the
never
fuck out
ever
of it.
given anyone an elk
I
heart.
ate the
before.
fuck out of it.
You can have some steaks, bro. You just can't have all of them. Greedy bitch. You got to go out and kill your own food.
Yeah, but you won't invite me.
That's not the truth.
I have a 60-pound bow. What I want to do
you're
is
not
bring the
as,
bow here and
obsessed.
practice.
Yeah, well, let's do that.
But you're only doing archery, right? Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I got to get good with archery before I can come.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a weird learn on the job one. Shooting
is, huh?
arrows at animals. You got to be completely obsessed with doing that.
Yeah.
You've got to, or not. You know, honestly, the reality is rifle is more. It's more effective. Like you will shoot more things with a rifle.
Yeah.
You don't have to get as close. They're not going to move while you're
Well,
shooting
can I
them.
bring a rifle and you bring a bow?
For sure. Yeah, yeah. If you're in an area that allows both things.
Yeah.
Depends on where you're going.
Because I'd love to get an elk.
Yeah.
Or
See,
a
elk.
moose.
They have specific seasons where you're allowed to. Most of the time during the rut, you have to use archery equipment. In most places. Some places are different. There's like some different that let you use all weapons, and some they have some special tags. But like during the rut when they're breeding, the idea is that it's easy to find them. They're all howling, and you know they're making those elk-like wails, and they're distracted by pussy. And to get close enough to shoot them with a bow and arrow, way more difficult because you could just perch yourself on a fucking, a nice tree stump and let that sight just settle perfectly on them. If you have a rifle and just ba-doom, and they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead as soon as you pull the trigger. Whereas with a bow and arrow, you really should be getting inside of 40 yards if you can.
It's hard, right?
It's very
They can
hard.
smell
They
you.
smell you like crazy. They see your movement. They're constantly tuned in and turned on. And you have to fight off the fact that there's like, if a bull elk, you're trying to shoot a bull elk, you might have 30 cows that are around that bull elk. You got to trick them too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you got 30 sets of eyes, 60 eyeballs looking your way, and they
damn.
bark.
You throw up?
A little green under the gills, boys.
Did you really puke?
Yeah, I did.
Did you want some water or something?
Nah, I'm good now, man.
Damn, son. That's weird.
Are you
all
having
right?
withdrawals from the heroin?
I wish it was that.
You look pale.
I know, I do. I
And your
do.
hair's a little messy.
I know. I looked in the mirror. I thought, you look like shit, man.
How
Whenever
much
we go back-
caffeine did you drink?
Well, I had a latte with an extra shot on the way here. I had 3 cups this morning. But then I drank this thing,
You never stop drinking
You drank the
coffee.
caveman, and then you drank that other
and then I drank
coffee
the
that we
French
made.
press. And I haven't eaten today because I fast in the mornings.
That's a lot of caffeine.
Did
I
you
know.
go crazy for Christmas?
No,
No?
I actually didn't cheat on
Any
Christmas.
pumpkin pie?
What are you saying? Are you saying that he's like he's got a weight issue?
He tends to binge.
No, I don't. I've been super strict. I haven't cheated since Thanksgiving.
You secretly sometimes will go crazy on.
Not when I'm strict like this.
No.
Keto Kid is back, bitch.
Whoa, Keto Kid is back.
I'm back. I didn't mean to call you
been-
bitch. I'm sorry.
How was the
smelled the pizza
pescatarian?
in
You
my
tried
room.
pescatarian for a while. How'd that go?
Nah, keto's the only thing that works for me. It's not for everyone, but keto works for me.
But does it work for you in terms of the way you feel, or
yeah, the
works?
way I feel.
Yeah.
The way I feel, it's easy to stick to, but the way I feel when I'm on it, I don't want to cheat. I don't want carbs. I don't want that food anymore, so I'm good.
I go between keto and low carb,
Yeah.
and then occasionally I'll fuck off and have like a pastrami sub.
I call that keto-ish.
I do a thing
Yeah, that's a good way to-
where I go through Whole Foods and Erewhon, and if I'll look at people and I try to spot the vegans. And this is so mean.
Get those They Live glasses.
Boy, when I see somebody super pale and drawn out, and they just look sunken in, I'll look in their cart, and
Like
it's
me
like
right now?
they've got oats and some seaweed, and it's just all vegan stuff. I'm always like, you could use a little protein.
Well, it's really is just some people are just doing it wrong.
Yeah,
that's
that's
really what it is. You can do it right,
Of course
but,
you can.
but it's just like keto. Like it requires a lot of thinking and planning. Like in order to, I've seen people argue it online. It's so stupid. Nobody ever gets to ketosis. It's bullshit.
I know.
Of course they do, stupid. Of course they do. It's measurable. People do it and they find benefit to it. Some people don't find benefit to it though. But it's important to point out that it's not hard to get into a state of ketosis. You just have to do what's required.
Yeah.
It can be done. It's not difficult to get to. And the idea that nobody gets there is just so wrong. People get there all the time. It's a matter of whether or not getting there will be good for you. And
I'll have people email me or on social media like, dude, keto's stupid, man. You can't do that for a long time. It's not for me. I'm like, it
Some
works for me,
people
man.
can.
I don't give a fuck.
It
works
just
for me. I'm
depends
not
on-
saying
it
it's for
depends.
everyone.
It
Dom
works on
DiAgostino's
everybody.
been on it forever.
Yeah.
He's been on it forever. But Rhonda Patrick was on the other day, and she was pointing out how with some people, it's not the right diet
I
for
don't think
your
it
body.
works for me.
It probably doesn't.
I stopped. I read that book, The Plant Paradox, and I've told this before, but I stopped eating bread and those whole wheat things and all the things he talks about. He's more of a plant-based guy, but it did cure my plaque psoriasis up until yesterday because I started eating bread again. But it cured
You
my
son
plaque.
of a bitch.
It cured my plaque psoriasis. It
Yeah.
fucking got rid of it.
It's
I was
I'm not
getting it on
saying
my
it's
face.
the end be all, but it's just it works for me,
Yeah.
man.
Depending on what you eat. You know?
I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck what diet you do. That's what I
Whatever
do.
works.
Yeah, I'm eating real low carb or keto.
Yes.
That's all
Me
it
too.
is. It's either I'm keto or every now and then I'll feel it when I get off of it.
What do you mean
Like,
low
I'll have
carb? You eat a
two
lot of
free-
vegetables,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a lot of vegetables, but low carb in terms of no refined bullshit, no flour. And
No
when I
rice.
get into those states, I know when I have too much fruit because then I'll start craving it. I'll start like craving carbs.
Really?
The
Whereas
sugar.
I can tell. I mean, I have tested myself a few times, but it's annoying to stick that fucking thing in your hand and extract the blood and
Yeah.
put it on the tab. But you can feel when you're in that state of ketosis. Like I'll monitor my diet real steady for 5-6 days. And sometimes there'll be like a little dip because I've done it so many times it's not as noticeable. There'll be a little dip in your energy during your workouts. But then when I come on the other side of it, then as soon as I feel like no hunger pangs during the day at all, like I'm good. And then I went, oh, okay, I'm in. I feel, and then
Do you eat, can you eat sweet potatoes?
you can, but you can't eat too much. Like sweet potato has a lot of fiber in it. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the better potatoes for you to eat. It's got a lot of vitamins in
Yams
it. Yams and sweet potatoes are fantastic for you.
Yeah.
But it's like how much are you taking in? How much actual sugar does your body have to process? If it's just a small portion of it, I'm sure it's fine if your overall meals are filled with like really healthy food, avocados, healthy fats, good solid protein with no bullshit and no wheat. Like just keep the fuck away from wheat. Keep the fuck away from pasta or don't. Every now and then have it. But if you could just get most of your diet free of that shit, you'll just feel better. You just feel better.
I do.
If you ate too many mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes and got out of ketosis, as long as you're not eating any bullshit, I don't even think that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your body will have more of an insulin response, but I mean, you're having all that fiber with your sugar. If you're eating a yam or a mashed potato or a sweet potato, it's not like eating candy.
A lot of it depends on your activity level, your age, all that shit.
Oh,
too.
yeah. That's a big
lot of
one.
factors.
That's a big one, is post-workout. Like, how many people work out like you did when you were fighting? How many fucking human beings know what it's like to put in those hard 2-a-days and just be
Almost no one.
fried 4 weeks into camp, realize you got 2 to go, bro.
God, the worst.
Speak to it, man. Speak to it.
Speak to
Tell
it.
us.
There's nothing worse.
You're nauseous. Speak to
And
it.
then my coach Tony Jeffries, who he gets it. He was an Olympic boxer and boxer professional. He'd go, "Yeah, you're 3 weeks in. You have 4 more weeks of this, Brendan. Let's get to work." Just fucking with me. Oh my God, man.
That's why a guy like you has to like keep an eye on his appetite after you get out of fighting.
Yes.
Because you're not broken down like that all day anymore, where you could just fucking shovel it in. People that are anytime you're doing anything that's super difficult and you're working out twice in a day, man, you're going to be hungry all the time. And your body gets into that
But
headspace.
even back then, I wish I was more knowledgeable on diet and stuff like that. I hired some nutritionists, but I never really clicked with anyone. But I have more knowledge now on. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I almost threw up
Yeah, I
again.
almost threw up. I just threw up in my mouth. It's all good, though. Back to the keto diet. So I have more knowledge now.
Did you say taquito diet?
Dude,
Keto diet.
I'm fucking.
Back to the Freud.
I'm
Back to the
struggle city
He went
right
back to
now.
the
I threw up
keto
in my
diet.
mouth. My breath smells like fucking throw up. Anyways, I wish I had more knowledge back then when I was fighting on diet and stuff. Because I didn't. I would
think-
talk to people. I try to figure out. And like, no, you're burning so many calories. Eat whatever you want. I'm like, God, I don't think that's the right answer.
No.
And when I played at University of Colorado, and I would ask the nutrition, I'm like, man, I feel like this yogurt you're giving us in Gatorade has so much fucking sugar in it. She goes, you're fine. You're gonna burn it off. I'm like, this doesn't seem right to me, man.
Yeah,
Because
but-
I look at everyone's bodies. We look like shit.
That is true, but you definitely have different requirements than a person who doesn't do the kind of working out that you
Oh,
do.
for sure.
Where your body will burn a certain amount of sugar and a certain amount, especially when it comes to fruits or anything complex.
100%, but I
gonna
think
burn more.
even though you're burning those calories, you can put good fuel
Yes,
in and still get
100%.
calories. You don't have
100%.
to get it from cheeseburgers and candy. You can get it through high quality foods, even still.
But what I'm saying, getting at is in terms of like overall performance, if you want to do it perfectly, I don't know if keto is the way to go for like a fighter. I think the strains and requirements on your body in terms of like the amount of fuel your body needs to burn, there's an argument that especially for a lot of people, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, having more carbohydrates in your diet than is required to stay in a state of ketosis is probably
man,
required.
what fighter did I talk to? I want to say Lance Palmer. Sorry, Lance, if I'm off on this. Lance told me, one of the fighters I've had on my show goes, man, for the last 3 weeks before my fight, he has to make weight. He goes, I go keto. I make weight easily. He goes, I've never felt better.
Yeah, Brian Caraway said that too. Brian
I've
Caraway
never talked to him, so it wasn't
did
him
that.
for me. Might be Lance Palmer.
might be. Well, you look, everybody's
been
body
TJ.
responds differently. That's another problem. Everybody's body responds differently to
I
all
never
sorts of
push it
different
on
diets.
people. People ask me, this is what I do, man. I don't know if it's for you. For me, when I'm on the road, I can find keto meals. When I go to a steakhouse, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy for me when I'm on the road.
Everybody's body.
Yeah.
Medicine. I mean, medicine is that way now.
Sure.
That's why they give you pointed, targeted therapy. They've got to see what your genome is.
Well, I always bring up you and your mom when you talk about Brazil nuts.
Yeah.
Your mom can't eat Brazil nuts.
You
She'll
could
go
brush
into-
her. You could brush her skin with them.
That's crazy.
And she would
break out.
Yeah.
That's fucking
What did your mom
nuts.
used to call those nuts? I forget.
Brazil nuts.
Is that what she always called
But
them?
out of
Yeah.
all the things to be allergic to, the wackest nut of them all, the shittiest tasting, stupid nut. Like when you get one of those things of mixed nuts, you get those Brazil nuts. You're like,
Yeah.
all
They're the
right,
worst.
Giant nuts.
throw that big
I
stupid
know, but they say
nut
they're
down.
good.
Sloth toes.
Sloth
Right?
toes, yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
making
yeah.
that up?
Yeah, they do. Oh, that's what she calls them?
I felt like
toes?
we called it something else. Sloth toes, right?
They look like a sloth toe.
Maybe I just made that up now.
You might have. It's what it looks like.
I'm
but-
sick.
big
all right?
stupid
Yeah,
I'm
but
sick.
But Brazil nuts, like I heard that they're good. They're good for sports and for your liver or some bullshit. So
bet
what
they
I
are.
do, good old Bride decides to start chopping them up 6, 7 at a time, putting them in my shake. That's all good. Problem is, I inherited a little of the old allergic stuff. Now, when you are allergic and you keep eating something, you'll develop more and more of a reaction with less. Whoa. So I would notice that all of a sudden, periodically, my throat would be sore. It'd just be swollen and sore. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm not sick, but my throat. And then my entire mouth at one point swelled up and like it looked like the roof of my mouth had been burned. And my dentist goes, "Did you burn the entire roof of your mouth?" I went, "No." And he goes, "Your mouth, it looks like it's been burned. Like somebody stuck a thing." And I go, "Yeah, it's killing me. I don't know what the fuck is going on." He goes, You allergic to something? I said, no, I'm not allergic. He goes, are you eating a nut that you might be allergic to? And I said, And so I was developing very quickly
That was a while ago?
major problem.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Have
It
you
was-
ever
it was
heard of the
pivotal
Lone
months.
Star tick, and that it gives people red meat allergy?
I have. I listened to a
That'd be a nightmare.
podcast.
Radiolab, Alpha
Radiolab,
Gal.
yeah.
Yeah. There's some
Very
fucking
rare
compound.
thing.
Yeah. The tick is becoming less and less rare. That's what's really tick-borne diseases are fucking horrifying. There are so many people out there
Lyme
that are suffering
disease.
from chronic Lyme.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get it. They don't catch it quick enough. They don't get the antibiotics in their system quick enough. And
I know somebody who has that.
my friend Chandra, her dad got a shot for Lyme disease. They used to give you a vaccination, and he caught Lyme disease from the
God
vaccination.
damn.
They don't do that vaccination anymore. Fuck, man.
And once
Can
you have
imagine?
Lyme, there's no way to cure it, right?
Well,
No, there
it
is. You
depends.
take massive amounts of tetracycline, etc.
Yeah, but everybody's result is different.
God
like
damn.
some people catch it too late, and it's like chronic.
Well, Jimmy Burke had tuberculosis. We called him
What?
Jimmy Burculosis. You don't know about that?
When did he have that?
Jimmy Burculosis got it. They thought for 6 months it was about 3 months. They thought he had the disease that killed Bernie Mac. Whoa. They thought he had that or lung cancer. And I'm with Jimmy. He's walking around with a machine that's draining his lungs. Okay, they couldn't figure it out. Yeah,
Where does it hook up? Through his mouth?
I think a thing to his chest.
How long ago was that be?
Jesus.
This is 10 years ago.
He's walking around with
And
this thing?
yeah, in the hospital, and that was what he was looking at. So I fly to New York. It's my fucking brother, right? I fly to him in New York. I'm like, dude, I go, you know, you either have the thing that turns your lungs to sand, or lung cancer. And he goes, that's what they're telling me, Bob. And we're talking, and he's hanging out. Saying, I go, how the fuck are you not in crisis right now? And he goes, dude, I made peace with my death so fucking long ago that if I'm gonna go like this, everybody's laughing, and my funeral better be a fucking party. Anyway, long story short, they come in and they of course guess who falls in love with them? All the doctors, because it's Jimmy Burke. All the fucking doctors. And they fall in love with him. And when they found out that he had tuberculosis on the outside of his lung, it wasn't on the inside, which was really weird. He had it on the outside, got it probably from his grandfather, who he had been exposed to when he was 3-4 years old.
Whoa.
When he was
What do
dying.
they do for tuberculosis?
So with tuberculosis, they give you 9 months of antibiotics. Ooh. And what that did to Jimmy
Can't feel good.
What that did to Jimmy is it
Itchy
made
asshole.
him
Itchy asshole.
No, not just that, it made him colorblind. So he can't see certain colors.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
From the antibiotics?
Yeah. Nobody healthier, by the way, but he went through
Wait a
some
minute.
shit. The way he
So
handled
to
that
this-
was amazing.
To this day, he's still colorblind?
Oh yeah. It
From antibiotics?
Oh yes, sir. It changed his body a little bit too. He wasn't as muscular. I think he lost some weight.
Bro, you ever take antibiotics make your asshole itch? Like the ring of your ass
Oh,
itch?
yeah.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
you ain't
I mean,
take
I
the
want
right
to take something
ones.
that doesn't make the ring of my asshole itch. That's
Well,
what I'm
makes you
antibiotics is
colorblind.
it's one of the side
Yeah.
effects.
No, TB like that fucking 9 months where he was.
Dude,
He
I
was
got
on the
staph.
state.
I got staph once, and I got
I
it
remember that.
twice.
I remember that.
But I got it once, and I took the antibiotics, and we went out to dinner. You and me and Patty
Remember?
Jenkins.
And you couldn't drink.
And not only could I not drink, my head felt like I had like a lead helmet like
Yep.
sitting on my head. I was like, I can't believe how shitty I feel. I feel so weak and so shitty, and I just gotten on them. I was only on them for like a couple of days.
Oh, they're so
and
bad.
I remember thinking like, wow, how could anybody fight on this?
How about guys fight with them?
They're crazy. It drains you so bad.
Yeah.
I didn't train, obviously, because I had staff. I didn't want to give it to anybody, but I did try to use some weights and do some working out. It was useless. I tried to hit the bag. Useless.
That's what's crazy when you find
Useless.
out fighters. They're like, yeah, he won that fight and he was on antibiotics.
How about
You're like, what the fuck?
fucking Kevin Lee. When he
Yeah.
fought against Tony
Yeah.
Ferguson, I looked at his chest the moment he walked into the cage. I was like, that is staph.
Dude, how
That
about
is-
Hodger
that's a fucking
Gracie against
staph.
Buchecha?
Did he have staph?
He was on antibiotics.
No way.
Yeah, he goes, I didn't come here to tap.
That's
and then they're like, you look a little
insane.
sluggish. He's like, oh, I was on antibiotics the whole time.
That's insane.
Well, you
He
could
beat
see him.
Buchecha on antibiotics.
Nuts.
Holy shit.
You could see that Kevin Lee had staph.
100%.
He
You
had,
could
he
see
had
it.
an extra
He had
titty
a giant,
on his chest.
He had a giant welt on his chest, and I pointed it out to Daniel. I pointed out, I go, does that look like staph? And
was hilarious.
Someone in Daniel's ears was saying, do not talk about it. Do not talk about it. And he's like, yep, that looks like staph to me.
Right when you said it, I was like, oh,
Hold on.
shit, I hope Joe's right, man.
Oh no, I'm right.
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
there's no way that could be anything.
I
It
thought
else.
turned out it was, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
swollen. Like something either happened, like maybe he got burnt
God, what's
backstage.
next for that kid? I haven't heard anything. You think he'd be
Taking a break, you know.
his coach
back
just
to the
commit
drawing
suicide,
board.
huh?
His coach commit. Oh, it was Robert Foles. Yeah, man.
That was his coach?
That's a bummer. Robert Foles is a great guy. Yeah. I didn't know he committed suicide.
Yeah.
I knew he died. I heard that there had been a rumor about that, but it wasn't
That's what
confirmed.
I heard, suicide.
Did his brother commit suicide as well?
Yes.
Fuck. Their poor parents.
Fuck. He was a really, really nice guy. Very
shit.
smart guy too. Very smart guy. That's such a bummer, man. You know, and who knows what causes someone who's so well loved and so liked. You know, that's a great argument for like chemical issues versus like how. I mean, you can tell some people just don't have good lives. Everything's going bad for them. They want to end their life because they can't take the pain. But then there's other people that are like him that are doing really well. You know, and you gotta go, man, what is
mystery,
it?
man.
It is a fucking
Straight
mystery.
mystery.
And we all have this real problem when it comes to people doing things that we would think would, you know, you'd consider to be something that someone who doesn't have control of themselves does, and we shun that. We don't like that. It bothers us.
Not me.
But there's a reality to like pain and suffering that we have to address, and you know, shaming someone for wanting to end their life is not.
No,
you know.
until you've been faced with that kind of despair. If you're your despair level is to the point where you take your own life, you
Yeah.
have my utmost and everlasting sympathy. I don't have a judgment on that. I've
No.
never been there. So the idea that I
Might
would
be a
be like,
tortured
get
soul, man.
it together.
No.
Usually a rational decision for someone who commits suicide is the only way out of this terrible situation is death. That's a rational decision. I have nothing but my ultimate. All you can do is shake your head and feel sad, not judgmental.
It's fucking completely horrible. I mean, when you stop and think about the idea of wanting to end your life, you know,
I
at
feel
any-
lucky
at
I
any
don't
cost.
have that
Yeah,
that
that depression
level of
bug.
serotonin in my brain.
Yeah.
And
But I think I think for a lot of people, it goes back to, you know, what's the chemical reaction that's going on in your brain?
well, they've done. Yeah.
Is it just an issue with some sort of a disorder where there's like something that's not producing the right amount of chemicals, or is it a problem of your past? Like
It could be a
trauma.
conflation of a lot of different factors,
Yep.
but one thing to know is that you have a set point for your serotonin usually. You know, like certain people like me, I probably have a serotonin level from 1 to 10 at usually 7 to 8. You know, no matter what's going on, I'm just lucky. I just very rarely get depressed, and if I do, it's a mild sort of haze.
Mm-hmm.
Some people they could invent the cure for every disease in the world and win the lottery and all this stuff,
Still
and
have it.
They just have an
go
imbalance.
back to their serotonin levels being at 4 or whatever, and it's just
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, but I
Probably.
think there's some people that are just never happy for whatever reason, chemically, or whether it could be
Well,
aided
Neil
by
Brennan
exercise.
talks
Neil Brennan talks about that,
He
right?
does.
Neil's always
Yeah.
has always been melancholy.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been sort of in that blue region, and I've
Yeah.
always been
He's
in
so
the
brilliant.
opposite.
Yep, Neil Brennan's so
Yeah.
brilliant. When you hear him talk about it, like he was like, yeah, with the Chappelle stuff, and he's like, I'm always just here, man. Especially after
Yeah.
medication, I'm just here. I just go through the motions.
He's a very smart guy.
Oh man, he's brilliant.
You know, I think there's also an issue with people that are really smart. They look at the futility of it all, and it's sometimes
Yeah.
harder for them to overcome.
Well,
not
Doug
discounting
Davidoff has the
chemical
greatest
issues.
joke about that. He goes, he'd suffer from depression.
This
I
is
go, how you
Dove?
doing? Yeah, he wouldn't call me. I go, where you been? He goes, I got a touch of the black dog, and I'm like, yeah. And he had this joke. He goes, you ever want to like kill somebody, but you can't get yourself off the couch? It's like you're too depressed to get off the couch. It's like some people have a real thing where
Yeah.
you
Just
just
a
yeah,
bummer,
man.
man.
There's
get overwhelmed with
There's
it.
no denying. It's like, but how much can exercise help you? How much can diet help you? It's a factor. It's not the only factor, but it's a factor, you know. And there's a lot of people that don't realize that, and they go through life, and they have these issues. And then there's people that have all the exercise and the diet right, and they still
it's
are
still not the
depressed.
answer,
Yeah,
yeah.
still not the answer.
Like they have so much going for them. And
And then there's head trauma. You know, there's that's always going to be a factor. There's TBI and CTE and all the different things that does to your head.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
I was thinking about Chris Cornell because Chris Cornell had such an artistic, fully artistic, he accomplished so much artistically and had his artistry was continuing to flourish, and kind of in the middle of that with children and so much to live for.
Anti-anxiety medication. Do you know
is that what he was taking?
Yeah, he called his wife up before he did it, and he was slurring his words,
There you
and
go.
they think he was on a lot of that stuff.
Well, how about the
knows
singer of
stuff?
Linkin Park? Same
Yeah,
shit.
he
had
yeah, he
7
had-
kids.
Yeah,
That stuff. That
he had real depression too, and he was sexually abused when he was young.
No, he was.
Yeah. Yeah, but anti-anxiety medication has various effects on people. You know, there's some people it's a godsend for,
Yeah.
but it's just like the Brazil nuts thing. There's some people that are going to have an adverse reaction to it, and you have to be prepared for whatever that reaction could be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's a fucking bummer, man. The human body, we don't have it figured out, but goddamn, they're getting closer and closer.
But it goes back to the fact that we're all very complicated. We're all individuals. So
Yeah.
have a little compassion for each other.
Have a little compassion would be nice. There's a lot of people lashing out because they don't feel good. And I watched this lady the other day cut in front of somebody. It was hilarious. This guy's trying to get into this lane, and this lady speeds up to try to keep the guy from getting in the lane. And the guy sees it, so he just kind of eases over anyway, and she just lays on her horn. Bam! And then the guy pulls up, like he's in this lane now, and he pulls up, and she gets in the next lane, shoots in front of him, turns her car in front of him, and slams on the brakes.
Jesus
And so
Christ.
he gets to the left of her and just starts going towards her, and she freaks out and turns into traffic and has to slam on the brakes. Like, you just had a crazy hissy fit over nothing because you did that cunty thing that all of us have been guilty of doing, where you don't let somebody in your lane. And this guy was like, fuck you, I'm getting in. It's like she sped up. She sped up to keep him from going in. You watched it all play out, and you're like, wow.
I was in Park City with my mother driving her SUV, and I wasn't even driving fast. And this woman, older woman with a very old, like an old matronly, like you used to be the principal of your school, and short hair, and she had her golden retriever, and she dressed in a preppy fashion. Slow down.
Oh my God.
And then I go, oh, and I wasn't even going fast. And she just goes, and I could hear her make that noise. She goes, like that with her. And she gave me the hardest middle finger.
Oh my God.
And I went, are you kidding me? And she goes, I'm calling the police, and reached for her phone right away.
For
and
what?
I go, that's what I said. I go, oh, for what? I go, have a nice day. And just kept going.
I remember getting in a road rage situation with this dude when I first moved to LA. We're looking at each other on the highway, and he takes his shirt off to show me his tattoos.
Tight move.
He's screaming at me, and I'm not reacting. I'm just looking at him. I'm like, what is going to happen here? I'm like, why is this guy trying so hard to scare me? He's like, fuck you, fucking pull over. Fucking pull over. So he takes his shirt off. He's got these tattoos, and by the way, he does not look built. I'm like, you're in trouble, fella. You don't really know how to fight.
Sloppy.
I highly doubt. I mean, you get fooled sometimes, but I'm like, this is a guy that's trying to scare me, which is he's probably terrified.
A lot of noise.
Yeah, and so I'm just looking at him, and the more I'm looking at him, he just keeps screaming at me because I'm not reacting to him. I'm just like looking at him, and he's screaming, and I'm in my car driving, he's looking at me. And I was driving a Suburban too, which I thought was hilarious because he goes, "You rich piece of shit." I was like, I'm in a Suburban. How do you know if I'm rich?
Suburban,
Like, this isn't even like a rich car. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, where's this coming from? It was real screamy. And I was thinking at this time, I could make a terrible mistake. Or I could say, oh, yeah, I think I could just fuck this guy up. Let me pull his car over and teach this asshole
You do
a
as a
lesson.
young guy.
Yeah, I was only like 28 at the time.
pretty
I was still
young.
pretty fucking stupid. But this guy screaming at me almost made me realize how dumb it is. I was like watching this, taking his shirt off, showing me his
There's
tattoos.
no upside.
To this day, though, there'd be like a day would go by that I would think I should have just fucked that dude up.
Whip his ass with his shirt
Like
off.
20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Of course.
It was 20 years
It's in
ago.
you.
What's
And
the
I
best case
literally-
scenario, though?
I literally think I should have just pulled over
Right
and
now,
kicked
your
that
mouth is
fucking
like-
dude's legs out from under him and choked him unconscious.
Be hilarious.
But it's so stupid to
It's so
harbor those
fucking
thoughts
silly.
20 years later.
Yeah.
That's how dumb those instances where you want to go in a lane and someone doesn't want to let you and they speed up and they're like, fucking honk, honk, fuck you. Like that tension. It's so dumb. You'll hold on to some of those dumb thoughts for decades.
Dude, I had a guy the other day. I was driving off Abbott Kinney. I looked at my phone at directions, and I was at a stop sign. And, it was my turn to go, but I was
Right.
looking down at my phone for directions. And this guy behind me, he's like a regular worker, like in a car, just goes nuts, honking and horning. And I wave at him, like, my bad, man. And then I'm driving. He goes around me, slams on the brakes. and starts flipping me off, talking shit.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
oh, dude, come
Oh,
on,
my God.
man. And then I'm like, all right, go, man. I got it. I fucked up. Keep going. And then he won't let me go. I'm like, dude, you gotta let me go, man. And he
Oh
just
my
keeps
God.
talking shit. I'm like, what the
Oh
fuck
my
am I gonna
God.
do, man? I'm gonna beat up this dad? What the fuck am I gonna do?
But he's playing a game that he thinks he's safe playing. You know,
Oh,
because
my
we're not
God.
in Serbia. Nobody's pulling guns out and gunning people down the
Dude.
street. These people, they'll do that kind of shit. I watched these two guys race each other, and they were cutting in front of each other and slam on the brakes and doing that thing and slamming on the brakes and yelling shit at each other out the window. And you just watch them, and you go like, this could be nothing, or it could be your life.
Correct.
Like you could hit that guy, he can go into traffic, somebody could die. He could hit someone on the street. Like, you guys are speeding like you're in this death race, like you're in some fucking Mad Max movie,
Well,
but you're on a residential street.
Dude, me and this guy, he's yelling at me, and I'm like, what are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? You got your car, you gonna fight me? What the fuck you gonna do? And he goes, yeah, that's exactly
Oh
what
my
the fuck I'm gonna do. And I was like, I took off my glasses, and I went, you're fucking serious. You're serious right now. He's like, keeps going, and then I thought, well, am I going to get out and
get shot.
and fight this guy?
Or
Yeah, I
get
said, what if
shot.
he has a gun? So,
Yeah.
and I was wanting to go left, but I couldn't because he's blocking me. So I went right. I thought, man, my brother and my friends would make fun of me for going right when I should have went left. But
It's the right thing to do. It's the right
that's
thing
what
to do.
I was driving
Just
like, what am I going to do? Fight this fucking guy?
think of that as being like you run into a dog. Are
I
you
know.
supposed to like, hey, fuck you, dog? No, you sit, bitch.
I know.
Sit. No, you're supposed to go, I gotta go. But the problem is it's a person. So a person you think of as different than a dog. Like a
Yep.
dog is like, you're like, I gotta get the fuck away from that dog. You gotta get the fuck away from that person too.
It's an ego thing, too.
Right.
Yeah.
But listen, dude.
But I didn't have that-
99.9%
Oh my
of the
God, dude.
fucking human beings you interact with, you could kill.
Yeah.
Like that should play heavy on your mind.
No, you know what played on my mind was I bet he's going through some shit. He probably
Yeah.
worked like a double shift.
Yeah.
Someone probably was texting before me, and he's just taking his anger out on me. I'm just going to go right. Fuck this, man. I don't need this.
Yeah, but he could have been 10, and still acted like that. And you should have the same reaction. Like, oh, God. Look
True.
at this. Like, it's a child.
Oh, and
He's a child. He's a grown-up baby.
dude, when he cut
who's
me off, I
pretending
couldn't
he's
go
going to kick
left.
your ass.
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
One of
man?
two things. Either has a gun or he's fucking insane. Those are the only two possibilities.
Correct.
Right? Or he doesn't realize you're a gorilla sitting in your car. You look like a normal-sized
I'm
person.
in an
It's a-
orange Porsche,
a
so
nor-
he's probably like, fuck this
It's
guy.
a normal. Yeah, he probably feels like you're some preppy dickhead from
Yeah.
Bel Air.
Yeah.
Some cutie pie.
You'd be right. Yeah.
Imagine.
Well, we're talking about like road rage incidences. They've figured out why people have road rage too. And one of the reasons why it occurs so often is not just a separation by barriers between you and the other person so you don't have social cues. It's also that your senses are jacked up because you're in the situation where you know that you have to react potentially at a very fast rate. You have to be able to react instantaneously to someone changing your lane. Slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
You got to be, so you're at heightened states. And so then you interact with people that you think maybe are fucking with that heightened state. And you just fucking lay on that horn, you piece of shit, you cut me off. And everybody's been guilty of it. And everybody has to learn to negotiate that weird extra urge of aggression that you get when you're in your car. And don't get out of the car and fight. Don't do it.
No, don't do it.
But people want to do it, man. They want to do it all the time.
No.
Bad idea.
People shoot people
I feel
all
like
the
they
time.
could look at your head and you've got a kind of a big head.
Now I got a friendly face, man.
What about your ears? Like
They're not thinking,
They
man.
don't
This
see
guy's
my
not.
ears.
First of all, this
they
guy.
see the bullshit haircut. I'm in an orange Porsche. I probably got skinny jeans on.
Yeah.
guy's
Then when
not
I get out, I
thinking
get the
of fighting
boots.
anyone. He's not thinking of
Yeah.
fighting. It's all opposing thing. It's
Yeah,
all.
it is.
It's all a bluff charge. It's all
It's
it
a
is.
bluff charge. It's exactly what it
Exists
is.
in
The,
all
the
of
way he cut me
nature.
off, though, this guy was down.
Yeah, but he's not down. It's like
down.
a gorilla running up to you. He was never planning on smashing you.
Yeah, that shit worked. I went right.
Yeah.
I need to go left.
Yeah,
I had to
he
go
got
all
you.
the way around
He got
the block.
you. And he went home. His dick was hard as a rock, and he fucked the shit out of his
yeah.
wife. I'm a fucking man. It was a guy. He cut me off, and I told him to fuck off. You want to fight, you motherfucker? He said no, and I'm gonna fuck you now.
that shit
I
worked.
win.
They
I
say
conquered.
that in what was that book that by Malcolm Gladwell, where
Blink?
wherever you're from has to do with how you react to affronts. So, like they did this experiment where they would have a guy, basically they'd have you take 2 fake tests. And you had to take a test in this room, and then you had to go down the hall and take a test in another room. As you were walking down the hall to the other test, you would get somebody would walk by you, bump you, and go, "Watch out, asshole," and keep walking. And the dudes from the South, versus the guys from the north, the dudes from the south, their serotonin level, whatever, all those levels, their serotonin levels, their testosterone levels, everything was jacked to the fucking roof. They were ready to fight. Dudes from the north, nah, not at all. They were like, huh, whatever, what a dick. And it had to do, according to Gladwell, not really, also this guy Nisbet as well, it had to do with where you were from and, more importantly, where your ancestry heralded from. If you came from a culture, an honor culture, as opposed to what they called a dignity culture. So if you came from a culture where honor was everything, and those cultures are herding cultures. That's where you get the Chechenis. That's where you get the Afghanis. That's where you get the North Scots Irish. That's why
Armenians.
Armenians. That's
Armenians
why,
will fuck you up.
Fuck yes. Fuck Armenians are tough as shit.
Shoulder check some
Are you
Armenian in the
kidding?
street.
They will punch you in the. They don't fuck around. Armenians.
You get yourself a scrap.
And tight knit communities.
Yeah, I like that.
But it was from honor cultures and the Scots Irish, who settled where? The Appalachians, the Hatfields and the McCoys. The fuck you up. When you go to Ireland, you go to parts of the UK, you know, in the north where Tony's from. Good luck. Go see what happens in a bar when you want to get scrappy. You'll find plenty of man to meet you halfway. Whereas if you go to certain other parts of the world where they didn't come from herding cultures, where they came from a culture that relied mostly on agriculture, where it relied on cooperation, because when you're a herder and somebody steals your sheep, you will not survive the winter. So you got to let everybody know that if you do steal my sheep, I'm going to kill you and every man in your fucking family because I'm a crazy motherfucker. So you know, it's do or die here.
Right. It's literally survival of your family.
Nisbet and Gladwell just wrote a book about it, but like some of these guys who actually did the primary research on that prove that culture, even though you don't know those people, even though you're generations, you know, removed from that in this country, that shit has deep roots in your cultural psyche. Yeah. And of course also
probably
in the South,
some form of genetic memory.
Genetic memory, but also cultural memory. Also, that's you're raised as a man to protect your cubic space.
Well, that guy who wanted to fight me was a herder.
I'm sure he was.
You think
sure
so?
He was.
He's a
I think he's probably on Adderall and he's faking.
He was down.
He's bluff charging.
He just got off a double shift. He has a herding mentality.
What kind of car did he have?
It was a L.A. County truck.
Oh,
he was Mexican.
If you guys want to read about that, Geography of Thought, I think, by Harold Nisbet. He's a phenomenal guy. Bring that
He's
up
using
for
a county truck?
Geography
Boy,
of
that's
Thought.
a dumb move. That's a way to get fired real quick.
He didn't give a fuck.
Gotcha.
He got me.
He got me.
I had to go around the block. It took me more time.
Because you don't come from that culture.
I was embarrassed.
Isn't it funny how he's such a badass, but he's like...
No, it's not that I don't... You do that to my brother. Listen, my brother's had some issues on the road, you know, and this stuff. My dad has, too. I've seen it with my own eyes. With me, the stuff I've going on, if I get out of that car,
you're right.
I fight that guy, I lose everything I stand for.
Yeah, for sure.
All my gigs. Everything's gone. And for what?
But it's self-defense, Brendan.
But it's not.
It's not. You're forcing yourself
get out of the
into
car,
an
you're
aggressive
We're both
situation.
fucked. And what do you think the headline reads? LA worker beats up UFC fighter? No.
I hope not.
No.
It'd be embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I think you'd have real issues with you.
Ex-UFC fighter twists man's head off, gets arrested, goes to prison.
Yeah. That's not a good move.
His
It's not a good
Showtime,
look.
his E-show,
No
stand-up,
upside. No
fucking
upside.
gone.
No upside.
Oh, there's nothing funny about a guy beating up another guy.
No, there's no upside to it. And it's also, you can avoid it. You know, it can be avoided. I
don't
think a lot of
care.
that posturing, bullshit, and screaming comes from not being able to fight.
I agree.
If you could have a bar filled with jiu-jitsu black belts, probably the friendliest fucking bar ever.
Yeah, the tough guys
It's
don't
like
yell
gun
that.
culture. Whenever you hang out with a bunch of gun guys, they're super formal and respectful of each
Yeah,
other.
because they're used to seeing bullets flying around. Everybody's got to mind their P's and Q's when everybody's actually equal.
Yep.
If you're a bunch of gun handlers and all of you go into gun competitions and shit and you're shooting plink, 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 you're rolling and like fucking Keanu Reeves and shit, those guys, you know, they're equal to everybody in the world. All they have to do is this. I mean, they've balanced it out to a squeeze of a trigger and
SEAL
aiming
Team
with
6
your arms.
operatives aren't walking around going, I'm in the SEALs. Watch out, bro. I want to get to the front of the line.
Exactly.
You know.
there was a bunch of Marines that came to the Comedy Store the other night. Real nice guys. They were there for this Toys or Tots thing, hanging out with them, talking to them afterwards. And then there's some weird drunk guy who comes up to me after the Marines left, and he asked me about recon Marines. He's like, "Oh, look at that! He just went in.
You're sick.
That was throw up, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we were trying to avoid. That
was
sound.
amazing.
It just
All right,
fluid.
we should probably end this anyway. I got to get
Who's
home.
gonna? Yeah, let's.
I'm going to Mexico
Look at that.
tomorrow.
There, he's throwing up again.
That's a good
I
way
don't know
to
who's
end.
cleaning that thing.
That's a good end.
Any ideas? We'll just throw that away.
I got you guys.
We get another one. We'll throw that away. We'll get another.
You're hurting.
We're not. Boop. Ooh, I'm just watching
he's-
a bunch of puke coming out of Brendan
Sorry,
Schaub's
dude.
mouth. Anyway,
It's all good.
super sorry about all this.
It's a good way to end.
It's a good way to end. It's a good way to end. Bryan Callen, you got any dates coming up?
I'm glad you asked. January 12th, January 12th, 13th. Don't puke through my dates. January 12th, 13th, 14th. Well, I'm in fucking, where am I? Hold on. January 12th, 13th. I'm in Nashville at Zany's, and then at the end of the month, Columbus Funny Bone, January 25th, 26th, my birthday, 27th.
Yeah, you could try to go see
tfatk.com.
Brendan Schaub at
BryanCallen.com.
the Wilbur Theater in Boston, but it's sold out.
Sold
you
out.
fucks.
But
Sold out.
I'm in Portland before the 11th to the 13th.
He just threw up.
And I'm in Denver on the 1st February, and then 2nd, 3rd, St. Louis. Come see me. I won't be sick.
Yeah, he won't be
Boston,
sick.
that bitch is sold out. I love you.
What are you doing on Wednesday night?
Why, what's up?
You want to do a set at the Ice House?
Hell yeah.
Okay, then. Brendan Shaw will be at the Ice House. Ice House is sold out too, you fucks. This Friday night, I'm at the Mirage in Las Vegas with the great and powerful Ian Edwards. And then New Year's Eve, the day after the UFC, 2 shows at the Wiltern in Los Angeles. All right.
I
Love
apologize
you
for
guys.
throwing up. I apologize.
It's all good. It was a
Love
good way to
everybody.
end. Good way to
Bye.
end. Are you okay, man?
I'm sorry.